What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty. Join my Discord if you want to chat and share your thoughts, the link is in the description. 8BR Chapter 246, if I didn't guess wrong, Shiyu should have mastered this power. Tokiba, is what Sasuke said is true. The fragrant phosphorus in the words is extremely excited, because this power is too weird, as if it can't be controlled by humans. Chongo, is the best example. Even the Oshimaru, one of the three ninjas, has exhausted many years of effort and only research, curse seal enzyme, nothing more. Shiyu didn't directly answer the question about incense phosphorus. Is it true or not, you will know when we see Shigeo. After responding, Shiyu also said again, okay, let's go. Sasuke nodded, then got up and walked to the front. Upon seeing this, Shuei didn't want to get up, obviously because he didn't have enough rest. Shuei, get up quickly, otherwise we won't be able to make it in 3 days. Hearing Shanlan's words, Shuei could only stand up anxiously. When everyone was preparing to go on the road, Shiyu said, this way is too time-consuming to hurry, so I have to change the way. Change another way. Sasuke muttered, and then said, Toki, Northern Secrets, you shouldn't have space imprint there. Indeed no, however, I am not talking about this way. What is that? Sasuke was puzzled, it's like me 040. As Shiyu's voice fell, he rose into the sky under the stunned eyes of everyone. Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked, except for Naruto, he had seen this method by Toki. Not only that, he has also experienced it personally. Flying up, what is going on here, it's amazing. At this moment, Sasuke, Fragrant Phosphorus, and Suizuki 3/3 exclaimed one after another. When Naruto heard this, he said with a smile, hey, you don't know that. You know, advertisement. Hearing Shuei's question, Naruto would naturally not let go of this opportunity to show off. Since you are humbly asking for advice, I will tell you reluctantly. Although Shuei wanted to argue with Shiyu, it was a pity that he did not know about it. Therefore, you can only choose to be silent. Upon seeing this, Naruto also opened his mouth and said, in fact, this kind of ninjutsu from Toki. Ninjutsu, Naruto nodded and thought for a while. Immediately he said, it seems to be a kind of soil escape, a kind of ninjutsu that can make any object lighter. Okay, no ink stains. The 4 of you stand ready, I will apply ninjutsu for you one by one. Hearing Shiba's words, the Sasuke 4/4 also stood in a row obediently. Immediately after, Shiyu didn't talk nonsense either and saw his big hand gently support his back. The art of earth escaped super light and heavy rock. As Shiyu's heart sounded with a low drink, Sasuke slowly floated into the air under the eyes of the 3 people. Upon seeing this, the faces of the 3 of 3/3 showed excitement. Especially Aroma Phosphorus and Shuei, they have never experienced such things as flying. After Sasuke was Naruto, and Naruto was followed by Suizuki. As Suizuki was moving around in the sky, he couldn't help but let out a sigh. Ninjutsu in the world is really amazing. After Sasuke's 3 people 3 are all applied, finally it is the turn of the phosphorus. When Shiyu walked behind her, Shanlan's little heart accelerated slightly. She had both expectations and worries about this, and while she was holding this emotion, Shiyu's big hand had already fallen above her younger generation. Feeling the temperature coming from the palm of his hand, the heart of the incense phosphorus suddenly accelerated. Plop. Plop. Not only that, even the delicate body trembled slightly. When the palm of his hand was in direct contact with the incense phosphorus, it was natural to feel some, and the corner of his mouth evoked a slight arc. But Shiyu knew that this was a normal reaction. A woman basically had this reaction when she first came into contact with a man she likes. Unless this woman has already experienced it, amidst the fragrant phosphorus face and shyness, her delicate body slowly rises from the ground. Seeing this, Shiyu also flew into the air. To control the direction and speed, just release the chakra. Sasuke, lead the way. Good. Sasuke was stunned for a moment, then nodded immediately. Advertisement undoubtedly, since Sasuke is proud, he was also amazed by Shiyu's ninjutsu. But it is a pity that he is not good at done, otherwise, he must want to learn. Not only him, but Naruto, Shanlan, and Shuei had thoughts like this, however, their wish was ultimately frustrated. Because this ninjutsu requires an extremely deep understanding of to master, this is why the huge, rocky hide village can only be used by 3 generations of Hokage Onogi. His son, Lois Earth, granddaughter, Black Earth, and student, Red Earth, all failed to learn, but another student of Onogi may be able to learn. He is Dadala, but unfortunately, the latter betrayed Yanyan village early in order to pursue art. In the beginning, the speed of you and the others was not fast because Sasuke, Shanlan and Suizuki 3 had not yet fully adapted. But despite this, it is much faster than the ground upward path, because this is undoubtedly the real, between 2 points, the shortest line. The way to hurry, without any twists and turns a day and a half. Shiyu and his group of 5 people, 5, successfully arrived at the Northern Secrets. This trip originally took 3 days, but now it has been abruptly shortened by half. This shows the importance of the way to go. But when Shiyu and his group of 5 arrived at the Northern Secrets, Suyue suddenly remembered something. Correct. Sasuke, what is the space imprint that you said to Toki that day? Hearing Shuei's words, Shanlan also cast a curious look. Space imprint, as the name suggests, is space ninjutsu, a kind of technical imprint. Leave this mark in a specific place, no matter where you are, as long as you have enough chakras, you can send it back. Hearing Sasuke's explanation, Suizuki pondered for a while, and then suddenly an extremely loud ninjutsu flashed in his mind. Why are you talking like Flying Thunder God's art? Oh, you have also heard of this technique. Konoha's 4 generations of Naruto is well known in the ninja world. He has the highest speed in the world, and is crowned by the world as Yellow Flash. Shuei popularizes science by himself. But in the next second he thought of something, and his eyes suddenly showed a thick look of consternation. Sasuke, did Shiyu control the Flying Thunder God art? Suizuki's voice just fell, and Sasuke didn't wait for Sasuke to answer, but Naruto was the first to speak. It seems that you have more than just water in your head, you guessed it? After being confirmed, Shuei and Shanlin suddenly had a huge wave in their hearts. Because of this, they both believed one thing more and more. That is, Oshimaru should really have been killed by Shiyu. Originally, Shanlin thought that Oshimaru was killed by Sasuke, but on the way she learned from Sasuke that the real murderer was Shiyu, she still held a few points. Doubt. And this bit of suspicion, with the various super ninjutsu shown by Shiyu, has slowly disappeared. In other words, she has confirmed this fact. T chapter 247. The sun hangs high. Shiyu and his group of 4 have already descended to the ground, because they have arrived at the Northern Secret House. After learning that Shiyu had mastered the Flying Thunder God art, Shuei and Shanlin were shocked, and the look in Shiyu's eyes changed again. However, when they were about to enter the Northern Secret House, Shuei sat on the ground again. I'm so tired, let's take a break. Hearing that, Shanlin was the first to stand up. Shuei, why do you always rest forever? It's already here. The voiced Shanlin glanced at Shuei and couldn't help but fall on the decapitating sword behind him. His brows frowned slightly, as if thinking of something. I said you always yell tired because the knife is too heavy, you can just throw him away. As soon as Shanlin's voice fell, before Shuei could refute, everyone heard a cry for help. Help, his voice did not fall, and he fell directly to the ground because of his injury. Boom. Upon seeing this, Shanlin checked it immediately. It's from Northern Secret House, and I'm still angry. Between the words, Aroma Phosphorus also did a simple treatment for him. Although she is not a serious medical ninja, because she is a special chakra, she can quickly recover. Naruto also has this ability, which is the bloodline power of the Mortex clan. This ability is in addition to the Mortex clan and the Thousand Hands clan, because both of them are direct bloodlines of Asura. This is also the reason why this generation of Asura power will be transferred to Naruto. Sasuke asked after the caller regained consciousness. What happened here? You are Uchiha Sasuke. The first time the man saw Sasuke, he recognized him. From this, it can be seen that the importance of Oshimaru to Sasuke has become a household name in various research bases. Please, save us. What is the problem, Shuei Dao? After the news of Oshimaru's death came here, it triggered a riot among the prisoners. Go on like this. The man died before he finished speaking, obviously because of his injuries. Even the special chakra of fragrant phosphorus couldn't turn the tide and snatch him back from the Grim Reaper. If Shiyu had made the first move just now, he should still have a chance to survive. However, Shiyu obviously made a move for no reason and spent great efforts to beg for someone who had nothing to do with him. He was not a saint. Advertisement there is no good thing. He basically won't do it. It's like helping Sasuke recruit 3 teammates this time, but there are 2 reasons for this. First, because he wanted to see Shanlin and Shigeo. Second, because of a task of the system. The first task of unlocking the 6th reward. Help Sasuke recruit 3 teammates, Ghost Lantern Watermoon. Open black lens bracket Vortex Fragrant Phosphorus close black lens bracket and open black lens bracket Heavenly Severity close black lens bracket. Now that this task has been completed 2/3, this, Django, is the last one. Seeing the man's breath, Shuei spit out unconcernedly. Oh, it's dead. And just as Shuei's voice fell, a sound of breaking the wind came into their ears. Immediately afterwards, a heavy dullness also sounded. Boom. This sound sounds like the sound of a heavy object hitting the ground, and everyone follows the reputation. Next second. When a person is not a person, a ghost is not a ghost, and it is caught in the eyes of the 5 people of Shiyu, making their expressions stagnant. But this is not the point is that he can still talk. This man who looked like a ghost from hell was also shocked the moment he saw Sasuke. Upon seeing this, Shuei said in shock. What's that? It's the second state of Curse Sealing. Naruto. At the beginning of the battle in the 4 of Atonin and 4, Naruto had seen them use the power of Curse Seal. However, their appearance is far from the exaggeration of the person in front of them. Because the form of the latter has been a little out of the human form, it looks more like a monster. And this monster is not what they are looking for, this person is just. It's an experimental subject, the second state of Curse Sealing. Shuei muttered, he obviously didn't expect Naruto to know about this, which made him feel a little unhappy. While there were still some doubts in his heart, Shanlin proved to Naruto. As Naruto said, this person has now entered Curse Seal State 2-2, so his appearance will change drastically. And while Shigeo was stunned, Sasuke shot in an instant. As the grass pheasant sword in his hand was swung, the experimental body instantly fell to the ground. Without the support of instinct, its power of curse seal also quickly faded. Next second, the ghost face and various strange shaped limbs on his body also quickly faded, and his normal appearance was also exposed to the air. Hey, who is this? Looking at the man who fell on the ground, Shui Yu said. Because he had met Shigeo, he knew that the man in front of him was not the latter. This is probably one of the reasons why Sasuke didn't kill him, because he didn't know if the person in front of him was Shigeo. After resheathing the grass pheasant sword, Sasuke also said. Advertisement, the front is the entrance of Northern Secrets, let's go to Shigeo. Seeing Shiyu nodded, Sasuke was the first to step forward, and the younger brother fanned Shizuo. After a while, but after Shiyu 5 entered the Northern Secret House, they found that there was no guard here. Undoubtedly, the one who died before them was undoubtedly the last guard here. Although there is no guard in front of them, there is a group of prisoners. Moreover, these prisoners are not the ordinary prisoners of the Western Secrets and the Southern Secrets. They are all experimental subjects of the ability of Changwu. Among this group of people are Curse-Sealed State 1, and there are Curse-Sealed State 2 too. However, because their own strength is not strong, therefore, even if they enter the curse ceiling, their strength increase is limited. The strongest is no more than ordinary ninjutsu. Moreover, they can only use brute force, let alone any ninjutsu. The reason for this is that they are all ordinary people, because if they are all ninjas, once they obtain the power of the curse seal, even if the Oshimaru is not dead, they will probably try to resist. Obviously Dashimaru thought of this too, so the subjects here are all ordinary people. The ninjas who want to obtain this power are all personally selected by Oshimaru. It's like open black lens bracket Atonin 5 people and 5 people close black lens bracket, Azuki Bean and Sasuke. Looking at this scene, Shanglin guessed. It seems that all the guards here have been killed and the prisoners have run out. I said Sasuke, where is this one? It's Shigeo. Hearing Suzuki's words, Sasuke's eyes fell on Shanglin. Fragrant phosphorus, is there, Zhangwu, in it? Let me see. The fragrant phosphorus between the words instantly formed a seal in his hand, and then his eyes slowly closed, and he began to feel it. However, at this moment, Shiyu's voice rang. Don't look, there is no him here. When Shiyu said this, everyone was taken aback. Shiyu probably hadn't seen Shigeo before, and there are still many of this group of people who have entered the curse-sealed state 2 too. How did Shiyu know that they had seen Shigego and couldn't recognize it? Just between their consternation, Shanglin had already sensed it, but the final result was to surprise her. Shiyu was right, there is no Jungo in it. If Takuya's words made Suizuki and Sasuke still doubtful, then Shanglin's words could not be wrong. Because the latter has not only seen Shigego, but she also possesses the special ability of Kagura Hard Eyes. This ability can distinguish all changes. It is also very because of this, no matter what kind of transformation technique is in the eyes of Kagura, it will be invisible. This is why Sasuke wants to recruit Shanglin to become a teammate, but at this moment, Sasuke, Mizutsuki and Shanglin all have doubts in their hearts, that is, how did Toki know that there is no Shigeo in it? Does the latter also have something similar? Kagura Shinyen? The ability is not enough, chapter 248. Shiyu is right, there is no Jungo in it. After hearing the words of fragrant phosphorus, Shuei said, Shiyu, how did you know? If you want to know the answer, please solve this group of guys in front of me first. Shuei was taken aback for a moment, and then said, no problem, leave it to me. Seeing that Suizuki wanted to do something, Sasuke said. Shuei, try to avoid the key points. Hey, you really came from Konoha. Shuei responded, and then said, actually, you could kill the man just now. I really don't know what you were thinking. Hearing Shuei's words, Naruto immediately said, although they are experimental subjects, they are all alive. Don't talk nonsense, settle it quickly. As Shiyu's voice fell, Shuei, Naruto, and Shuei had wind under their feet and rushed directly to the crowd in front of them. Seeing that Shanglin wanted to help, Shiyu stopped him. This kind of thing can be left to us boys, and you should not be involved as a girl. Hearing the fragrant phosphorus suddenly, the eyes that looked at Shiyu were brilliant, and both of them couldn't help but appear blush. Because Shiyu's words fell in her ears, which undoubtedly meant to be concerned. In fact, she didn't want to go, but because Shiyu was there, she wanted to show herself and didn't want to make herself look useless. Now that Shiyu spoke, she would naturally have a step. Seeing Shiyu standing indifferently, she didn't mean to go up to help. Shanglin also asked, aren't you going to help them? Although the number of these experimental subjects is large, but their combat effectiveness is not strong, they will not be in any danger. This is also their group battle training. It was correct to say that, but in fact it was Shiyu who was too lazy to do it. Of course, these shrimp soldiers and crabs are not worth his shot. There was no accident in this battle, and it ended with a collapsed crush. Shuei leaned on the decapitating sword inserted in the ground and exhaled heavily. Looking at his appearance, it was obviously because he was not used to fighting with the decapitator for the first time. After Sasuke's Trio 3 solved these experimental subjects, the more familiar aroma phosphorus found the key to the cell. Upon seeing this, Shiyu said, fragrant phosphorus. Advertisement, you are more familiar with this place, so you will lead the way. Shanglin nodded and was about to lead everyone to find Django. But at this moment, Shuei's voice rang. I said, Shiyu, did you forget one thing? You were really persistent. I took out the strength of the milk and decided to kill these guys the fastest, just want to know the answer quickly. Since I promised you, I won't break my promise. After hearing Shiyu's words, everyone's eyes were focused on Shiyu's body. Obviously, they were also curious how Shiyu knew that Shigeo was not among this group of people. Actually, Sasuke already told you this answer on the way. Sasuke told us, Shueiyu murmured, still with a look of incomprehension. The reason is very simple, because the power of curse seal on their bodies is too weak, and they are very different from Sasuke and Genmero. Not only that, even the 4 of Sound Shinobi 4 are inferior. Zhongwu is the source of curse seal power, he should contain the strongest curse seal power. So it is. Shueiyu nodded her head, as if suddenly realized. But in the next second, he thought of another one and asked, however, how do you know the power of the curse on them? Close black lens bracket, S strong and weak, you idiot, didn't Sasuke tell us before, Shiyu has mastered the power of curse seal. Hearing what Shanglin said, Shuei chuckled, immediately after. A hint of curiosity flashed in his eyes, and he asked, Shiyu, since you have mastered this power, will you also, curse sealing? Hearing Suizuki's words, the curiosity of Sasuke and others was aroused again. Because this is indeed a question worth confirming, yes. Shiyu affirmed, and then said, however, I will never use it. When Shiyu said something like this, everyone was startled. Although the appearance of this curse sealing is a bit ugly, the power is real. Once it is deployed, the power will be doubled. Toki, is it because the appearance of curse sealing is too ugly, so you don't want to use it? Suizuki's words were affirmed by Suizuki, but Naruto and Sasuke took a different view. I think Shiyu is disdainful of it. Sasuke's thoughts are the same as Naruto's, because they have all seen Shiyu cast, Suzuonohu, and 9 Dragon Sky Fire Ray. Advertisement therefore, they felt that the increase in the power of the curse had no meaning for Shiyu. When both sides held a different point of view, Shiyu would let the 4 of them be shocked. What you are talking about is only a superficial reason. Surface reason, Sasuke muttered, and then asked, is there any more important reason? Good. The one who has been with Dashimaru for so long, the 3 of you should know that this curse seal originated from a special power. A power different from chakra. Sasuke, Fragrant Phosphorus, and Suigetsu nodded their heads when they heard these words. Upon seeing this, Shiyu continued, and the reason why I don't use curse sealing is because this cursing sealing is a clumsy use of special power. Bad use, Shanglin exclaimed. Not only her, but Sasuke's 3 faces are also full of curiosity. Especially Sasuke, he didn't expect such a strong spell seal power to be just a clumsy use of special power. Well, I'll give you some insights. When the voice fell, Shiyu stretched out his left hand. As he moved his mind, a chakra ball condensed in his palm. There is no doubt that it is spiral pill, spiral pill. Naruto murmured, and Shuei said, how'd I think I've heard this ninjutsu there? This is also 4 generations of Naruto's master ninjutsu. Sasuke said, let me just say it, I should have heard it. Shuei replied softly, and then said, Shiyu, I didn't expect you to learn both of Mu, 4 generations of Naruto, and the 2 masters of ninjutsu. This is the normal chakra condensed, spiral pill, now you see how powerful it is. Between the words, Shiyu walked to the thickest wall here and then pressed against it in the eyes of the 4 people. Chi-chi. Spiral pill. The moment it touched the wall, there was a violent friction with it, and then, the powerful energy inside burst out. Boom. With a loud noise, the wall directly collapsed in. Because of the power of Helix Maru, a hole the size of a human head appeared in the center of the wall that caused a large area of cracks. Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked by the power of Helix Maru, but they didn't know what Shiyu wanted to do. Immediately afterwards, Shiyu stretched out his right hand again. Then, under the stunned eyes of the 4 of them, another one, spiral pill, was formed in Toki's hands. But after the formation of this spiral pill, the look of 4 people 4 is all stunned. Philo reminds you. Th Chapter 249. North Secret Place. On the plaza at the entrance of the dungeon, the 4 Sasuke 4 looked at the spiral Maru in Takua's hand with a look of shock. Because they can clearly feel that the power contained in this spiral pill is several times stronger than before. Not only that, Shiyu's pupils seem to undergo some slight changes. Its pupils are no longer the original pitch black color, nor the blood red color of the riding wheel eyes. It is a kind of gold, pure gold, but it is neither snake eye, nor toad's eye, nor slug's eye. It's the human eye pupil, it's just that the black of the eyeball turns into gold, nothing more. The reason for this change is that the current Shiyu has entered the fairy mode. That's right, this is his own fairy mode, exclusively for humans, 3 holy lands. It took a few years to create the Shanshu of his own race, but Shiyu did it easily. The reason for this is naturally Shiyu's millionfold talent. As for why the pupils of the eyes have turned golden, it is because Shiyu's chakra is of this color. After entering the fairy mode, you will have your own exclusive eye pupils. Of course, if 2 people's chakras have the same color, then their fairy mode eye pupils will naturally be the same. Just when the 4 Sasuke 4 were shocked, Shiyu, just as before, pressed the spiral pill in his hand on the other wall. There is no prelude, there is just an explosion. Boom! Hearing this sound, the next second everyone saw the same wall cracking in an instant. Boom! Two comparisons of the power of spiral pills. This collapsed wall is undoubtedly the best answer. Between Sasuke's four dumbfounded, Toki's voice also rang slowly. You have seen the power of spiral pill, these 2 times. The first time I used normal chakras to condense, and the second time I used that special power to condense. Their power is obviously not at the same level. And this special energy is called Shanshu Chakra. Shanshu Chakra, what is that? Naruto asked the first question. Shanshu Chakra is slightly different from ordinary chakras. The latter is produced by the human body, but the former is condensed by absorbing the energy in the natural world. In short, Shanshu Chakra is natural energy. After hearing what Shiba said, Sasuke asked, Toshiba, what do you mean is the power of the curse is this kind of natural energy? Advertisement, good. Shiyu nodded, and then said, curse sealing just melts Shanshu Chakra into the body, so its main function is also reflected in the flesh and blood. This is why the body after curse sealing will have great changes, but the speed, power, perception and defense will be significantly improved. However, in addition to strengthening the physical body, the improvement of the technique is minimal, almost nothing. Sasuke, you must feel it deeply. Hearing Shiba's question, Sasuke also nodded quickly. Immediately afterwards, Shiyu said again, moreover, curse sealing will also cause erosion to the body. So this method is undoubtedly inappropriate, which is why I said that curse sealing is a poor use of Shanshu Chakra. Hearing this, everyone probably understood what Shanshu Chakra was. But at the same time there is a problem that bothers again them. Since Shiyu also sucked natural energy into his body, why didn't the latter's body undergo a slight change? Of course, in addition to the eyeballs, Shiyu, didn't you also inhale natural ability into your body? Why is there no change in your appearance? Sasuke's question undoubtedly made Suizuki and others curious, because they also had the same question in their hearts. That's because I have mastered the method of using this power. Shiyu responded, and then said, presumably you have also noticed the changes in my eye pupils. Seeing 4 people 4 nodded in unison, Shiyu continued to say too. The change in the color of my pupils is not because I am using a pupil technique, but because I am now in a state. What's the state? Shuei fairy mode. Fairy mode, advertisement Naruto murmured afterwards. Yes, fairy mode, as the name suggests, this is a state where you can use Shanshu Chakra perfectly. After entering this state, the body will not undergo a series of problems such as mutation and death due to excessive absorption of natural energy. I noticed this special power after Sasuke was planted by the Oshimaru after the curse was planted. After my constant exploration, I finally figured out what this power is. In order to be able to master this power, I studied this state, this fairy mode, exclusive to humans. Shiyu explained it, and then said, as for why my pupils turn golden, that's because my chakra is golden. After entering fairy mode, the color of the pupils will show their own chakra color. After hearing Shiyu's explanation, everyone probably knew what was going on in this fairy mode. Until this moment, Suizuki and Shanglin finally knew why Naruto and Sasuke admired Toki so much. They finally knew why Shiyu was able to kill Oshimaru. Why were they confident that they could surrender Shigeo, Shiyu? You just said that your fairy mode is exclusive to humans. Is there any other fairy mode that doesn't work? As Sasuke's words fell, everyone looked very interested again. Upon seeing this, Shiyu knew. If they are asking further down, it is estimated that it will take a lot of time. Naturally there is. However, let's go to Zhongwu first and talk about fairy mode when you have time. As Shiyu's voice fell, the matter stopped there. 4 people 4 did not have any opinions despite a bit of loss. Not only that. At this moment, the eyes of Suzuki and Shanglin looking at Shiyu have gradually moved closer to Naruto and Sasuke. That was a look of worship. However, Shanglin's eyes had another look that none of the 3 of them had. That is love. It is natural for girls to love heroes and strong people. Especially if this person is her own lifesaver, this will undoubtedly make her more deeply rooted in love. As long as you are not rejected, you will get deeper and deeper. Shanglin, lead the way. Shanglin nodded, and then took Shiyu 4-4 into the dungeon of Northern Secrets, chapter 250. After a while, under the leadership of Shanglin, Shiyu and others came to a separate cell. There is an extremely thick iron door here, right and left above the iron door. The horizontal iron chain is enough to see the special features of this cell. Everyone looked at this iron prison, and Sasuke spoke. Is it here? Well, Shigeo is inside. The fragrant phosphorus that fell from the voice took out the 10 most conspicuous keys from the many keys, and these 10 keys were larger than the others. Immediately after, Shanglin looked at Shiyu and the others, and inserted 10 keys into 10 keyholes on the iron door. From this we can see the importance of Shigego to Dashimaru. Click, click, da, da, da. First is the sound of the key twisting, and then the sound of the gear turning inside the iron door. When Shanglin opened the door, Shigeo in the cell also noticed it. Are you here? Is it male or female? The eyes of Jungo in the words were like eagles, as if he had already made some decision in his heart, and he murmured to himself again. If a man comes in, I will kill him. At the same time, Shanlin had completely opened the cell door, and when Shanlin was about to push the door in, Shi Yu said, "Fragrant phosphorus, you step back and let us go in first." Hearing Shi Yu's words, Shanlin was taken aback for a moment and then nodded without hesitation. In her opinion, this is undoubtedly Shi Yu's concern for her again. Being cared by someone you like is undoubtedly the happiest thing. Shi Yu. Jungo is my choice, let me take the lead. Also, Shi Yu did not refuse Sasuke's request. As he said, Shigeo is his chosen teammate, and it should be the most suitable for him to contact him. It's not too late for him to make a shot. Squeak. At the moment when the cell door was opened with a wide gap, Sasuke felt as if he was being stared at by an evil spirit. Immediately afterwards, a voice came from everyone's ears. Hit the jackpot. Kill. And the next second after this voice sounded, everyone felt a strong murderous aura rushing toward their faces. No, he is coming. The fragrant phosphorus's reminder just sounded, and Sasuke was directly hit by a big hand against the wall of the passage. Boom. The sheer strength directly caused the thick walls to collapse in, which was much stronger than the previous group of counterfeit goods. At this time, the place was enveloped by smoke and dust, making it impossible to see the reality. But Shi Yu and the others could clearly see the monster arms exposed into smoke and dust, which was terrifying. Advertisement. This scene moved to Shuei and Shanlin. With a wave of the monster's arm, a figure slammed out and hit the wall on the other side. Boom. Because of this, the smoke and dust in the passage was also wiped out. At this moment, the field in the passage is clearly visible. At the same time, a crazy voice also sounded. A copy of me again, but you can make some changes, your kid is very good. It seems that you are very proficient in controlling curse seal. It is not someone else who speaks, it is Shigeo. At this time, the latter arm is like a monster, but the whole body has not changed much. Needless to say, this is part of the change he was talking about, and the one who was thrown out was Sasuke. I saw that the back of the back against the wall at this time had collapsed deeply. But this is not the point. The point is that there is a huge palm sticking out behind Sasuke at this moment. That's one of Sasuke's open black lens bracket curse ceiling state 2 close black lens bracket open black lens bracket floral palms and 2 wings close black lens bracket. And this is what moved to Shuei and Shanlin, because it was the first time they saw Sasuke curse ceiling, although it was only part of it, it was really ugly. I don't want to fight with you, I just have something to talk to you. Jongwoo, you were pretty good, I haven't encountered a decent opponent since Junmero. Shigego's words fell, and his body rushed out again, and he couldn't hear Sasuke's words at all. Seeing Shigego's fist swayed at Sasuke again, a big knife instantly slashed out, fighting with everything. It's not someone else who wields the sword, it is Shuei who holds the beheading broadsword. Dang. With a sound like a metal collision, Shuei and Shigego both shook away vigorously and backed away a few steps. What? Hearing my astonishment, Shui Yu said, the body is like steel. You used a different ability than before, Shigeo. When the voice fell, Shui Yu said excitedly, Sasuke. Since he wants to do it, let me give it to me. It just happens that we haven't decided the winner or loser in the previous battle. Stop. Sasuke hurriedly stopped, and then said, Shuei, we are not here to fight. Let me talk to him, he's not. He can be persuaded by his mouth, he still has to use violence. Using violence to control violence is the right way. After hearing the conversation between Sasuke and Suizuki, Shigego, who stared at Suizuki, finally remembered something. You are Shuei. Advertisement. The corner of Jongwoo's mouth between the words also evoked a smile, because he knew that Shuei's strength was quite strong and could play with him for a long time. Because the last time they fought for a long time, there was no victory or defeat. In the end, he was separated by the Oshimaru, Shigego was transferred to this extremely remote northern secret house, and Shuei went to the western secret house. There is no extra nonsense, and the two are fighting again. Upon seeing this, Sasuke finally got a little angry. Shi Yu and Naruto were still watching, he was definitely not losing face. So he directly inserted into the battle between the two. I saw him flash between the two, and instantly stopped the two of them from attacking. At this moment, Sasuke's Shulunyan was revealed. Immediately after, an extremely domineering voice also came from Sasuke's mouth. Do you two want to be killed by me? In the words, a strong killing intent also spread on Sasuke's body, making the Shuei and Shigego suddenly stunned. Shuei was okay, but was shocked. But Shigego seemed to have lost his soul, and ran out of the iron prison again in a panic. At this moment, he was squatting in the corner again, holding his head in his hands, looking very scared. Shigeo. I'm here to take you out of here, come with us. Sasuke's voice fell, but his response was an extremely terrified voice. Hurry up and close the door, I don't want to kill anymore, I don't want to go outside. You leave me alone. Hearing this, Shuei couldn't help but say something. He is too courageous, right? Not like this, Shanlin responded, and then said, this is Shigego's dual personality, this is the real him. You heard it too, but he doesn't want to kill people. But he can't control his negative murderous temperament. That's why he took the initiative to send it to the door to catch Dashuan. Jongwoo is really hard to get it done, Shui Yu murmured. Give it to me. When Shi Yu said this, Sasuke and others were taken aback. Immediately after. A look of expectation appeared on their faces, because they knew that Shi Yu would definitely be able to solve the matter. But I just don't know how the latter will solve Filu. Remind you. 3T Chapter 251. After Shi Yu decided to go out, Shigeo's murmur came from the iron prison again. I don't know when I want to kill someone. Hurry up and lock the door and leave here. However, as Shigeo's voice fell, Takiwa 5 did not leave. On the contrary, Shi Yu came to the door of the cell. Upon seeing this, Shigeo also roared. You said, leave me alone, what do you want to do? Jungo, now Oshimaru is dead. And this, northern secret house, has also been destroyed, and it makes no sense for you to stay here. Hearing Shi Yu's words, Shigeo said, this is better. Just let me fend for myself here, it's better than I go out and kill people indiscriminately. As long as you promise to go with us, I will teach you how to control the power in your body, how to. Hearing Shi Yu's words roared, Shigeo, who had a gloomy look at the beginning, instantly showed a gleam of luster in his eyes. That is the light of hope. Despite this, Shigeo's tone is still full of doubts. Can you teach me to control this power? It's not that Shigeo doesn't believe in Shiyu, but because this force is too weird. He didn't know how many years he tried, but he still didn't make any progress. In the end, he gave up hope and was willing to become the research object of Dashuan. He pinned all his hopes on Dashuan, hoping that the latter could develop methods or drugs to inhibit his runaway. However, Oshimaru spent many years only researching the curse ceiling. However, in the process, Shigeo also strengthened Junmaro, because the latter is powerful enough to suppress his rampage. This allowed him to spend a good time, but the happy time is always short. Junmaro was seriously ill and died in a battle to retake Sasuke 2 years ago. Because of this, he returned to the northern secret house, again. If Shiyu said that he could be stopped, he might still believe it a little bit. But when Shi Yu opened his mouth, it was to help him control this power, but it was undoubtedly a fantasy for him after so many years of failure. Good. Seeing Shiyu nodding his head, Shigeo questioned again. What the Oshimaru hasn't done, why do you think you can do it? Do you think you are stronger than the legendary Sannin? Jongwoo's words fell, and before Shiyu could answer, Shuewi was the first to speak. Advertisement, Jungo, you may not know something. In fact, Oshimaru died by Shiyu's hand, and we also saw him master your weird energy. Wen Yan Jongwoo's expression immediately rose up, sweeping away the previous depression. Really, I can testify about this, Fragrant Phosphorus Road. I can too. Sasuke echoed, and then said, aren't you good to be able to partially curse seal? In fact, all of this is the credit of Toki. If it weren't for his guidance, even if I did, it wouldn't be as easy as it is now. After listening to Sasuke, Suizuki, and people, Shigego felt that this matter had enough credibility. Seeing Shigego's heart shaken, Shiyu said again. Because in the next period of time, I will teach Sasuke and others some things. I will simply teach you how to control this force during this period. As for the location, it's here, Northern Secret House. If you can control the power in your body by then, follow us. If you can't, we will be locked in the iron prison again, and you will assume that we haven't been here. Hearing Shiyu's so kind words, Shigeo finally couldn't help it. It is good. With this a voice sounded, and Shigego ran out of the iron prison again under the stunned eyes of Sasuke and others. At this moment, he is extremely excited, and his expression is different from before. No wonder he is like this, after all, it is his life's desire to control this strange energy in his body. Although he wasn't a good person, he really didn't want to kill anyone. After seeing Shiyu's deal with Jongo in a few words, Shuewi and others were also impressed. Of course, these words are useless if they are replaced by any of them, only sometimes Yu is useful. No way, who told them to not have Shiyu's strength? If it weren't for Shiyu, the two of them didn't know what the curse ceiling was, and there was no way to solve it. The reason why Shiyu is so persuasive is that besides helping Sasuke to recruit him, there is actually another purpose. That is to accept a fairy human body. Younger brother, there are many strong people in the world, but people with this physique are rare. Just after Shigeo agreed, the voice of the system finally appeared. Ding, Eagle Team, the recruitment mission is complete. Hearing the prompt of the system, Shiyu also flashed a flash of joy. Advertisement, but one thing he wants to do now is to draw a lottery. After he unlocked the 5th reward, the 5 chances of drawing a lottery have never been used. Now that this task is completed, he can finally put his thoughts on it. Because there is no need to hurry during this time. Shiyu glanced at Naruto, Sasuke and Shigeo and then said, take a good rest today, tomorrow I will be teaching you. When the voice fell, Shiyu's gaze fell on Shanglin's body. Shanglin, you are more familiar with this place, take us to a cleaner place. Okay, come with me. Shanglin nodded, leading everyone out of the dungeon. That night, when Shiyu explained to everyone, he went to a separate room. This room is the best one in the Northern Secret House. Obviously, it was deliberately made by Fragrant Phosphorus. Shiyu was also quite satisfied with this. Boom. When the door was closed, Shiyu immediately called up the lottery interface. At this moment, his eyes were full of excitement, he rubbed his hands, and finally clicked the start button. As the lottery frame began to change, Shiyu's heart beat quickly. Ding, congratulations to the host for obtaining the 10-fist sword. After hearing this system prompt, Shiyu's heart suddenly paused. Nothing else, just because of the ability of this 10-fist sword effect. The person who is stabbed will be forever Sealed in the illusory world of drunken dreams, only the power that can be derived from the kaleidoscope writing round eyes. Open black lens bracket 10-fist sword close black lens bracket. It is a kind of intangible spirit weapon. 10-fist sword. Exist in the Uchiha clan's pupil technique, Susanna Nohu. It is an ability of blood succession boundary. Only under the condition of complete body Susanna can the appearance of this weapon be completely manifested, and then its sealing power will reach its peak. Oshamaru has a hobby of collecting Kusunaru sword. It is known from historical records that the existence of the 10-fist sword, but has been unable to find it. It turns out that this sword exists in the pupil technique of the Uchiha clan. It is the power of this sword to seal whoever is inserted. Undoubtedly, the 10-fist sword is one of the best weapons to deal with foul land reincarnation. Originally, Shi Yu wanted to obtain the 10-fist sword and needed to upgrade from Writing Wheel Eye to Eternal Kaleidoscope to be able to choose again, but the system now has this ability. After calming down for a while, Shi Yu was preparing for the second round of the lottery. At this moment, Shi Yu's mind is thinking of another artifact. Chapter 252. After the idea of Yatari Realm emerged in his mind, Shi Yu did not procrastinate. Click the lottery button again. As the lottery interface turned again, Shi Yu's little heart accelerated again. Within a few seconds, the voice of the system came into my mind again. Ding! Congratulations to the host for gaining poison-free resistance. Hearing this systematic reminder, Shi Yu frowned slightly. If you change to any other person in this world, you may not be able to know the meaning of these two words in the first time. But for a high play game, these two words are too common. Toxin immunity, as the name implies, is immune to toxins. Immune to all toxins, this ability can actually be said to be very against the sky. However, for Toki, who has learned medical ninjutsu and possesses the primary immortal human body, it is a lower level. Because so far, Shi Yu has not encountered a poison that he can't detoxify. However, from now on, he no longer has to worry about accidentally being poisoned. With this ability, if you encounter some expensive ninjas, you don't need to be restrained. Just like the last time against Scorpion, Shi Yu still divided some minds and secretly eliminated the toxins. Therefore, he couldn't concentrate on that battle. Since the prize has the ability to avoid poison, is there any other immunity ability? For example, magic-free, material-free, or something. At this moment, Shi Yu thought like this. This idea is not unprecedented. For example, phantom immunity is only a defense against the mental attacks of illusions, and this kind of thing is not unavailable in this world. It's like the 8-side realm, immune to all physical attacks. However, I just don't know if this 8-square realm is durable, or can it be destroyed. Otherwise, it would be too invincible. Moreover, I don't know if it is a god like Chaodaoyu, whether it can break the defense of Yadajijin. Because according to the setting, Seek Dao Jade can destroy everything that does not contain the 6 Dao power. Whether it is a person or a thing. And magic-free refers to immunity to all ninjutsu, just like Reincarnation Eye can absorb all illusions. But as for whether there is, Shi Yu cannot know now. But having said that, this poison immunity ability is still a lever. For Shi Yu, it was an icing on the cake. After some thoughts, Shi Yu started the third round of the lottery draw. It seems that my luck can be better in this way. Shi Yu didn't talk nonsense and clicked the start button again. Next second, advertisement. The lottery frame rotated for the third time, and then the sound of the system followed. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the Longnadong teleportation ticket. At the second when he heard the system prompt, Shi Yu was a little confused. Yes, it's just a bit embarrassing. Longnadong teleportation ticket, it is not a power, nor a ninjutsu, nor an artifact, etc. As the name suggests, he is just a transportation coupon. It is directly transmitted to Longnadong. This prize Shi Yu never expected. Originally, he wanted to get the contract scroll of Longnadong from the latter's face assistant, but now it seems that it is no longer needed. Although this is only a teleportation ticket, Shi Yu thinks it is not bad. At least there is no need to find ways to go to the Longdi Cave. Because he has a task in his hand that is related to Longdi Cave. Miaomu Mountain has the largest toad called Awasu Big Toad, and Longdi Cave is no exception. Shi Yu is also looking forward to seeing him. However, he will have to wait for Sasuke's affairs to be settled on the trip to Rongjadong. After some thoughts, Shi Yu is preparing to start the fourth round of the lottery. However, at this moment, his door was knocked. Shi Yu frowned slightly because he was in a state of excitement right now, so being forcibly interrupted like this would inevitably be a little bit uneasy. Squeak. The door was slowly opened, revealing a slender figure. It was no one else, it was Fragrant Phosphorus. Seeing the latter, Shi Yu was also slightly taken aback. In order to avoid disturbing others, he waited until late at night to start the lottery draw. But what he didn't expect was that it was so late that Shanglin, a girl from a girl's family, would come to visit and mean something like, Nima, this little Nizi is here to dedicate his life, right? Shi Yu couldn't help but a thought came up in his mind, and then asked with a throat. Fragrant Phosphorus. It's so late, what's the matter with you? After hearing the words, Shanglin looked at the left and right sides, and after realizing that he hadn't paid attention to this, he whispered. Can I go in and talk? Hearing Shanglin's words, Shi Yu's inner thoughts became firmer and firmer. Looking at Shanglin's cautious look, it was obvious that he had deliberately waited until this time to look for him. The purpose is not to let Sasuke and others know. Is it really so unrestrained? Shiyu said in his heart, and then nodded. Squeak. The door of the room was slowly closed, and Shangfa was to avoid disturbing Sasuke and the others to find out. Advertisement with a cautious look, try not to make too much noise when the doors close. The latter's words, deeds and behavior made Shiyu more affirmed what he was thinking. When the door was closed, Shiyu asked too. Now you can say it, that, I think, what do you think? Shiyu asked. I want to know if you have anyone you like. After holding back for a long time, Fragrant Phosphorus finally wanted to confide in his inner thoughts. She was originally a very bold person, but the reason why she seems a little shy now is because she has less contact with Shiyu. But despite this, she still dared to visit in the middle of the night and stay in the same room with Shiyu. Moreover, this kind of question was also asked. Looking at her appearance, she was not afraid of being eaten by Shiyu. In other words, it is not necessarily at this moment that she just brought Shiyu to the door, and even Shiyu had to admire her courage. You must know that in terms of feelings, especially women, almost all are passive. They hide their emotions in their hearts and wait for the boys to tease them. Few girls directly confide in their hearts like Fragrant Phosphorus. Because once it is rejected, it is very embarrassing. After all, girls are no better than boys. There are not many girls like Konoha, even Sakura and Ino did not take the initiative like Aroma Phosphorus at first. And this was the reason why Shanlin came to Shiyu's room so late, which made Shiyu a little disappointed. But looking at Shanlin like this, even if he is now the overlord, the latter will not resist it. Looking at the soft and tender appearance of Shanlin in front of him, Shiyu can directly take the latter if he wants to be stronger. Seeing that Shiyu hadn't spoken for a long time, Shanlin quickly added. I mean, what kind of girl do you like? If I say something like you, do you believe me? Between the words, Shiyu moved a few steps closer to Shanlin, making the two of them only one step away. With eyes facing each other, the two felt each other's breathing. At this moment, the atmosphere in the room was very subtle. Maybe in the next second, a big battle will break out. Moreover, it is still the kind of crying ghosts. Chapter 253. If I say something like you, do you believe me? Hearing Shiyu's words, Shanlin was taken aback. After recovering, she realized that Shiyu was so close to herself, and her pretty face immediately blushed. It looks like a ripe red apple, waiting for someone to pick it. I'm like this. Almost. Shiyu spit out softly, and then attached his ear canal. But, let's talk about it. You ran into the room in the middle of the night just to ask this? When Shiyu between the words got closer and closer, and he wanted to reach out and put his arms in his arms, an accident happened. I saw Shanlin step back shyly, then bit her teeth and nodded, then said. It's late, see you tomorrow. When the voice fell, Shanlin rushed out of Shiyu's room. Squeak. Boom. 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 Shanlin returned to his room and closed the door. At this time, she was leaning against the door of the room, and the red glow on her face had spread from her two lichens to the base of her ears and neck. This shows how strong the shyness of the incense phosphorus at this time is, huh? She took a long breath and put her jade hand on her chest, feeling the violent beating of her heart. After a while, a look of regret flashed in the eyes of Shanlin, who had slowed down, muttering to himself. Why did I run just now? If I didn't run, am I already with Shiyu now? At this point, Shanlin is ashamed to speak. At first she was already bold enough. She must have considered this situation when she chose to go in the middle of the night. She originally felt that she was ready, but now it seems that she has flinched. Even if her character is bold and unrestrained, it obviously needs a process to achieve that step. After all, she really knew Shiyu in only 3 days. Advertisement. Although she was her savior, she was too reserved to give herself to a man within 3 days. Moreover, she didn't know how Shiyu would treat her if the latter didn't like such a casual girl. Combining various reasons, she chose to leave. If Shiyu is really interesting to her, she is not in a hurry. The long-term relationship must be stronger than the one-night stand. When Shangfa was in a lot of thoughts, Shiyu was depressed. I saw that his gaze was still looking at the open door. After a while, Shiyu also exhaled heavily, said, Hey, what are you doing? Master, I have to take off my pants, you come out for me. Having said that, Shiyu was not too disappointed. Because from the behavior of Shanlin just now, he can basically determine the latter's thoughts on him, and adding his previous meal, Saohua made the latter more enamored of himself. It is estimated that it will not be long before the latter is expected to be delivered again. By then everything will be in order, without Shiyu's rhetoric. Even if Shanlin wanted to run by then, Shiyu would not give her a chance. As for this time, he didn't stop him. He was in order to give Shanlin a chance to breathe. Make your image taller. If not, even if Sasuke, Naruto, and Mizutsu 3 are resting in the next room, he will be fearless. Because he can directly bring the fragrant phosphorus to the different space of Shenwei to do things. If he is worried that Bai Kakashi and Daitu will happen to meet him, he has a better plan. That is, directly use the Flying Thunder God's art to bring people home. At this point, Shiyu also thought of one thing. Konoha's small apples have now grown into green apples, and the original green apples are also well ripe. 2 flavors, and they are all different. It seems we have to find a chance to harvest a wave. After temporarily suppressing the thought in his heart, Shiyu slowly closed the door. Immediately after, Shiyu's attention returned to the lottery once again. There is no unnecessary nonsense, the system's lottery interface was once again called out by him. Looking at the 2 value displayed on it, Shi Yu knew that he still had 2 chances to draw. Advertisement. Call. After taking a sigh of relief, Shi Yu reached out and clicked the start button. With the rotation of the lottery frame, Shi Yu's thoughts have completely returned to this. Next second, the things frozen in the lottery frame made Shi Yu's expression startled, and the whole person almost jumped up. At the same time, the voice of the system also sounded. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the Eternal Kaleidoscope Writing Round Eye upgrade coupon. The appearance of the system prompt is undoubtedly telling Shi Yu that this is not a dream. After 2 years, he finally got this prize. If you had the Eternal Kaleidoscope Writing Wheel Eyes before, you don't need to use the power of the tail beast. Moreover, it can't be maintained for a long time. It's not because Shi Yu's strength is not good, nor is it because Shi Yu's chakra is not enough. It was the lack of bloodline power, but now it is different. With this Eternal Kaleidoscope Writing Round Eye upgrade coupon, he can maintain complete body Susanoo for a long time. Obviously, this thing will replenish the bloodline power. As for how long Shi Yu can last, he may only have to wait for his chakra to be completely exhausted. This result is undoubtedly exciting. In addition, there is an exciting news. Once Shi Yu has used the Eternal Kaleidoscope Writing Round Eye upgrade ticket, then he can choose another, pupillary art, and one of the abilities in Suzuo Novu. This is the root of Shi Yu's excitement. Shi Yu didn't hesitate, and directly used the Eternal Kaleidoscope Writing Round Eye upgrade coupon. Ding! Congratulations to the host on the successful evolution of Zhaolunyan, for obtaining the Eternal Kaleidoscope Shalunyan. Ding! Please choose an ability for the host, Amaterasu, monthly reading, don't deity, Shenwei. Add divine life. Reminder. You can choose again after evolving into Reincarnation Eyes. Look at the interface of the 666 options, Shi Yu didn't expect that there would be another choice. Although the conditions are extremely demanding, Samsara Eyes, it is not impossible here for Shi Yu. Today's Shi Yu possesses the intercolumn cells, which is equivalent to that he can create Ashura Chakra. So now, what he lacks is to be able to make Indra Chakra. At this point, Shi Yu thought of Sasuke, because today's Sasuke is the reincarnation of Indra, and his chakra is undoubtedly implied. The characteristics of the former. But will things really go so smoothly? Shi Yu is not sure that everything will only be known after a trial. T Chapter 254. In order to evolve Reincarnation Eyes, Shi Yu has already decided. If you can, just take some blood during the teaching assistant process. Of course, it's okay for him to ask for it directly, but the method to choose depends on the situation. Anyway, Indra Chakra, he is about to decide. As for whether or not to awaken the Reincarnation Eyes, Shi Yu was also unsure. You must know that, scaly, bit a piece of meat in columns, back then, but after some training and transplantation, he did not wake up in the first time. But after a long period of time, at that time, Madara was already old and dying frequently. At this time, he obviously could not complete the Eyes of the Moon project. That's why he planned such a big conspiracy to resurrect himself. The reason why Madara awakened when he reached old age was not because he was not talented enough, nor because he didn't know how to do it. It's because of the lack of blood power. Indra founded the Uchiha clan, and it has been a long, long time since it spread to Mara. Even though Madara is a reincarnation of Indra, the power of blood is already very weak, which is why he will lose his eyesight when he overuses the kaleidoscope. Therefore, the spot changes in the same quantity to achieve a qualitative change. It is to use time to strengthen the bloodline power, until a certain moment after the bloodline power is sufficient, you will awaken. This view can refer to 6 ways of immortals. To obtain Reincarnation Eyes, at that time, 6 ways of immortals directly evolved into Reincarnation Eyes after the death of his younger brother, Yi Yi, instead of kaleidoscope writing Reincarnation Eyes. This is because the strength of the bloodline power makes 6 Tao immortals directly cross the intermediate process of kaleidoscope writing round eye. He had enough use of Susanoo Nohu in the battle with Itsuki Teruya, indicating that he has mastered the ability of kaleidoscope writing wheel eye. After Indra was only half of 6 Tao immortals' bloodline, although Reincarnation Eyes could not be awakened, it was able to open complete body Susanoo with kaleidoscope writing wheel eyes. Combining all the factors, it is sufficient to explain the awakening of Samsara Eye and the blood power. To be precise, it is the blood of the Dadongmu clan. After some thoughts, Shi Yu didn't think about it anymore. His eyes returned to those 6 options again. Advertisement, Amaterasu, monthly reading, don't deity, Shenwei, add earth life. After a short period of thought, Shi Yu had a result in his mind. Although close divine power, lifetime gender god, and monthly reader, Shi Yu all wanted it, he could only choose one. So, now he had to make a choice. After some trade-offs, Shi Yu finally chose adding Amaterasu. The reason is very simple. He has obtained the pupil technique, Tien, and adding Amaterasu is used in conjunction with Amaterasu. In this way, he can control Amaterasu, for example, form changes, gather with ninjutsu, actively extinguish, etc. As Shi Yu clicked, the voice of the system also sounded. Ding! The ability selection is complete. Please select the eye that needs to be injected. Left eye, right eye, because the last time, Amaterasu, Shi Yu injected left eye, this time he chose right eye. In this way, the two abilities can be seamlessly coordinated, but after the pupil ability of Add Earth Life is injected, the sound of the system. It sounded again. Ding, the ability injection is complete. Please select the desired weapon of Suzuo Nohu. With the sound of the system, 7 options appeared on the interface. Meteor Knife with Meteor Star, Incidental Skill, Heavenly Obstacle Vibrating Star. Conditions of use. Full Body Serrano, 10 Fist Sword, Incidental Skill. Power of Ceiling, 8, Mirror. Incidental Skills. Ignore all physical attacks, Spiral Shuriken. Incidental Skills. Shenwei Shuriken. Conditions of use. Ice Shenwei and Full Body Sequel can be almost Spiral Sword. Additional skills. Burning Fire Dance Whirlwind, 6 Bows Close Black Lens Bracket. Additional skill. Indra's Arrow. Conditions of use. 6 modes of Susanoo. Open black lens bracket, close black lens bracket. Reminder. You can choose one more time after evolving into Reincarnation Eyes. Looking at the last reminder, Shiyu is not too much this time. Great consternation. Because this was already what he expected. It was like this the last time he awakened. Kaleidoscope Riding Wheel Eye. The two were almost synchronized. Meteor Sword. Shiyu already has this weapon. So, this time Shiyu's gaze fell on several other weapons. Since he now only has one eye, Divine Power, he will not consider the weapon of Spiral Shuriken for the time being. Because even if he used the Full Body Susanoo, there was no way to use the attached skill, Shin Mighty Shuriken. This skill requires both eyes to release Shin Might at the same time. Advertisement, Spiral Sword. It's a spiral sword. Its attached ability is a kind of Shining Dun, and this Bloodstain limit, Shiyu has already mastered. So, don't think about it for the time being. Shiyu's gaze fell on the last 3 weapons, 10 Fist Sword, Yaji Jing, and 6 Bows. 10 Fist Sword. Shiyu has already been drawn in the first round of the lottery. Then there are only Yadajijing and 6 Bows, but the latter's additional skill, Indra's Arrow, it needs 6 Ways mode to Suonengu to release. However, the effect of Eternal Kaleidoscope is not required. In comparison, Shiyu chose Eternal Kaleidoscope. Ding! Congratulations to the host, Eternal Kaleidoscope Riding Round Eye, for perfection and success. With the sound of the system prompt, Shiyu's face also showed a strong expression of joy. Now he has 3 weapons in his Suzao Nengu, which are Meteor Sword, 10 Fist Sword, 8 Earth Realm. Meteor Sword. S ability is the main attack. Open black lens bracket 10 Fist Sword close black lens bracket is used for sealing, and open black lens bracket Yataji Jing close black lens bracket is the main defense. The 3 abilities of the 3 weapons are very average, just in line with Toki's heart. Undoubtedly, the current Toki's Susanoo is undoubtedly the strongest. His Susanoo is obtained by him for Eternal Kaleidoscope Riding Round Eyes has reached its peak. If you want to go further, you must obtain the power of 10 tails. At that time, you can let Suzuo Nohu reach the ultimate form, 6 Ways mode Suzunohu, a moment later. After moving his mind from the top of the Eternal Kaleidoscope, Shiyu couldn't wait to start the 5th round of the lottery. The prizes in the front are all levers. I don't know what good things will be drawn in the last round. For this, Shiyu was quite looking forward to it. After a lot of gearing up, the 5th round of the lottery has finally begun. As the lottery frame began to turn, Shiyu's expression became more and more excited, his eyes fixed on the lottery interface. Obviously, he wants to know the result at the first time. Filu reminds you. THR Chapter 255. The North Secret House, in a room. Shiyu stared at the lottery interface intently, and at this moment the rotating frame had slowed down. In the next second, it finally freezes. Ding! Congratulations to the host for getting white eyes. As the system's voice sounded, Shiyu's expression was suddenly startled. At this moment, he was extremely excited, nothing else, just because of this prize, white eyes, one of the 3 major pupils. In the Naruto World, legend has it that the ability of white eyes is higher than Shilenion, but in Hokage the plot has not been confirmed. Therefore, there is no way to verify. White eyes has extremely strong reconnaissance and auxiliary capabilities, with a 360-degree view, and you can see the inside eye of the chakra movement in the surrounding environment. Moreover, it has the telescope eye that can see into the distance and the perspective eye that can see through objects and can also see the other party's meridian nerves and acupoints. Using chakra to multiply the ability of the eye can see things within 1 kilometer in a radius, and its insight is beyond Shilenion. When using white eyes, the entire eyes become bluish-white, the blue veins around the eyes violently, and pupils appear, but the inside is still white. White eyes can enhance its own abilities. It can release chakras from the parts of the hands, feet, and mouth organs, and can release chakras from all acupoints in the body. For example, open black lens bracket Bagwajong Huishin close black lens bracket. This kind of ninjutsu that releases the defensive power of the chakra all over the body cannot be done without open black lens bracket eyes close black lens bracket. The ability of white eyes, Hinata clan, has not been developed at all, such as using pupil power to exude huge coercion. This trick can only be done by Dadang Muhuye. Through the white eyes, it exudes huge pressure, directly shocking the surrounding people to a state of fainting, and can cause substantial damage to the space. This ability should not be an ordinary white eyes ability, because Itsuki Teruya once said to Itsuki Yumura, when you release this trick, with your white eyes, not enough to resist my white eyes. That means that her white eyes has reached extremely high purity, and it is estimated to be close to the next form. As for the one of the magical skills of Itsuki Kagaya, Wangshen Hirasaka, you need to have 3 pupils at the same time. That is, right round eyes, white eyes, and reincarnation eyes, and Wangshen Billionzaga is a kind of ultimate time-space ninjutsu, which can create your own, different space. This magic skill was undoubtedly what Shiyu wanted. The perfect fusion of the 2 pupil techniques, writing round eye, and reincarnation eye, can create the ultimate pupil technique, reincarnation writing round eye. And Itsuki Teruya's eye was on his forehead, but Shiyu obviously didn't want this. Because he is so ugly. If his eyes have evolved into reincarnation right round eye, what should I do with white eyes? If you can't use the 3 pupil techniques at the same time, you can't perform Wangshen Hirasaka. Is it true that Shiyu wants one eye to be reincarnation right round eye, and one eye cannot be achieved? This is indeed a good way. However, Shiyu has a bolder idea. Reincarnation eyes is not the final form of writing reincarnation eyes, evolution, and there is no evolutionary relationship between the 2 pupil arts. Advertisement, but the connection is undeniable. Because these 2 kinds of pupil surgery can be integrated to create Guyu reincarnation eye, and the final form of reincarnation right reincarnation eye. In fact, from this we can know that the 2 kinds of pupil surgery were born out of reincarnation writing round eyes. Writing round eyes, the top of the evolution is eternal kaleidoscope writing round eyes, which is officially stated. As for the reincarnation eye, as long as you have a pure, big tube wood bloodline, plus specific conditions and sufficient talents, you can open it. This is based on the ability roots of writing round eyes, and sending eyes, the same, and you have to switch to use to know that there is no evolutionary relationship between the 2. But what is certain is that both are possible, therefore, this gave rise to Yu's bold idea. Since the writer eyes, and samsara eyes, can be integrated, is it possible to add another, white eyes? I have to say, this idea is simply not too bold. First of all, it is extremely difficult to have 3 pupils, don't said to be integrated. In short, this matter has not set a precedent. Of course, there may be in the Big Tube Wood clan of the alien planet. As for the ultimate pupil technique that the 3 kinds of fusions will create, no one knows, of course, this is only Toki's, it's just a guess. Whether it is feasible or not is still unknown. Although Shiyu does not have reincarnation eyes, he wants to try to fuse Shulunyan and white eyes, Shulunyan. There are kaleidoscope writing round eyes, and eternal the evolution of kaleidoscope writing round eyes. Direction, white eyes, naturally also there. The next form of white eyes is clean eyes, S pupils are no longer white, but purple, blue, yellow, etc. Moreover, there will be no blue veins in the corners of the user's eyes. Open black lens bracket clean eyes close black lens bracket have the ability to penetrate space and perceive spatial fluctuations. As for the other abilities, it is not yet known, since excessive use of white eyes will not cause blindness, there is no such thing as eternal eye purification. But open black lens bracket white eyes close black lens bracket like the open black lens bracket Shulunyan close black lens bracket, it can be strengthened by fusing the eyes of the same race to create a higher purity of open black lens bracket white eyes close black lens bracket and stronger ability. The final form of white eyes is reincarnation eyes, which can be awakened by this method. To put it bluntly, it is the superposition of bloodline power. The reincarnation eyes, created by this method are the most stable, but the price is also tallest. However, the reincarnation eye created by this method is just a huge eyeball, which cannot be transplanted to the human body and can only be used as a special weapon. In addition to this method, there is another method that is to gather the 2 bloodlines left by Ototsukiba village. 6 Dao Shenren Dadong Muyuya. The blood left behind is Indra and Asura. Combining the blood of the 2 races can create reincarnation eye. When his younger brother, Ototsukiba village, went to the moon, only one bloodline was taken away, and the other one was left on the earth. This is the current Hyuga clan. Dadong Mushrin is the white eyes combined with Hyuga flower to create reincarnation eyes. It is similar to the method of reincarnation eye, which is the pure blood power that merges the 2 races. Originally, Dadong Mushrin wanted to merge Hinata's white eyes. But because he fell in love with Hinata, he retreated and chose her sister, Hinata Hanahuo. Reincarnation eye. A pupil technique that can be compared to reincarnation eye, the evolution of right wheel eye, is the pattern change of the eye pupil, while the evolution of white eye is the color change. Advertisement the known, clean eyes, has 3 pupil colors, purple, yellow and blue, and rebirth eye is based on clean eyes. The pupil color changes to black, while the original color is in the white of the eye appears everywhere, making the whole eyes appear purple white, yellow white, blue white, etc. After all the thoughts flashed in his mind, Shiyu calmed down. Now he has just obtained white eyes, let's talk about evolution when it's time. When I return to Konoha, I will get some blood from Hinata to cultivate it and see if it will have any effect. Immediately after, Shiyu directly used the white eyes in the inventory. Ding! Congratulations to the host for mastering the pupil technique, white eyes. As the system's voice sounded, Shiyu's mind also came up with the method of turning on white eyes. After enlightenment, when Shiyu thought, he saw that the originally dark pupils turned from black to white in an instant, and there were blue veins violent in the corners of his eyes. Undoubtedly, Shi Yu has already opened white eyes. At this moment, everything around him is not a secret in Shi Yu's eyes. He could clearly see what Sasuke, Shanlin and others were doing, and Sasuke, Naruto, and Mizutsuki were sleeping soundly. Only Shigeo and Shanlin have not fallen asleep yet. Shigeo is obviously wondering whether what Shi Yu said is true, and whether he can let himself master the original power of the cursed seal. In the event of an accident, the reason for her insomnia must be related to the conversation with Shi Yu just now. This is one of the abilities of white eyes, perspective eyes. With white eyes, Shi Yu's abilities have been perfected, and it is undoubtedly a step up. Now, even if someone hides silently in any corner, he can't escape his eyes. At this moment, Shi Yu couldn't help but sigh softly. Oh, what a pity. The reason Shi Yu sighed was because this perspective eye was too powerful to see through the human body's meridians directly. This ability can be peeping, but it is impossible to appreciate the figure. After a while, Shi Yu retracted his gaze with satisfaction, reached out his hand to touch the violent veins in the corner of his eye, and then looked in the mirror. It's really ugly. It is understandable that the first form of white eyes will actually reduce a person's appearance. In this regard, Shi Yu wants to evolve white eyes to the next form as soon as possible, to chapter 256. After closing white eyes, Shi Yu also stopped playing tricks. He went directly to the bed without thinking about anything else, and soon fell into a dream. After nearly half of the frequent rushes, today I finally settled down. It has been about 10 days since they set off from Konoha to this northern secret house, and basically they didn't stay for too long in the middle. However, starting from tomorrow, they will probably stay here for a while. It just so happened that Shi Yu could cultivate a relationship with Shanlin in these days. After all, he doesn't travel with Sasuke and others the next day. After using it prematurely with Sasuke and others, the real teaching began. However, since the morning, Shanlin's admiring eyes became more and more obvious. In this regard, Sasuke and others did not feel surprised. When Shi Yu is so good, it is normal for Shanlin to like him. Moreover, the former is still the savior of the latter. Shi Yu must first teach Shigeo, because he belongs to the fairy body constitution, and can easily absorb natural energy and fall into a runaway. It's not like Shi Yu has to stop him every time. First of all, Shi Yu first recounted the natural energy thing that was done yesterday with Sasuke 4. Let the latter understand what the inexplicable power that appeared in his body was. It turns out that this weird thing is natural energy. After learning about Shigogo's situation and understanding of natural energy, Naruto asked. Shi Yu, isn't Shigego any special physique? Naruto's question is actually known to Sasuke and others. If Shigego has a special physique, it is impossible to take the initiative to absorb natural energy. But even though they knew it, they didn't know what physique it was, so after Naruto asked this question, they were also very curious. This physique is extremely rare, commonly known as fairy human body. Fairy human body, Sasuke and others all exclaimed. Shi Yu nodded, and then said, because natural energy is called Shanshu Chakra, so this physique is called Shanshu human body. As far as I know, such a physique has appeared in the ninja world. Who is it? Advertisement Naruto. You must have heard of this person, after all, he is recognized as the god of ninjas. After hearing Shi Yu's words, Sasuke was the first to answer. You mean, first generation Hokage? In the words, Sasuke still has a question about the name of the god of ninja, but he has never heard of rumors about the first generation Naruto, runaway. If the first generation also had the physique of Shigeo, it would inevitably be violent. Even if you learn how to control this so-called fairy human body, later, it must be unavoidable in the early stage. But Sasuke thought of another possibility. Perhaps after becoming Hokage, those black spots in the past were erased. Good. After getting Shi Yu's confirmation, everyone was stunned. They obviously didn't expect the strongest man in the ninja world to have this kind of physique, which is undoubtedly a shocking secret. Why do you think first generation Hokage is so strong? You can subdue the 9-tailed beasts by yourself. In addition to Mu Dun's certain restraint on the tail beast, it is because his strength is strong enough. Also, when first generation Naruto was alive, the ninja world was so peaceful and stable. But not long after he entered the soil, the war was set off again. Why is that? Not because of the fear of this ninja god. After hearing what Shiba said, Sasuke took the lead to ask questions. Shi Yu, how do you know this? Hearing this, Shi Yu answered the question. Did you ask me yesterday that there are other fairy mode in this world? I answered yes. And I know from this. When Naruto and Jiraiya also learned psychic art, they knew Miaomu Mountain, this place. Later, I learned from the latter that there are 3 holy places of psychic beasts in this world. They're Miaomu Mountain, Longdi Cave, and Wet Bone Forest. The psychic beast in Miaomu Mountain is a toad, Dragon Cave is a snake, and the Wet Bone Forest is a slug. These 3 psychic beasts are not as fierce and domineering as you think, but why can they become holy land? That's because these 3 holy sites all master a method, a powerful method. That is Cianfa. Advertisement. After hearing Shi Yu's words, Naruto touched his head, puzzled. Shi Yu. We said it wasn't fairy mode, how come it has become fairy method again? Naruto's doubts fell, and Shiyu didn't wait for Shiyu to answer. Shuei was the first to say, "They're not humans, of course they can't be called fairy mode." It's called fairy clam mode, fairy snake mode, what? Naruto nodded as she agreed with Shuei's random name. But if you really want to talk about it, what Shuei said is not unreasonable, but there are also some things that are wrong, just like the white fairy in Longadong can already be transformed into a human form. Immediately afterwards, Sasuke asked again, "Shiyu, what does this first-generation Hokage have to do with?" "When I was learning to summon the Wet Bone Forest psychic beast from Grandma Tsunade, I heard her mention that first-generation Naruto had signed a contract with Wet Bone Forest before it was passed to her. Later, the Wet Bone Forest psychic beast discovered that I was also fairy human body and talked to me about first-generation Hokage." Speaking of Shiba and Tsunade learning to summon slugs, Tsunade was taken aback at the time. Because there is only one slug in the Wet Bone Forest, what Tsunade usually psyches over is only part of the former. Even in the Fourth Ninja World War, Tsunade and Sakura teamed up, but they only summoned the body of the slug, which was 1/10 of 10%. But when Shiyu shot, he was shocked as a heavenly man, and directly summoned the body of Slug. That is, Slug Immortal. Don't say Tsunade was stunned at the time, even Slug Immortal was dumbfounded. Because since she concluded a contract with humans, there has never been a human being able to summon her ontology. Even first-generation Hokage can't do it. Maybe 6 Tao Immortals can, but he doesn't seem to have concluded any psychic beasts. But Shiyu did it, and that's why it didn't make him shocked. She would compare Shiba with the first generation of Naruto. After all, the latter is the best ninja she has ever seen besides Shiba. After this incident, Tsunade liked Toki more and more. Tsunade also had an agreement with Shiyu, and when she was not Hokage, the two went to the Wet Bone Forest together. This incident made Shiyu quite expectant, because by then it must be their two-person world. Chapter 257. After hearing Shiba talk about the 3 holy places, Sasuke 5 got amazing news from it. They didn't expect Shiyu to be a fairy human body. When everyone was in shock, Shiyu's voice slowly sounded. "Jungo, I should teach you how to control this kind of power next. Before teaching, I have to explain to you what is going on in the human body. This will help you better grasp it." Good. Jongwoo was taken aback for a moment and then nodded heavily. Fairy human body is a physique that actively absorbs energy in nature. Ordinary people will die if they absorb too much natural energy without mastering the balance method. However, it is fortunate that Shenren human body basically does not have this risk, or the risk is extremely low. Because this physique can adapt to natural energy, it will only fall into a runaway under normal circumstances. As long as the energy in the body is squandered, it can return to normal. Hearing Shiyu's words, Shigeo also understood why he had gone so violently for so many years but still had nothing to do with him. "Okay, let's start practicing now." Hearing Shiyu's words, Naruto said. "Shiyu, can we learn?" "Can." Shiyu nodded and then said, "However, I am teaching Shigeo's physique. It's just for him to learn to control the flow of natural energy so that he will not fall into a runaway because of the excessive accumulation of natural energy in his body. As for fairy mode, it's not so easy to learn. Certainly, if you are bored, you can also try to perceive the natural energy between heaven and earth. This is the prerequisite for learning fairy mode. Remember, if you perceive it, you can exit the concentration." Shiyu felt that if someone among them could perceive it, then it wouldn't be too late to teach them how to gather Shanshu Chakra and enter fairy mode. Otherwise, everything is in vain. As Shiyu's words fell, Naruto nodded excitedly. Immediately after, Shiyu was letting Shigego sit on the ground, closing his eyes to perceive the natural energy between heaven and earth. And Naruto, Sasuke, Mizutsuki, and Shanlin 4 also did the same. Obviously, they want to try it too. Since Shigego is an immortal body, he has a natural affinity for natural energy, and he soon perceives it. Then Shiyu taught Shigeo to integrate with nature and maintain a dynamic balance, allowing natural energy to flow freely in the body and the outside world, forming a big weak cycle. In the process, advertisement when the natural energy inhaled too much, Shigeo began to mutate and the body slowly began to change. At that time, you will take a shot to suck away part of the natural energy, so that Shigego will fall into a delicate balance again. Just let him master this feeling. Everyone understands a lot of explanations, but whether they can learn it depends on the individual's talent. Shigego has been working hard to move closer to that delicate balance, but Naruto, Mizutsuki, and Fragrant Phosphorus 3 did not move in the slightest. Soon, Shuei and Shanlin gave up. Because they had been in concentration for a few hours, Mao didn't feel it, let alone the mysterious natural energy. Shanlin was originally a perception-type ninja. If he was willing to spend time, he might be able to learn something. But now her mind is full of Shiyu's figure, and she can't calm down at all. Therefore, he simply retired. At this time, Shanlin and Suizuki's gaze swept across Shigo, Naruto and Sasuke 3, and finally locked on Shigogo. Because there is no change in Naruto and Sasuke, but Shigogo does change from time to time. After a while, the curse mark spreads, and then the curse mark fades away. When the curse mark is about to cover his whole body, Tokobo will make his move to keep his balance again, and so on. In the third small after a while, Sasuke's body finally changed. The heavenly curse imprint on his neck started to move a little, but it was quite weak. Moreover, this is not his initiative to release the power of the curse seal. Then the power of the curse seal was affected by the natural energy, and couldn't help but want to release it actively, which resonated. Because the power of curse seal is a weakened version of natural energy, but it's just that, although Sasuke vaguely felt lost, he still couldn't grasp his power. He can make such rapid progress, not because of his excellent talent, but because of the effect of the curse of the sky. He who has cast curse sealing has a certain amount of contact with natural energy, and now it is naturally more effective to perceive it. This is the reason that Shiyu was able to help Sasuke erase the heaven's curse seal, but did not take action. Another half-hour passed. After Sasuke withdrew from entering Dharma, Sasuke said, Shiyu. Although I can vaguely feel the existence of this power, I can't grasp it anyway. Why is this? That's because this energy resonates with the curse mark on the neck, and it is not what you perceive. Curse seal. Sasuke murmured. Good. Shiyu nodded, and continued. Actually, I have the ability to get rid of the power of curse seal in your body. The reason why I haven't done it for so long is that I want to feel this power. This curse seal can help you perceive natural ability better, and it's not too late for me to remove it for you when you really perceive it someday. Advertisement. I get it. Sasuke nodded heavily, his eyes filled with gratitude. Just when Sasuke was about to enter the Dharma again, it was planned by Shiyu. Sasuke, perceiving natural energy can't be rushed. Moreover, you have other training right now, other training. Sasuke muttered, and then said, What do you mean? Seeing Shiyu nodding, Sasuke's face immediately showed a touch of excitement. Shuei and Shanlin didn't know, but he knew it all. Shiyu wanted to teach him open black lens bracket Susanoo close black lens bracket, and if you want to master this ninjutsu, you must awaken open black lens bracket kaleidoscope writing round eyes close black lens bracket. As for how to awaken Sasuke, I don't know. Suigetsu and Aroma Phosphorus are at a loss at this time. Obviously they don't know what the training that Tokiha and Sasuke said just now is, but at this moment, Naruto will appear on Naruto's body. A slight change. The palm of his hand began to harden slowly, and some spots appeared on his face, as if it was about to turn into a stone. Upon seeing this, Shui Yu said in astonishment, Look, what happened to that fellow Naruto? Hey, what an impatient guy. Shiyu let out a bit of angrily, and hurriedly reached out and put his hand on Naruto's body, sucking out the natural energy in his body. Immediately after, Naruto was awakened by Shiyu, and the latter was still quite puzzled. Shiyu, I have already sensed the energy you said. I know. Shiyu was also a little surprised during the words. He didn't expect Naruto to perceive natural energy in such a short time by himself. However, in Shiyu's view, in addition to Naruto's own potential, part of the reason is because of Shigeo. Because this energy is constantly flowing around the body, as long as people who are born with a certain affinity for natural energy, they will definitely be able to perceive it after spending a certain amount of time. It's like Sasuke has the assistance of Curse Seal, Naruto is relying on himself, or he is the blood of Asura. Although there is no awakening of the fairy human body, it is somewhat sensitive to natural energy. Therefore, he can perceive it in such a short period of time. Chapter 258. Shiyu, I have already sensed the energy you said. I know. Hearing Shiyu's answer, Naruto was puzzled. You know why you woke me up. If I don't wake you up, you might have become a stone now. Shiyu gave a lesson. Turned into stone. Hearing Naruto's questioning, Sasuke, Mizuki and Shanlin nodded in unison. Upon seeing this, Naruto was even more puzzled. Shiyu, what's the matter? I asked you to try to perceive, but I didn't make you brainless to absorb it. Shiyu rebuked, and continued. Didn't I say that I had warned before, people who are not Shion human, and do not understand the balance method will die if they absorb too much natural energy. But I didn't notice anything wrong, Naruto asked. It will be too late if you find out, I'm sorry. Hearing this, Naruto quickly apologized and humbly admitted his mistake. Upon seeing this, Shiyu said, Naruto, since you can already perceive natural energy, then I will tell you now how to condense Shanshu Chakra. Shanshu Chakra, Naruto murmured, then said, Shanshu Chakra, isn't it natural energy? Not at all, Shiyu replied, and then said, the chakra made by our body is condensed by mental energy and physical energy, while Shanshu Chakra is condensed by 3 kinds of energy. And this third energy is exactly this natural energy. Only by combining these 3 energies perfectly can a stronger chakra be formed. This cultivation is very difficult, are you ready? Naruto nodded heavily, his face full of excitement. Upon seeing this, Shuei and Shanlin didn't think that among the 4 of them, it was Naruto who was the most talented. Although this result makes Shuei a little uncomfortable, she can only accept it. Naruto, when you are ready, start training with Shigogo. Shiyu, that. Seeing Naruto's hesitation, Shiyu said. Just say something, don't be so twitchy, oh. Advertisement Naruto replied softly, and then said, I don't really understand, what did you mean by just now? As soon as Naruto said this, Shui Yu couldn't help laughing. Shiyu's explanation just now is not difficult to understand, anyway, they all understood. Even Shanlin covered her mouth and smiled. At this moment, she seemed to know why Naruto looked like an Iron Man. And Sasuke is used to it, However, he actually gave Naruto an example that he can understand. For an analogy, it's like beef flavor ramen, with the spicy and refreshing, spicy flavor. Wouldn't it become more delicious, spicy beef ramen? I have to say that Sasuke's example is quite good. With this explanation, Naruto must be able to. Sure enough, Naruto patted both hands and said, "Ah, that's how it is." Seeing this scene, Shuei and Xianglin were shocked. I don't understand this serious explanation, and I have to be fancy to understand the principle. This kind of person is really rare. Well, now that you understand, let's start. Naruto, you practice right next to Shigogo. This will help you to perceive natural energy faster. Remember, if you want to learn Spiral Shuriken, you must pass this level first. Otherwise, I can only teach you a weakened version. That is why Naruto asked again. Wait until you learn Fairy Mode. Oh, Naruto nodded and sat down beside Shigego. After taking a deep breath, he entered the state of concentration again. Upon seeing this, Shiyu's eyes fell on Xianglin and Shuei. If you two feel bored, go for a stroll elsewhere by yourself. Hearing that Xianglin stared directly at Shiyu, then he said something badly. It's getting late, I'll make you some food. When the voice fell, Xianglin tried to think about the northern secrets. Upon seeing this, Suizuki and Sasuke were dumbfounded. Because they have never seen fragrant phosphorus like this, they would be willing to cook for them, which undoubtedly seems to be the first time. The two people in amazement looked at Shiyu, and they knew that this time they must have been exposed to Shiyu's light. Looking at the fragrant phosphorus that went away, Shuei said, "Then I will practice the knife." It didn't take long for Shuei to get the beheading broadsword. This thing was a bit heavy, and he made it difficult for him. With the departure of fragrant phosphorus and Suizuki, Shiyu's gaze fell on Sasuke's body. Advertisement. Let's change place. When the voice fell, Shiyu used the shadow clone technique. Bang! As a white smoke drifted by, a figure appeared in Sasuke's eyes. Immediately after, Shiyu left here with Sasuke, leaving behind a shadow clone to look after Naruto and Shigogo. Shiyu took Sasuke to a place not far from the shadow clone, stopped, and said immediately. That's it. For the place that Tokiba chose, Sasuke obviously didn't make sense. Shiyu's gaze fell on Sasuke, and he slowly spoke. I know you want to beat Itachi, but if you want to defeat him, you must have the same or even higher pupil power. Otherwise, you will never be his opponent. You also know that Itachi has Kaleidoscope Riding Round Eye. I will briefly explain some Kaleidoscope abilities for you now. Hearing this, Sasuke's expression became more focused. After a person awakens Kaleidoscope Riding Round Eye, he will automatically understand a kind of ninjutsu, which is the Susanoo that I said to perform a few days ago. Suzuo Ningu. Sasuke chanted, and finally knew the name of that, ninjutsu. Good. But in a strict sense, it is not ninjutsu, because if you want to stabilize the huge chakra, you need the cooperation of pupil power. It can be said that it is a combination of pupil technique and ninjutsu. In addition to this technique, every Kaleidoscope Riding Wheel Eye has at least one unique ability. Shiba had already laid the groundwork here, and Sasuke wouldn't be surprised if he saw Shiba possessing more than two abilities in the future. Unique ability, Sasuke said in surprise. Shiyu nodded and continued. Remember that you and teacher Kakashi were hit by Itachi's illusion 2 years ago. That trick was the pupil technique of Kaleidoscope Riding Round Eye. It's named monthly reading. It's a kind of illusion, a very powerful illusion. What about his other eye? Sasuke asked again. He wants to defeat Itachi. Naturally, he needs to know more about his strength. Only by knowing yourself and the enemy can you win by surprise. The ability of Itachi's other eye should be Amaterasu. That is a kind of black flame that will never go out, and it will disappear only if the target is burned out. It is the strongest flame in the world today. Chapter 259. From Toki's words, Sasuke also learned of Itachi's ability to ride round eyes in a kaleidoscope. But what makes it puzzled is, how can Shiyu know Itachi's ability to ride a kaleidoscope to the palm of his hand? And Sasuke asked directly. Shiyu, is this news reliable? Can't be wrong? Shiyu affirmed, and then said, these are what I have seen with my own eyes, and heard with my own ears. Not long ago Gaara was captured by the Shao organization, and we met Itachi when we went to the Schwanziguo for rescue. From the conversation between him and Mrs. Kakashi, I learned that the illusion you used in those years was called moon reading, and it was the ability of left eye kaleidoscope. As for the ability of the right eye, that was in a small town tavern 2 years ago. At that time, you lost consciousness after hitting monthly reading. Itachi and his teammate, Dried Persimmon Ghost Shark, were trapped in the esophagus of Iwaju Big Toad by a horny fairy. But in the end they both escaped. After they broke through Owasu Big Toad's esophagus and escaped, clusters of black flames were left in the same place. So it is. In the speech, Sasuke looked stunned, but then he thought of another question. By the way, how did you know that the black flame is the ability of Itachi's other kaleidoscope riding round eyes? It's no wonder that Sasuke will be so curious about what a black flame can represent. Moreover, Toki knows even the name. That's the ability because I can too. When Shiyu said this, Sasuke was immediately surprised. This result was completely beyond his expectation. Based on this information, it is possible that different people's awakened, kaleidoscope riding round eye, abilities may be the same. This should be. Shiyu nodded and said, my Amaterasu is the same as Itachi, and my Shenwei is the same as Kakashi-sensei's. After hearing Shiyu's testimony, Sasuke understood it. But the next second, he suddenly discovered something very shocking, and that was that Kakashi was mentioned in Shiyu's words just now. Shiyu, what did you say, Mr. Kakashi? He is also awakened, kaleidoscope writing round eyes. Seeing Shiba nodded, Sasuke could only believe this fact. He knew that Shiyu couldn't lie to him, but even so, he still couldn't conceal his inner surprise. He didn't expect that Kakashi, who was not from the Uchiha clan, would be able to awaken kaleidoscope writing wheel eye. Shiyu may have been in contact with the Uchiha clan before his ancestors, and now the awakening bloodline can be said to be in the past, but Kakashi should not have this possibility. Otherwise, he won't have to cover Shulenyan. Without the blood of the Uchiha clan, he can't switch Shulenyan freely. This is the best proof. After some consternation, Sasuke returned to the subject. Shiyu, there is a way to solve monthly reading. Advertisement. Sasuke was hit by this illusion twice, obviously there was some shadow. There are 3 ways. Shiyu responded with a reply, and then said, have an equivalent or even stronger, Shulenyan, with stronger pupil power through the action of external force to disrupt the enemy's mental control over you. Sasuke asked again after hearing what Shiba said. There are still stronger eyes than kaleidoscope in this world. Sasuke, who has seen monthly reading, knows the power and fear of Wanwa deeply. The 3 pupils in this world, you can, I only know 2. Sasuke responded softly, and then said, the first is the white eyes of the Hinata clan, and the second is the right round eyes of our Uchiha clan. Yes, you can be forgiven for not knowing, because the 3rd type of pupil eye has only appeared twice in the history of ninja. Twice. Sasuke was shocked, because whether it is the Uchiha clan's Shironen, or the Hyuga clan's white eyes, although it is more difficult to awaken, the genius in each generation can be awakened. Of course, the awakening of white eyes is relatively easy. White eyes can be awakened through cultivation, but Shulenyan can't. He can only activate it through special methods. This is the reason why Shulenyan is called evil eye. Shiyu, what is this 3rd largest pupil technique? This 3rd type of pupil eye is above the white eyes and right round eyes, and it is called reincarnation eyes. Also known as eyes of the 6 paths, as the name suggests, it is the eyes owned by 6 Tao immortals, which is when it first appeared in the history of the ninja world. 6 Tao immortals, Sasuke exclaimed. Reincarnation eye, he hadn't heard of it, but 6 Tao immortals, he had heard of it. After all, that was the originator of the shinobi world. A child may not know it, but by his age, he has already had a lot of experience, and naturally he knows some secrets. You just need to understand this for a while, Shiyu said softly, and then said, okay, kaleidoscope writing wheel eye. Things are roughly like this, now let's start cultivating. Cultivation, Sasuke muttered, and then said, Tokiba, you still tell me the way. Hearing this, Shiyu put a hand on Sasuke's shoulder and said with a smile. Almost forgot. This smile was full of deep meaning, but Sasuke obviously didn't notice anything. Because he didn't doubt what Shiyu would do to him, he didn't have any defense at all. Just after Toki's voice fell, 2 wind-breaking sounds sounded in Sasuke's ears. Advertisement shoo, shoo, da, da. As the 2 figures stopped by their side, Sasuke's expression suddenly changed. He glanced at the 2 people wearing black-red cloud robes, and finally his eyes fixed on one of the figures. This person is not someone else, but his brother, Itachi Uchiha. As for the other person, he is his partner, dried persimmon ghost shark. At this moment, apart from glaring at Itachi, Sasuke still has a touch of surprise in his eyes. Because he didn't expect that at this juncture, Itachi would actually appear. He doesn't know if he is currently an opponent of Itachi, but since he met early, he can only fight to the death. This novel is first published by Dragon. QQ 492,923,872. Don't be fooled by other fakes. Unique Filu novel standby group 672,171,357. Filu novel internal group 1,142,529,731. Filu novel inner group 2929082961. More exciting Filu novels are in the hands of the owner. Welcome to the group. I hope you will not be fooled by those deceptive groups. Attachment. This work comes from the internet and published books. The work is only for readers' preview. Please delete it within 24 hours of downloading. It must not be used for commercial purposes. If you think this book is good, please buy a genuine book. Thanks for your support. Close black lens bracket key points. I hope I can keep this paragraph when reprinted. It's a bit hard to organize, but retention is a virtue. Even if he loses, Shiyu is still there. In his opinion, Shiyu can definitely fight Itachi and even win. Of course, this is the final plan. Because he wants to defeat Itachi himself. If not, why should he practice desperately to ask Shiyu directly? When Sasuke and Itachi looked at each other, Takiwa's hand slowly moved away from the former. But a strange scene appeared, because at this time Sasuke turned out to have his eyes closed, and there were no Uchiha Itachi and dried persimmon in front of him. There was only Shiyu alone, and that was no doubt. Shiyu looked at Sasuke in front of him, saying very meaningfully, whether you can awaken, kaleidoscope writing round eye, depends on you. There is no doubt that Sasuke at this moment has fallen into Toki's illusion. This is the illusory art bloodstain limit, mirror flower water moon. This kind of illusion can be connected to reality, it is extremely real, and it will be injured in reality when it is injured in the illusion. Therefore, according to this situation, Sasuke can awaken in the illusion, kaleidoscope riding wheel eyes. However, the premise is that he has to understand one thing clearly. In addition to experiencing the great grief of the tragic death of relatives and friends, you must not let this grief dominate your thoughts. To have firm beliefs and clear goals requires extremely strong willpower. Whether it is for the great love of all beings or for the personal little love, as long as the love is deep enough, Itachi is awakened by the great love, and the soil is awakened by the little love. The reason why Sasuke was destroyed by the whole clan and when his parents were killed only awakened, Shanguyu Shaolun Yan, that was because he hadn't awakened, Shaolun Yan, at that time. Without Shaolun Yan, I can't naturally awaken, kaleidoscope, the reason why it is only a single Guyu, it is probably talent. This Sasuke didn't awaken after Itachi died, kaleidoscope riding round eyes, because the latter awakened after learning the truth about Itachi killing his family and betraying Konoha. This is his love for Itachi. Just like the two brothers Uchiha Madara and Uchiha Senna, they awakened because their father, Uchiha Dojima, died in battle and wanted to inherit the will of the latter, kaleidoscope riding round eyes, yes, one truth. So, love, this is the root of the awakening, kaleidoscope riding round eyes, to chapter 260. The secret place of the northeast, two figures stood on the broad flat ground. These two people are Toki and Sasuke. At this time, Sasuke is deeply involved in illusion, and Toki is not resting. The precise controller of the illusion, otherwise Sasuke will have the slightest discovery. Although Sasuke's illusion is not as proficient as Itachi, but he has the Shoringan, he is not weak in illusion. Naturally, Shiyu couldn't be careless, otherwise he would fall short. Sasuke stared at Itachi for a moment, and the cold voice slowly sounded. Uchiha Itachi, I planned to find you some time later, but I didn't expect you to come here by yourself. Mr. Itachi, I didn't expect your brother to be here. Ghost Shark said. Don't worry about him, our goal is 9 tails. The Itachi expression in the words was indifferent, and he did not put Sasuke in his eyes. In order not to arouse Sasuke's suspicion, Shiyu made him think that Itachi and Oni was here to hunt 9 tails. In this way, Sasuke will not be aware of the flaw. As Itachi's voice fell, the silhouettes of him and the ghost shark instantly disappeared in place, and they went directly to the place where Naruto and Shigogo were not far away. Upon seeing this, Shiyu said, No, their target is Naruto. Naruto. To Sasuke's astonishment, Toki said, the goal of their Shao organization is to hunt the tail beast. Gaara was targeted by them because the tail beast was sealed in his body. If Naruto is taken away by them, once Kyuubi is pulled away by them, there will only be a dead end. Go ahead and talk about it. In the words, Shiyu put a hand on Sasuke's shoulder, and the Flying Thunder God technique was activated in an instant. Next second, Tokiba and Sasuke arrived at Naruto and Shigeo before Itachi and Oniyu. Seeing this scene, Itachi and Ghost Shark looked startled. Why did they run in front of us? The ghost screamed in surprise, and then saw two Tokiwa standing beside Sasuke. The other Shiyu is a shadow clone, which Shiyu had previously stayed to take care of Naruto and Shigeo's cultivation. In order to truly restore reality, it is natural that there should not be a trace of error. Looking at the two Toki in front of him, after a short period of thought, Giyu said again. Advertisement. Is it a shadow clone? In the eyes of Giyu, only this answer can explain the scene before him. Otherwise, he couldn't think of how Shiba and Sasuke arrived earlier than them. However, Guiyu's speculation was denied by Itachi. One of them is a shadow clone. Besides, the others are real people. In the words, Itachi showed open black lens bracket Shulunian close black lens bracket and saw everything clearly. Could it be that the two I saw over there are shadow clones? It should not be. Itachi denied it, and then said, I only perceived people here before, and the two of them were created out of thin air. It's extra out of thin air. Just as the ghost shark was talking with Itachi, Shigeto was also awakened by Tokiha and Sasuke from training. The enemy is coming, there is no time to practice. Looking at the Itachi and the ghost in front of you, Naruto exclaimed. Uchiha Itachi. Shigego was stunned for a moment, and then echoed, what is Sasuke's brother? As Osamaru's subordinate, he has heard of Uchiha Itachi's name. As soon as Shigego's voice fell, Sasuke's denial sound followed. I have nothing to do with him. In Sasuke's eyes, Itachi was just a cold-blooded person who slaughtered the whole clan and betrayed Konoha. Without knowing the truth, he obviously won't recognize the brother Itachi again, at the same time. After thinking about it, the Itachi on the other side said, if I didn't guess wrong, he should have used a spatial displacement method just now. Space displacement, Gui Yao said in astonishment. Itachi nodded, and then said, you should know why Konoha's 4 generations of Hokage is called Yellow Flash. You mean, Flying Thunder God technique? The ghost look in the words was extremely shocked, and he was obviously reluctant to believe this fact. Isn't it possible? If it were someone else, I would have doubts in my heart, but this Takagawa Tokiha is very likely. Advertisement, the last time I played against him, he was already too much stronger than 2 years ago. I can't see his depth now. Hearing Itachi's evaluation of Shiyu, Guiyu's eyes also showed a dignified look. Because he was hit by Shiyu's illusion 2 years ago, although he felt that he was hit because of contempt. But I have to admit that Shiyu is powerful, because there are not many in this world that can make him illusion. Itachi counted 1, but now there is one more Shiyu. Looking at the Itachi and Ghost Shark on the opposite side, Shiyu asked. Sasuke, what are you going to do? Naturally defeat him. As Sasuke's voice fell, the atmosphere also fell into tension. Mr. Itachi. It seems that if you want to successfully capture Kyuubi, you must solve these people who are in the way. It can only be so, Itachi replied faintly, and then said, Sasuke, let me see what you have made in the past 2 years. If it's still as wasteful as before, you don't even have the qualifications to die in my hands. Shiyu, the other guy will leave it to you. Sasuke snorted softly, and then he didn't talk nonsense, and directly rushed to Itachi. At this point, the battle has begun. I have to say that after more than 2 years of hard training, and with Toki's guidance from time to time, Sasuke's strength can be said to have improved by leaps and bounds. But despite this, the gap between Itachi and Itachi still exists. This shows that Itachi's powerful strength. If you know that Uchiha Itachi has the capital to fight Jiraiya, and Sasuke is still too tender now. Following the battle between Sasuke and Itachi, Takiwa was not idle. Naturally, the act is to make a full set. Originally Shiyu wanted to defeat the Ghost Shark easily, but he couldn't do it. If that were the case, this illusion would also lose its meaning, and in this illusion, everything is controlled by Shiyu. Shiyu wants to make whoever is strong, and he doesn't need any reason. In order to prevent Sasuke from doubting, Shiyu can be defeated at once. When Sasuke and Itachi were fighting fiercely, Shiyu had completely occupied something, crushing the ghost to death. Coupled with the sweeping formations of Naruto and Shigego, there is no suspense. Later, Shanlin and Mizuki also rushed to the battlefield, which made Sasuke think that Toki and the others must have won. However, at this moment, a sudden change occurred. Itachi, Ghost Shark. You guys are so slow. A sound that sounded unremarkable sounded in everyone's ears, but at this time it was like thunder on the ground. Because the owner of this voice is not anyone present, but a strange figure. What is even more shocking is that this person is floating in the air. From this we can see that this person's strong strength is by no means a weak one. But this is not the point. The point is that this person is actually wearing a black-red cloud robe. That is, Akatsuki, the unique logo of the organization. Undoubtedly, this mysterious powerhouse is also a member of Shao. Filu reminds you. T chapter 261. The man floating in the air has orange hair, and black things are embedded in his nose and ears, which seem to be ornaments. However, these things that seem to be just decorations are extraordinary things. Sasuke and the others didn't know, but Shiyu knew it very well. It was the chakra black stick, but it was made by Yin Yang Dun. However, due to the 6 ways of power of the manipulator behind it, it has not yet reached its peak. Therefore, this chakra black stick is a better thing than Chao Dao Yu. It is also because of this. Even if it is not touched by a person with the 6 ways of power, it will not die. But what surprised everyone is that this person's eyes are a little unusual, not like the eyes of normal people at all. And these eyes are the reincarnation eyes. Therefore, the identity of this person is revealed. Nagato is one of the 6 ways of pain, controlled by Tiandao Yahiko. Tokiha wants to create a scene for Sasuke to awaken Kaleidoscope Riding Wheel Eye, and naturally needs a stronger opponent to crush it. And pain is undoubtedly the best candidate. Itachi and Ghost Shark were startled when they saw Heaven Dao appear. Chief, I didn't expect you to come in person. As soon as the ghost said this, Naruto, Sasuke and others were surprised. This result was obviously unexpected. In particular, the name Gyu calls him, which exposes the latter's position in the Shao organization. Shao, the leader of the organization, Sasuke was stunned, and his expression became dignified. He and Itachi's captain are already at a disadvantage, and the latter has not yet used the power of Kaleidoscope Riding Wheel Eyes. It was good news for Shiyu and the others to crush the Ghost Shark, but now that the latter's helper has appeared, this is undoubtedly bad news. Because, this person is not a simple thing at first glance. Hearing the words of the ghost, the voice of Heavenly Dao also sounded again. You can't make a mistake in hunting 9 tails, so I'm here to help you. The Nagato in the words slowly landed from the sky and stood with the Ghost Shark. Seeing this, Shiyu reminded him. Everyone, be careful, this guy's eyes are the legendary reincarnation eyes. Reincarnation eyes. Everyone murmured, some were astonished and some were puzzled. Naruto, Suizuki, Shigeo, and Shanlin obviously don't know it, but Sasuke does. Because Shiyu had talked to him about the 3 pupil techniques before, and this reincarnation eye was the eye that surpassed White Eye and Riding Wheel Eye. Advertisement. He didn't expect Shiyu's raised eyes from the heels of his front feet, and the hind feet of this thing appeared. What is reincarnation eye? Even though he was in the illusion, Shiyu still retained Naruto's iron and Hanham character. It is to become the eyes of the 3 pupils with Baian and Jiaolunyan, but the former's ability is much stronger. The reason why it is called the eyes in the legend is because of the eyes that the founder of the ninja world, 6 Tao immortals, once possessed. Hearing Shiyu's words, Naruto and Shanlin were immediately shocked. There was an extremely shocking look on their faces. Obviously they did not expect to see the legendary eye of the 6 paths in their lifetime. Just when Naruto, Sasuke and others shocked, Tiandao, the voices rang again. Ghost Shark. You are also in Fog Hidden Village. Anyway, you can't even clean up a few little ghosts. Although the ghost shark who heard that was unhappy, the facts were in front of him, and he had to admit that Shiyu was better than himself. The other 444 are okay, but the kid at the head is not a simple thing. I admit that it is not a rival. Never mind. Heavenly Tao replied softly, and then said, I will deal with this kid, and the other 444 will be handed over to you. It is good. Giyu nodded and didn't object to anything. There are also other emotions in reality, but they will not appear in the illusion controlled by Shiyu. Immediately after, the battle continued, but the situation turned from the previous advantage to the disadvantage. Reincarnation I is beyond everyone's imagination, because at this moment Shiyu was not fighting a single person, but 666, moreover, 6 of the 6 had reincarnation eyes. This result was beyond everyone's surprise, even Itachi and Giyu were no exception. It's not that the eyes of reincarnation is the legendary eyes of the 6 paths. Why would there be 6 pairs all at once? But at this time they didn't have time to think about these, because the offensive of the 6 paths pain was too strong. Beast Road. There are 3 psychic beasts, Hellhound, Yatadori, and Centipede. Of course, the psychic beasts of the Animal Tao are far from this. To this, Shiyu is a psychic who has created Fumita Toad, Toad Guang, and Toad Jian, 3 brothers against the enemy. That scene can be said to be shocking. In addition, the Sura Tao and the Hungry Ghost Tao are also a group of sudden. A main attack that uses missiles and physical skills, and a main defense that swallows any ninjutsu together, it can be called invincible. Takiwas, Spiral Pills, Spiral Shuriken, and other ninjutsu were all absorbed. In order to defend against missiles from all directions, Takiwa also used Susanoo Novu. Advertisement. Naturally, the play is to make a full set, and I want to display my top combat power to convince Sasuke that this is true. Human Tao and Hell Tao have special abilities. Simply put, these two are tool people. But the tool people should not be underestimated, and their comprehensive strength can at least be comparable to Shangren, and even elite Shangren. But Shiyu didn't let their abilities show up. This was to explain better later. When he was going to perform missions before, he had passed by Yunnan village. At that time, he had met 6 Tao Pain, but just simply fought and withdrew. Fighting with 6 Tao Pain is not a systematic task, but he wants to see Xiao Nan in advance. Therefore, even if Sasuke asks later why he knows the abilities of 6 Tao Pain and reincarnation eyes, he will have an explanation. Vientian Tianyan, Shen Luo Tianzheng, the 2 abilities of Heavenly Tao, are so incomprehensible that everyone is dumbfounded. Even though they were in battle, both Sasuke and others, as well as Oni and Oni, would take a look at the battle between Tokiba and 6 Path Pain, from time to time. In their eyes, the fighting between the two was like a fight between the gods, especially when the final, full-body Susanoo, against Earthburst Star, the world seemed to be trembling at that moment. In reality, Shiyu wants to defeat the 6 Paths of Pain, completely, let alone in an illusion controlled by him. As long as he wants, a single thought is enough to make the 6 people 6 disappear in an instant, but he obviously can't do this, because his purpose is to awaken Sasuke, Kaleidoscope Riding Wheel Eyes. So, the final result was that Shiyu was defeated. With the explosion of the Earthburst Skystar, it turned into flying ashes, and this battle of God came to an end. And Jungo, Shuei and Xianglin were also killed by the 3 of Human Tao, Hell Tao, and Ghost Scorpion 3. As for Naruto, he originally wanted to use the power of 9 tails, but he was utterly restrained by the power of Shark Muscle. There is no suspense. Naruto is subdued by the ghost shark. Everything is so real, people don't feel that this is an illusion. Sasuke did not expect that even Toki was defeated. This result was really difficult for him to accept. If he hadn't seen the power of Samsara eyes, with his own eyes, he would definitely not believe this fact. This is why Shiyu wants to let 6 Tao Pain play. Otherwise, Shiyu, who is so powerful in Sasuke's subconscious mind, should be invincible in the world. At this moment, Sasuke's face was engraved with pain and unwillingness. The 3 teammates he had just recruited died, and Shiyu, who was also a teacher and friend, was turned into flying ashes in the burst of Earthburst Skystar. Naruto was captured, and he could not escape the fate of death unless there was an accident, and he himself has been defeated by Itachi. He used his strongest move, Thunder Dunkilin, but he was killed by Itachi. The Susanoo Novu was guarded. Chakra was exhausted, and it was extremely difficult for him to even stand at this time. At this moment, a word echoed in Sasuke's heart. Is it over? Undoubtedly, Sasuke knew that he was going to follow in the footsteps of Tokiba and others. He could not support his tired body anymore, and his whole body collapsed. Chapter 262. The fallen Sasuke's mind flashed through the scene of the 3 people 3 being killed, and Shiyu was wiped out. Not only that, at this moment, there are 8 figures reflected in his eyes, 7 of which are the 6 Paths of Pain, and the ghosts that slowly come to him. As for the last one, it was Naruto who was hung on Shark Muscle by the ghost shark. If Naruto hadn't been Coup-tailed Man Julie, I'm afraid he would have died a long time ago. Boom. As a cloud of smoke dispersed, Sasuke fell to the ground. Seeing Sasuke, whose expression on the ground was so dispirited, Itachi's voice sounded slowly. You have indeed grown a lot in the past 2 years, but that's all. If you only have the patience, don't try to protect your friend, your partner. As for revenge, that's it. Hearing what Itachi said, the ghost said indifferently. Mr. Itachi, are you finally going to kill the killer? Hearing that, Tiandao Yahiko said, if you want to do it, hurry up, and we have to go back and finish the work of pulling away from Nine Tails. This kind of waste is not worthy of death in my hands. Instead of killing, let him live and suffer all the torture. Mr. Itachi, you are so cruel. Despite what Giyu said, there was no turbulence in his heart. On the contrary, I still look forward to it. Tiandao Yahiko, hearing this, it didn't save the face of Itachi, no matter what. What was thinking in the latter's mind? Since Itachi wants to save Sasuke's life, let him go. Anyway, Kyuubi has already arrived, and he has to interfere with other things. In that case, let's go. As the voice of Tien Dao fell, Itachi and his group of 8 took Naruto and turned around and wanted to leave. At this moment, a sound suddenly sounded, and many more. The simple 2 words made Dazu and his party stunned for a while, and they couldn't help but glance back at them in doubt. Next second, 8 of them had a look of consternation in their eyes, because at this time, Sasuke was slowly moving up from the ground out of thin air. Yes, he stood up so strangely, but soon, they were. A circle of lavender brilliance appeared around Sasuke's body, like a half-length figure. Immediately after, the color went from light to dark, and then condensed into substance. The arms and ribs slowly evolved, and a formed half-length skeleton appeared, but this did not stop. Advertisement: the flesh and blood and meridians were instantly covered, forming a chakra coat. Undoubtedly, this is the open black lens bracket second form close black lens bracket of open black lens bracket Suzu no Hu close black lens bracket. After the frightened people of Itachi and his group, it was the ghost who broke the silence first. Itachi, isn't this your ninjutsu? Do not. Itachi denied it, and then said, this is the ability of kaleidoscope to write round eyes. Open black lens bracket kaleidoscope close black lens bracket. Giyu gave a stunned cry, and then he locked in Sasuke's eyes, only to find that the latter's eye pupils had changed dramatically at this time. Neither ordinary black eyeballs, nor bloody eyes with the pattern of hexagrams. Undoubtedly, this is Sasuke's open black lens bracket kaleidoscope writing round eye close black lens bracket. Previously, Sasuke was lying on the ground, and countless pictures appeared in his mind. First, the Uchiha clan was annihilated more than 10 years ago, and his parents died tragically, and then this is the death of Shanglin, Suizuki and Shigogo. But for Sasuke, it was Shiyu's ashes that gathered his inner anger the most. Moreover, now Naruto has not been pulled away from Nine Tails, and died, therefore, he feels that Naruto still has a chance to save, therefore, as long as he still has a breath, he will fight to the last moment. Even though he does not know this power it came from there, but Sasuke now has no time to bother about it. Just when he was about to say, I can't live together, I wish to die together. When he spoke boldly, the words of Tiandao Yahiko stopped him in his throat again when he wanted to spit out. Oh, have you finally awakened? Can't be wrong? Itachi echoed, and then said, this, Susanna Nengu, is a special ninjutsu, kaleidoscope writing round eye, only when you are awakened can you understand it. That said, our mission is complete, Ghost Shark said. Hearing the words of 3 of 3, Sasuke was completely stunned. What does it mean to have finally awakened? What task is finally completed? Didn't you come to hunt Nine Tails? Between their doubts, voices sounded in Sasuke's ears. Congratulations. Congratulations. Sasuke's eyes smelled of prestige, and the next second was dumbfounded. Because the owner of these voices is not someone else, it is the formerly dead Shanglin, Shueui and Shigego. Not only that, even Shiyu, who had been wiped out just now, was reunited in midair. At this moment, Sasuke was completely dumbfounded. Why are the attitudes of Itachi, Oniyu and others so abnormal? Why the dead Tokiba and others will resurrect? Am I dreaming? Hearing Sasuke's words to himself, Shiyu descended to him. Advertisement, you are not dreaming, not a dream. Shiyu nodded, and then said, all these are illusions created by me, and you are now in the environment created by me. Illusions? Sasuke murmured, and hurriedly said, you mean I got your illusion? Good. When I reached out and touched my body, you were already deep in the illusion world I created. Seeing Shiyu's admission, Sasuke was puzzled and said, Shiyu, why are you? Didn't I say that cultivation begins, this is practice? In the words, Sasuke was a little dumbfounded. He had never heard of cultivating an illusion. Isn't the power you are gaining right now the result of your cultivation? Hearing this, Sasuke couldn't help but glanced at the open black lens bracket second form close black lens bracket open black lens bracket Susanna Noho close black lens bracket covered on his body. Are you sure this is the power I gained, not you made it? I have spent so much effort to awaken you, kaleidoscope writing round eyes, otherwise, would I be willing to die once? Sasuke was stunned for a moment, and then said, but Toki, this is an illusion, can the power I have acquired correspond to reality? If it is a general illusion, it is theoretically feasible. After all, awakening, Jiaolunyan, relies on the impact of the spirit, and it is the ability to awaken when the spirit is stimulated. The reason why I say the theory is because no one has tried it. However, the illusion I cast is different. This is a kind of illusion that is connected with reality. Everything that happens to the practitioner will follow reality. If you die here, yours in reality will fall with it. This is illusory art bloodstained boundary mirror Washueui. Hearing what Shiba said, Sasuke was taken aback first, then shocked, and finally surprised. Stunned, All of this is too unbelievable, and what is shocked is that there is even a phantom bloodstain limit in this world. As for the surprise, it is undoubtedly the ability of the illusion to respond to reality. If Shiyu had not lied to him, then he has now awakened Kaleidoscope Riding Round Eye. At this point, Sasuke can't wait to verify it in reality. Chapter 263. In the illusion, Shiyu looked at Sasuke's look of expectation and said, "If you want to know the true and false, you will know later." When the voice fell, Shiyu in reality stopped Chakra's operation. And Sasuke in the illusion saw Naruto in front of him, Shanlin, Itachi and others also slowly disappeared, and the whole world was collapsing. After Shiba's figure disappeared, Sasuke felt black in front of him. Next second, when Sasuke opened his eyes, he had already returned to reality. There was not a trace of mess here at this time, obviously there was no battle that he had experienced. Moreover, the sun is still hanging high, in other words, he has been in the fantasy world for so long, and he has actually only spent a moment in reality. This is the power of illusion. Not only can the caster control everything in the illusion, even the flow of time can also be changed. Of course, a talented person with extremely high illusion skills is required. After returning to reality, Sasuke was aware of the fatigue from his body, as if he had just experienced half of a battle. It is also for this reason that Sasuke is sure of one thing. That is that what Shiyu said is true, because his current mental damage is a real response to reality. Sasuke originally wanted to try to start Kaleidoscope Riding Round Eyes, but it was stopped by Toki. Just take a break. If you forcibly open it in your current state, it will cause a great load on your eyes, and even your body will be affected a bit. I see. Sasuke nodded, and then sat down at Shiyu's instructions, adjust his breath. After the simple treatment of Toki, the medical master, Sasuke's spirit also immediately improved a bit. Immediately after, Sasuke closed his eyes and adjusted his breath for about half an hour before opening his eyes. At this moment, Sasuke can't wait, because he already has the memory of opening the Kaleidoscope Riding Wheel Eye in his mind, which was left when he was awakened. Sasuke looked at Toki. Knowing the latter's eyes, Shiyu nodded. Advertisement. After obtaining Toki's permission, Sasuke's immediately stimulated the nerves to create a special kind of chakra according to the memory in his mind. When this kind of chakra touches the nerve cells that control the eyeball, it changes the pupil of the eye. Next second, I saw that Sasuke's originally dark pupils instantly changed into 3 Guyu Jade Riding Wheel Eyes, but when that chakra strengthened, 3 Go Jade Riding Wheel Eyes changed again. In the end it evolved into a hexagram pattern. Undoubtedly, this is Sasuke's open black lens bracket Kaleidoscope Riding Round Eye close black lens bracket. After opening, Sasuke could not help but use his pheasant sword as a mirror to take a look at his open black lens bracket Kaleidoscope close black lens bracket. Looking at the 6-pointed star pattern, Sasuke was determined. Then a purple chakra began to gush out of his body, and finally a sternum was condensed all over his body. This is the form of Susanoo. Seeing this scene, Sasuke also completely believed this fact. If the change of eye pattern can deceive people, but this is not. Shiyu, I really awakened, Kaleidoscope Blood Wheel Eye. Sasuke was extremely excited between the words, and his eyes were full of gratitude when he looked at Shiyu. He knew that without Shiyu, he didn't know if he could awaken Kaleidoscope Riding Wheel Eye, because he didn't even know the method of awakening Kaleidoscope Riding Wheel Eye, and even now that he was awakened, he still didn't understand. I don't know the specific method, but with his cleverness, it's natural to catch. I caught some information. Shiyu, does this Kaleidoscope Riding Round Eye awakening method need to withstand great stimulation? It seems you have guessed it. Shiyu responded with a reply, and then said, it is true. Whether it is the opening of Chulunion, or the awakening of Kaleidoscope, it is inseparable from strong stimulation. It's like when you first awakened, Riding Round Eyes, to protect Naruto, because of the strong will in your mind that allowed you to completely master this pupil technique in battle. Of course, maybe your Chulunion opened as early as 8 years. 8 years ago, Sasuke murmured, and a bloody scene flashed through his mind. The corpses were everywhere, and there was a dead silence. However, this is just a guess of mine. Because if you want to awaken Chulunion, in addition to receiving strong mental stimulation, you must also maintain a certain sense of reason under this stimulation. Only at this time can you master this power. After listening to Shiba's analysis, Sasuke also felt that it was reasonable. Advertisement on that night 8 years ago, there was only fear in his heart, so he could keep his sense. It was also for this reason that Sasuke didn't know that he had awakened the power of Chulunion. Because the power he was afraid of letting pass away in a flash, he couldn't catch it, but when he was fighting with Shiro, he was not afraid, and he was fighting to protect Naruto. After some comparison, Sasuke felt that what Shiba said was reasonable. But at the same time, doubts arose in his heart. Facing Shiyu, he didn't have the nerve to ask. Shiyu, how could you know so clearly? Because when I awakened Riding Round Eyes, it was to protect Naruto and Mr. Iruka, and when I turned on Kaleidoscope, I dreamed that my parents died in the guard battle that 9 Tails attacked Konoha. So it is. Suddenly, Sasuke murmured, and then said, that's why you will create a picture of your own death and stimulate me. I feel that awakening Kaleidoscope Riding Round Eyes requires stronger stimulation, the scene of the tragic death of a loved one or a loved one in person. Of course, this is just a condition. You have to rely on yourself if you can succeed. If you gave up revenge for me and saved Naruto at that time, then you probably wouldn't be able to awaken Kaleidoscope Riding Round Eye. Hearing this, Sasuke's doubts were also answered. Why did Itachi show, monthly reading, twice to myself, but I can't awaken, kaleidoscope right round eye. If you say that you haven't awakened, right round eye, the first time, you can't awaken, kaleidoscope, can speak the past. But the second time, you must know that he already had Chuangguyu writing wheel eyes, at that time, but still did not. Only at this moment did he understand. It turned out that although he was strongly stimulated at the time, there was only fear in his heart, and he couldn't afford to resist. As for wanting revenge after the event, it was useless. Sasuke also finally understood why there are relatively more people in the Uchiha clan who can open the Shulunyan. But kaleidoscope is the reason why it is rare. It turns out that there is still this saying. As soon as I thought about it, Sasuke also admired Tuba more and more. He didn't expect Shiyu to discover the secret of awakening in Shulunyan. I am afraid that not many people in the Uchiha clan, who have passed on for a long time, know it. Moreover, even if one knows, it is impossible to teach after 264. After confirming that he has successfully awakened, kaleidoscope writing round eyes, Sasuke's mood is undoubtedly very good. At the same time, he also thought about Shiyu confirming one thing about Itachi. Shiyu, is Itachi in reality really as strong as in fantasy? To Sasuke's question, Shiyu only gave a 4-character answer. Only strong, not weak. In order to avoid making Sasuke suspicious, Tokiha didn't let Itachi show the completely Susanoo. Of course, Itachi can't do it in reality. Secondly, Itachi's Suzao Nengu, Nengu Zhang's 10-fist sword, and Utaji Jing, Shiyu have not been transformed. Because when he came into this world, he had never seen Itachi show. If it is illusioned, it is not easy to explain. Of course, the real Itachi is also inferior to the illusion, which is like a physical advantage. In reality, Itachi is seriously ill and cannot fight for a long time. Then do you think I can beat him now? Hard to say. Shiyu replied ambiguously, and then said, I have never learned the peak strength of Itachi, so it is difficult to make a judgment. However, at least he must be better than you now. This is indeed the case. Even the current Sasuke is awakening, kaleidoscope writing round eyes. But the use of these eyes is not purely. Moreover, he hasn't mastered the 2 unique abilities of kaleidoscope. Moreover, Itachi's talent itself is stronger than Sasuke. Whether it is combat experience or physical skills, ninjutsu is above Sasuke. Not to mention Itachi's best illusion art. Not only that, Itachi also mastered the Izanami, forbidden techniques. As for whether the latter has mastered Izanagi, it is not known. However, Shiyu is not worried about these because Itachi wouldn't kill Sasuke at all. All he did accept the righteousness in his heart. The rest was Sasuke's love. Are you better than me? Seeing Sasuke whispering, Shiba said. At least for now. You have just awakened, kaleidoscope writing round eye, and you haven't been able to master the abilities attached to your 2 eyes. I can't help you with this, you can only discover it by yourself. Although Shiyu knew what abilities Sasuke would awaken, he obviously couldn't directly say it. Otherwise, it is really an unknown prophet. Such a case will obviously cause countless questions, which is not the result he wants to see. So, I suggest you better familiarize yourself with the ability of kaleidoscope writing round eyes, before you go on the road. Well, I get it. Sasuke nodded, there was no comment. But the next second, another doubt arose in his heart. Right, Shiyu. Advertisement. I saw reincarnation eye in the illusion just now, it's true. Naturally it is true. He answered yes. Sasuke continued to ask. Have you met them? Played once. Shiyu responded, and then said, didn't I tell you before that reincarnation eye has only appeared twice in this world? The first is the founder of the ninja world, 6 Tao immortals, and the second is them. The second of them, Sasuke, who was talking about him, looked puzzled. Isn't Shiyu's words inconsistent and said it was the second one, and said them again and again? Seeing Sasuke showing such a look, he said. If I hadn't fought against them, I wouldn't know that the 6 people weren't humans at all. Not human, yes, they are puppets manipulated. Shiyu replied and explained. The reason why they look like ordinary people is because their flesh and blood still exists. Their bodies should have undergone special treatment, coupled with the fact that they have been nurtured by chakra all the year round, so that they are inexhaustible, making people mistakenly think that they are normal people who have been transformed. So it is. Sasuke uttered aloud, and asked confirmingly, Shiyu, is the reincarnation eye really so strong in the illusion? Nature. Then even you are not his opponent. This is undoubtedly the most relevant issue for Sasuke. In his opinion, if even Shiyu is not the opponent of Samsara eyes. In today's world, it's just that. I can't find a second person, although I haven't tried my best with him, I should. Not a problem. After getting such an answer, Sasuke's heart finally fell. Because if even Shiyu is not the opponent of the person of reincarnation eyes, then if Akatsuki organizes to capture Kyuubi in the future, there is a high probability that the ending in the illusion will become a reality. Okay, let's see how Naruto and the others are progressing in their cultivation. Sasuke nodded, and then returned to the flat ground with Shiyu. It's not an hour before and after they leave here, so the cultivation of Naruto and Shigego hasn't changed much. On the contrary, Pidion brought a bunch of hot food. This caused Naruto to take a swallow when he was cultivating, and when he noticed Naruto's abnormal movement, Shiyu immediately said, Naruto, if you want to learn something, just hold back it. Remember, if you want to integrate yourself with nature, you must be mindful and abandon all distracting thoughts. It is true to say that, but in fact, the food brought by the phosphorus is slightly less. Advertisement: if you let Naruto join in, it wouldn't be enough to eat. So Shiyu just found an excuse by the way, and he could hone Naruto's impatient temperament with the time. Otherwise, even if you are cultivating with Shigego, it will be impossible to learn in a short period of time. However, this kind of perception of the energy of nature cannot be carried out in the illusion. Reality is reality, and it is always a little different from the illusion. The spiritual world of the illusion can only cultivate one's own abilities. Moreover, it has to be mental ability. In the next 3 days, Sasuke started to familiarize himself with his new pupil technique, striving to discover the abilities of the kaleidoscope before Toki left. And Shigeo was able to master the method of balance under the teaching of Shiyu, and became one with nature. In other words, the current Shigeo will not run away at every turn. Of course, if he does not run away under any circumstances now, it will take a long time to cultivate to find the perfect balance. Or learn the fairy mode. However, this result has already made Jongwoo extremely excited. While excited, Shigeo was very shocked. He didn't expect Shiyu to have such an ability. For this reason, he was extremely grateful to Toki. The only person he identified in this world was Junmaro, because the latter was his only friend. Every time he went violently, he would take action to stop him. Therefore, he trusted Junmaro from the bottom of his heart. But now Toki has helped him completely solve the bane of his body, so that he can live like a normal person. Moreover, he could use this power better. Just this one thing gave to Shiyu an incomparable position in his heart. Shiyu, thank you. I teach you the method also has my purpose. You don't need to be like this. Shiyu replied politely, but he was actually testing Jungo to see if this guy has become his own little brother. Regardless of what is your purpose, but you have allowed me to be reborn, and you are my benefactor. If you really want to be grateful to me, then you should have no opinion on what we agreed to before. Shiyu said. You have the final say, I will listen to you. At this moment, Shigeo's attitude changed 180 degrees. It's no wonder that he is like this. Shiyu has the kindness of rebuilding him. This is a great kindness. Don't say let him do something. It doesn't matter if you fight for your life. He, Shigeo, is this kind of person. He is brainless. Oh no, innocent, the kind who must be rewarded for kindness. At this moment, the sound of the system rang slowly. Ding, the task of collecting Shion human body is completed. Hearing this prompt from the system, Shiyu knew that the task of unlocking the 6th reward had been completed. And after Shigeo's matter was resolved, Naruto's cultivation had just started on the right track. After 3 days of practice, Naruto can already condense a bit of Shanshu chakra. Although it looks a bit ugly, it is inevitable. After all, Naruto doesn't have the perverted talent of Shiyu, and can only make progress gradually. But here it can be seen that Naruto does have this talent. However, this fairy mode training is not. You can learn it in a short while. Therefore, Shiyu intends to take Naruto back to Konoha first, because the Longdong trip is also ready. Fate Chapter 265. What, you don't walk with us? Upon learning that Shiyu was going back to Konoha, Shanlin was the first to exclaim. Shanlin's doubts just fell, and before Shiyu could answer, Naruto was the first to speak. Is there any problem? The 3 of you were originally the temporary teammates Toki recruited for Sasuke, nothing more. I don't care what is temporary or temporary, I am I. I just want to be with Shiyu. When Shanlin said this, everyone was suddenly surprised. Even though they knew that Shanlin had a crush on Shiyu during the past few days, they didn't expect the latter to be so bold. Although Shanlin is not as straightforward as it is said, everyone knows the metaphor in her words. It's like a public confession, there are no women at all, and the slightest reserved. Not only that. The fragrant phosphorus between the words directly grabbed Shiyu's big hand, and at that moment, Shiyu could feel the softness of half of the fragrant phosphorus mountain. It's impossible to say that you don't like this feeling. After all, Shiyu is not a saint who sits on his feet. Even if he hadn't crossed before, he was just a teenager in his 20s and early 20s. Upon seeing this, Shui Yu couldn't help but say, Shanlin, you are too shameless. Humph, I want you to take care of it. Seeing that Shuei and Shanlin began to quarrel again, Shiyu also didn't withdraw, so he could only speak on his own. After a lot of hard work, he finally persuaded the fragrant phosphorus to follow Sasuke temporarily. When he was about to separate, Shiyu said, Sasuke, remember what I said to you. I will confirm it myself. Sasuke responded, and then said, if it is as you guessed it, I will find the truth from him. In Sasuke's mouth it wasn't someone else, it was Itachi. After awakening, kaleidoscope riding round eye, Takiwa gave Sasuke some reminders. That's why, Itachi, did everything possible to make him hate himself, and even hesitate to use monthly read twice. You should know that Itachi may awaken Sasuke's Sharingan by doing so, and even open the kaleidoscope Sharingan. Advertisement: if the latter really disdains him, why should we make Sasuke stronger in disguise? This is a question worth pondering. Secondly, why the brother who once loved him so much would become a murderer in an instant. What's the secret? The conversation between Shiyu and Sasuke made everyone confused. Shigeo wouldn't ask, and Shuei didn't bother to ask. Shanlin was indifferent, and only Shiba was in her eyes, but Naruto couldn't help it, and said, I said Shiba, what are you talking about with Sasuke? Nothing. Shiyu responded, then glanced at everyone, and said, that's it, keep in touch. Sasuke nodded, and did not say goodbye. Upon seeing this, Shiyu smiled slightly at everyone, and then stretched out his hand to put his hand on Naruto's shoulder. Next second, the two disappeared in the eyes of everyone, as if they had never appeared before. In this regard, Sasuke didn't have any consternation, because he had become accustomed to it. For nearly 3 years, every time Shiyu came to see him, he was always fascinating. However, it was the first time that Xiangyu, Shuei and Shigego had seen it. Although they had heard of Shiyu's flying thunder god art, they had never seen it with their own eyes. Today, they have undoubtedly seen it, and because of this, they once again understand the power of Shiyu. In their eyes, Shiyu has surpassed the Oshimaru. And in their hearts, Tokuga's status is far beyond that of Osakimaru. With Takiwa and Naruto's departure, Sasuke is in Wazuzuki, Korin, and Shigego 3 briefly talked about the purpose of this trip. Then on the road. At the same time, Shiyu and Naruto also returned to Konoha, but the first thing they did when they came back was not to report to the Hokage office. Instead, I went to open black lens bracket Yile noodle shop close black lens bracket. Seeing Shiyu and Naruto appear, Uncle Yile said. Oh, it's Shiyu and Naruto. I haven't seen you for half a month. Did you go on a mission? Shiyu nodded, and Naruto said, so, Shiyu and I will come to patronize this time. Then the relationship is good, the first bowl is free. Uncle Yile arrived. Thanks a lot. Shiyu said in a courteous voice, but did not decline, because that would seem strange. What are you polite? You are regular customers in our shop. The calamus on the side spoke. Hearing this, Shiyu joked. I said Sister Changpu, you are not young anymore, it's time to find someone. Advertisement, you little guy, you actually teased me. The calamus shattered lightly, but it didn't mean to be angry. First of all, I am no longer young, and I will be 16 in a while. Secondly, I think Uncle Yile wants to hold his grandson, otherwise, I wouldn't be so happy to see us every day. Hearing Shiyu's words, Uncle Yile couldn't help but give him a thumbs up. In fact, he has said this to Changpu hundreds of times, but it is useless. In the end, I had to go with the flow. Seeing Shiyu and his father winking, the iris who noticed it said. Brother Shiyu, since you said you are not young, then I will choose you. As soon as Changpu said this, several people were stunned. Even Shiyu is no exception. He originally only wanted to tease the latter, but he didn't expect the latter to use it. After a slight daze, Shiyubi smiled and said without a smile. Although I don't mind, Uncle Yile is afraid that he won't agree. How could be, as the saying goes, the third female college holds gold bricks, and the sixth female college holds 2 bricks. Changpu said with a smile on his face. When I heard Changpu's words, Shiyu was actually very happy in his heart. For beauties, he naturally never refuses to come, however, everyone naturally treats it as a joke, even Shiyu is no exception. Because she has relatively little contact with Changpu, except for the occasional noodle shop to eat noodles. The closest contact is undoubtedly the last time she was cooked by the kitchen. After the abduction, Shiyu and his group 3 went to rescue her. It was also because of that incident that the relationship between the two became so close. Therefore, Shiyu didn't mean to be angry just when he teased her about the latter. But as for what Changpu is thinking now, no one knows, at least so far. Shiyu has seen too many clues. Only knows that the latter likes herself very much, but can't tell which kind of, like. He used to lean toward his siblings, but today he suddenly leans toward another possibility. After a lot of joy and laughter, Shiyu and the two who finished eating the noodles also headed for the Hokage Tower. Since I'm back, at least I have to report it to Tsunade. T Chapter 266. Naruto Office. When Tsunade saw Shiba and Naruto return, there was also a smile on his face. Everything is done. It's done. Hearing Toki's response, Tsunade said, then take a good rest these few days. I guess Jiraiya should be back in a few days. Oh, right. Go and see Kakashi. Although the guy didn't say anything on the surface, I can hear a trace of worry in his words. New. Shiyu nodded, and after a few brief conversations with Tsunade, Kazuto Naruto left. Looking at the boy who disappeared in Hokage's office, Tsunade looked contemplative. Is he really just a boy under the age of 16? Having been in contact with Shiyu for so long, she felt that Shiyu's maturity and stability were completely inconsistent with his age. Because of this, Tsunade's mind couldn't help but a touch of groundbreaking thoughts surfaced. But the idea was immediately killed by it in the next second. What am I thinking? Although his character is mature and stable, he is a child after all, and I. At this point, Tsunade also stopped talking. I got up and looked out the window. My rolling eyes didn't know what I was thinking. After leaving the Hokage Tower, Shiyu and Naruto were separated. It's not early today. And they also came back from the Northern Secret House, just now to take a good rest, so they decided to visit Kakashi tomorrow morning. However, Shiba ran into Sakura and Ino on the way home, and they seemed to have just completed the learning content specified by Tsunade. After Ino found out that Sakura and Tsunade had learned medical ninjutsu, she also saved her face and let Sakura teach herself. Later, Shiyu and Tsunade mentioned by the way, and the two of them had studied with Tsunade together. It's okay if Yu doesn't show up at this time, the two basically won't be able to draw their swords. But if Shiyu appeared, it would be terrible, just like now. The moment they saw Shiyu, their listless pretty face instantly glowed with brilliance. I can't wait to go back and put on a good makeup look and show my best side in front of Shiyu. 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 The two screamed in unison, and then trot to Shiyu to become stronger, and two pairs of beautiful eyes fell directly on Shiyu's body. One person pulled Shiyu's arm, and it was no different from fighting for favor. Shiyu felt the softness from the mountains halfway between the two, knowing that the two women nowadays have matured and are old enough to be picked. Advertisement, however, in comparison, Kozakura is really small, no wonder Ino calls her airport every day. NS. However, relative to them, Shiyu felt that the Shiri Hong and red beans should be taken down first, otherwise the mature flowers would wither over time. Shiyu, you just came back. Seeing Shiyu nodding, Ino asked again, you probably haven't eaten yet. I just ate a bowl of noodles, one filled my stomach. How can you be full with noodles? Ino responded, and then said, why don't you go to my house for dinner? My mother just marinated pig's feet today, it's fragrant. Hearing that Ino was so courteous, Sakura was unwilling to lag behind. What's so good about braised pig's trotters? My dad's sauced beef is a must. Shiyu, let's go to my house, go to my house. Ino hurriedly said, my home, Kozakura replied. Just as the two were arguing, a word suddenly came out of Shiyu's mouth. Out. Stop. The two women who heard this were stunned, and immediately fell silent. In order not to disappoint you two, I took a compromise. You two guess the box, whoever wins today I will go to dinner. Don't be discouraged by the one who loses, I'll go tomorrow. As for whether it's Ino's stewed pork's trotters is delicious, or Sakura's sauce beef is better, I only know if I have tasted it. What do you think of this? Shiyu's remarks directly confused the two who were jealous of the wind. In fact, their original intentions were not like this. But now, it was Shiyu's senior management who compared whose food was more delicious, and the battle for her husband was resolved in a disguised form. Although reluctant to do so, they are also helpless. Because this is undoubtedly the best way at the moment, when I saw whose food was more suitable for Shiyu. As the saying goes, if you want to keep a man's heart, you must first keep his stomach. I agree. Advertisement. I have no objection. After the two responded to Shiyu's question, they began to guess the box under Shiyu's witness. Today's luck seems to have fallen to Sakura's side, I won. Humph. Ino snorted coldly, and then said, what can I do if you win? It would be miserable if your family's meals are out of time and use appetite. Although a little unwilling, Ino could only laugh at it. After all, this was what they agreed to Shiyu in person, and she naturally couldn't go back. Of course, the most important thing is that Shiyu will still go back to her house for dinner tomorrow, but it is only one day late. Good food is not afraid of being late, she is convinced of this sentence. It is like her absolute figure has a unique advantage over Sakura, especially the pair of towering mountains. Among the younger generation, few people can stand up against it. Shiba followed Ino's helpless gaze and followed Sakura. After a while, Kozakura pointed to a house and said softly, here, this is my house. Looking at the house in front of him, Shiyu was also full of thoughts, because this was his first visit to Kozakura's house. Creak. As the door was opened, the figure of a woman caught Shiyu's eyes. She was an ordinary-looking middle-aged woman, neither beautiful nor ugly, with a medium appearance. She couldn't compare with such beautiful women as Uzumaki Kushina and Uchiha Makoto. Sakura, I'm back. Sakura's mother in the middle of the word saw Shiyu and couldn't help asking. Sakura, this one is. He was my former classmate at ninja school, and we also performed missions together later. Furthermore, I was able to worship the Master Tsunade, thanks to his help. After hearing Sakura's words, Sakura's eyes changed when she looked at Shiyu. Obviously, he also heard Sakura mention this matter. She also told Sakura before that she would take Shiyu to the house for a meal, and thank them very much. But at that time, Kozakura obviously didn't have this mental preparation, so it has been delayed until now. Bring a boy home, which obviously has a deep meaning. You are Shiyu, right? Hello auntie. Seeing Yingma's inquiry, Shiyu also responded politely. Okay, so don't stand here, go into the house and do it. Sakura's mother led Shiyu into the house, and Sakura immediately talked to Dad Sakura about the sauce beef. So, the couple started playing in the kitchen. As for Sakura, after a lot of hustle and bustle, Shiyu invited Shiyu into his boudoir with a little shyness. Chapter 267. Kozakura's boudoir is extremely clean and tidy. If nothing else, Kozakura should have cleaned up before letting Shiba in. Otherwise, even a girl's boudoir can be so neat and tidy, and people can't find the slightest fault. If so, there is only one possibility. That is, cleanliness. However, Sakura's ability to enter her boudoir as a boy undoubtedly shows Shiyu's position in her heart. And Sakura's father and Sakura's mother were naturally happy when they saw Sakura taking a boy home for the first time. Although Sakura is not yet the age to talk about marriage, dating is indispensable. As a ninja, you have less personal time than ordinary people. If you can't talk about a relationship in advance, you will probably only have a blind date in the future. This is obviously not what they want to see. Sakura is almost 16 now, and they won't interfere at this age. As long as the target is good, they are happy to see it. People who become parents always want to hold their grandchildren at a certain age. Especially the boy Sakura brought back, and they were quite satisfied, because Konoha where Shiba was in could be regarded as famous. This is also the reason why they will be surprised when they see Shiyu come home, and they are obviously very satisfied with Shiyu. If Sakura can do something good with Shiyu in the future, they will definitely not stop it. Both parents are like this, and they all like their daughters to marry a capable daughter. In this way, they will be able to worry less in the future. While chatting in Sakura's boudoir, Shiyu noticed that the latter became increasingly shy. Moreover, sometimes it seems to be hiding something. At that time, when Yu secretly turned on the ability of white eyes to observe, she really found the weirdness in it. It turns out that there is a picture book hidden in Kozukura's futon, and it is almost full of portraits of Toki. This is probably the secret love in the legend. For this, a smile flashed in Shiyu's heart. He knew that as long as there were no accidents, Sakura had basically won it. As for when to pick, it is natural to find a good time, but it is obviously not at the moment. After all, other people's parents are still there. After a while, following Ying's mother's call, Shiyu and Sakura left the boudoir. Dinner table. Advertisement. Sakura's parents looked at Shiyu with kind eyes, nodded from time to time, and kept giving Shiyu some vegetables. Ignore their daughter completely. Shiyu was very comfortable with this meal. Especially the sauced beef made by Dad Ying is a must, and Shiyu is full of praise. Because of this, Dad Ying still asks Shiyu to come often when he is free. Shiyu didn't refuse this either. Hearing the conversation between the two made Sakura very happy. He was still a little worried about whether his parents would dislike Shiyu, but now it seems that he is superfluous. After dinner, Shiyu was sent off by Sakura, and when Shiyu was about to go home and get a good night's sleep. But he met a person he knew well. Konoha's illusionist, Yurihong. Seeing this, Shiyu stepped forward and said hello. Teacher Hong, what a coincidence, it's a coincidence. Shirihong replied coldly, and then said, I was thinking why you rarely come to my house for dinner during this period. There are other places to eat. Undoubtedly, Shirihong's tone was jealous. This was something Shiyu didn't expect, and even Shirihong didn't think that he would be like this. There was nothing wrong with her words, but her tone and expression betrayed her. They all say, I want to get caught. It's the 36 tricks of teasing girls, and now this effect is indeed correct. Some time ago, I seldom went to Shirihong's house for dinner, and in the past half a month, I went out to perform tasks. But today, I just came back to Xiao Sakura's house to eat and I happened to be bumped into him. The combination of various factors turned out that this big beauty that everyone coveted was subconsciously jealous. Teacher Hong, I have just returned from my mission. You don't need to explain anything to me. Shirihong left a sentence and turned away. Advertisement. The steps under her feet are a bit rush, and she doesn't know why she is like this. Obviously, as an elder, he actually took the jealousy of a junior. Looking back now, it seems that this is not the first time. Because Kurama Yakumo has lived in her house for half a year, but it was fine at the beginning. But afterwards, whenever she saw Yakumo haunting Shiyu, she always felt a little uncomfortable in her heart. It was not until Yakumo returned to the Pommel Horse clan that her emotions slowly faded. But today, this emotion was mobilized again, and because of this, Yurihong, who walked away quickly, secretly said in her heart. What the hell am I? Could it be that what Shi-Yan said is true? I really have a different feeling for that guy. The Shian in the red mouth of the evening sun is not someone else, but the lover of Moonlight Hayate, Azuki Shian. The latter is also one of Konoha's few beautiful ninjas. But in Moonlight Hayate, it was Osemaru's Noah Destruction Project, who died 2 years ago. From then on, Azuki Yuyan dropped off his original job and left Anbi. Because with her emotions, it is no longer suitable to perform tasks in Anbu. Shirihong had some friendship with her at first, but later because of the special nature of Anbi, she rarely had contact. But now that the latter withdrew from Anbi, the two met naturally a lot more frequently. Because of this, Shirihong accidentally mentioned Shiyu's affairs. However, she did not indicate who this person was about this. Uzu Shian did not follow up, but only answered Shirihong's question. As a person who came by, the answer she gave was, Shirihong was moved in love. Shirihong didn't believe this at first, but afterwards, she found that many things were just like Uzu Shian said. But she still didn't think it was a relationship between men and women. Knowing that Shiyu was sent out of the house by Sakura just now, she believed this fact. For example, just now, she was a little unable to control her emotions. Becoming Shangnin, as she has known the teacher for so long, this is the first time she has become sulky because of this kind of thing. That's why she left in a hurry. Seeing this, Shiyu didn't immediately catch up to comfort him. Because he knew that it was not the time yet, only after Yurihong digested and accepted this fact, when he appeared, everything would be a matter of course. If you just let it go, it's probably coaxed on the bed. At this point, Shiyu is also thinking about what wonderful things will happen after seeing Yurihong again. Chapter 268. After the episode of Shirihong, Shiyu headed for his home. Along the way, what he thought of in his mind was no longer the wonderful thing with Shirihong, but about the reincarnation eye. Because after spending 3 days in the Northern Secrets, he got Sasuke's blood. After he incorporated the Sasuke's blood into the body using the characteristics of fairy human body, there was no sign of awakening reincarnation eye. It is also because of this that his original speculation was established. Awakening reincarnation eyes requires sufficient blood power, and intercolumn cells implanted in Para-S body also takes decades to have enough power to open reincarnation eye. He has only been implanted for a few days, obviously not enough to start. What's more, Sasuke is the next generation of Indra, reincarnated, and his blood power is naturally weaker than Spot. Of course, it's not completely unprofitable. Although he could not awaken Samsara Eyes, Shiyu felt that Samsara Eyes' ability seemed to have been improved. Not surprisingly, this is the influence of the bloodline power. It is because of the bloodline power that the Chulenyan of Bara is stronger than the average Uchiha tribe. This can be seen from the fact that he can regard Nine Tails as a psychic beast. The strength of bloodline power cannot be changed by the level of talent, and this point is helpless even for Shiyu. Sasuke was able to awaken and instantly awaken Samsara Eyes, not by the interpillar cells, injected by Pocket, but by 6 paths of yin power, injected by 6 paths of immortals. 6 paths of yin power is spirit energy, half the power of 6 paths of immortals. And Naruto gets the open black lens bracket power of the 6 paths of yang close black lens bracket is open black lens bracket physical energy close black lens bracket, so he can create physical life. These two are one of the energies that make up chakra. This is also directly related to why Sasuke awakens only one reincarnation eye. Simply put, the 6 ways of power obtained is incomplete. As for why it is Guyu reincarnation eyes that are awakened, it may be a problem of talent, or maybe the power of the 6 paths of yin is not enough to provide the awakening of 2 eyes, so all the effects are on one eye. But in the final analysis, it is the foreshadowing that Kishimoto buried. That is to say, reincarnation eyes and right wheel eyes can be integrated. This can be proved by the existence of reincarnation right wheel eyes. After some thoughts, Shiyu also knew that he wanted to awaken the reincarnation eyes by absorbing Sasuke's blood. This method might be feasible, but I don't know how long it takes to cultivate to create 6 chakras that can open reincarnation eyes. You need to know that the chakra of Bara itself is Indra, but it took decades to cultivate Asura with intercolumn cells. And Shiyu itself is neither Indra nor Asura, so this process will undoubtedly take longer. Although Shiyu's ability can speed up the process a bit, it can't be done immediately. Create enough 6 chakras. In the final analysis, it is still a bloodline problem. It is obviously not an overnight thing to let the 6 Dao Shenren, Dadamu bloodline, be derived from your own blood. Since he couldn't immediately awaken reincarnation eyes, Shiyu could only let the flow go. Moreover, he wants to get reincarnation eyes, and this is not the only way. You must know that among the prizes in the lottery, he got one thing. That is, blood of Indra. Since there is such a prize, then estimate blood of Asura. Advertisement even, blood of the 6 paths, is possible. Therefore, Shiyu's primary goal now is to complete the tasks of the system and get enough draws. Moreover, after gaining 1,000,000 talents, he calculated one thing. That is how to find the existence of the 6 Dao immortals in the spiritual dimension. This requires a premise. That is to use 6 Dao chakras as the medium 6 Dao immortals are able to convert. The spirits of Sasuke and Naruto are pulled into the spiritual dimension where he is, because they are in the chakras that remain on their bodies when they fight in Madara. 6 Dao Madrasa already has 6 Dao chakras. When Naruto and Sasuke were fighting with Itsuki Teruya in a dimensional space, 6 Dao Madrasa relied on the remains of 6 Dao Madras to the real world. This is the best proof. Otherwise, even the current Shiyu would not be able to accurately locate the spiritual body of the 6 Dao immortals. In which spiritual dimension? There are countless spiritual dimensions, and there is no way to lock it without a medium. Simply put, 6 paths of chakra as a key to the spiritual dimension of 6 paths of immortals. Before Shiyu went home, he went to find Sai. Tell him, since you are now a member of Kakashi class, you are naturally going to meet the real leader of this class. Since Shiyu had put some effort on Sajing, naturally he wouldn't change halfway. In order for the latter to be completely rebellious, this is still necessary. In addition to making Sai his own little brother, his real purpose is to discuss the old guy Danzo. The next day, Shiyu and Naruto met at the agreed place, but what puzzled Naruto was that Shiyu said that he still had to wait for someone. I said, Shiyu, who are we waiting for, Captain Yamato? No, Teacher Akai, nor, after guessing whether the two of them weren't, Naruto fell into deep thought. Next second, a face suddenly flashed in his mind, and he said again, Shiyu, don't tell me that it's that guy. Oh, you are smart. As soon as Shiyu's words fell, the guy in Ming's mouth appeared. Advertisement, Shiyu, Naruto, can I participate in your conversation? Hearing this, Shiyu and Naruto looked at them instantly. It is not someone else who catches the eye, it is Sai who is waiting for them at the moment. Seeing Shiyu and Naruto staring at them silently, Sai became a little embarrassed and hurriedly explained. Then that, I read some books, and they said that the way to get acquainted with others as soon as possible is to communicate with them more. The book says that you can call each other's name directly, and you can even use a nickname. This will make you look very close, and you can quickly become friends. In this regard, Shiyu still had a calm expression on his face. But Naruto is different. In the past, he didn't like Sai because of his fake face. But at this moment, Sai's words are undoubtedly from the heart, the most sincere. For this reason, they are recognized by Naruto. Sai, I didn't think you would care about this. Naruto, who was speaking, hugged his head. Watching Sai at this moment is no longer so annoying. No wonder it was so late last night, and you were still there. Where's the library? Sai smiled when he heard Shiyu's words. Sorry. I originally wanted to give you a nickname, but I can't figure it out all the time, so I can only call you by your name. You don't have to think about those things deliberately, just feel free. Naruto. All right. Stop the ink, let's go see Teacher Kakashi. Hearing Shiba's words, Naruto and Sai also nodded, and then the three of them headed towards Konoha Hospital with joy and laughter. Chapter 269 Konoha Hospital, in room 12. Kakashi looked at Shiyu and Naruto in front of him, and the worries in his heart disappeared. After a simple greeting, his gaze fell on Sai. You're the new player, Sai. Please advise. During the words, Sai stared at the white-haired man in front of him, but he muttered in his heart. This man is the famous Kakashi Hagi in Gen. Before, he must have investigated my affairs. Shiyu, you did a good job this time. Kakashi praised Shiyu and the others. Undoubtedly, he already knew the news of Oshimaru's death. This result didn't make a sensation Konoha. It was rumored that Sasuke killed Oshimaru, and now the latter has become Konoha's rebellious forbearance. Except for the individual insiders, the news is incredible. Didn't it say that Sasuke went out to practice? Why would he be entangled with Oshimaru now, and also killed the latter? Regarding this, Konoha's explanation was that he was not going to practice but was caught by Oshimaru. Gone. Now that things can't be kept secret, they naturally want to give a reasonable excuse. But as for the truth, only a few people know it. It would be excusable for Sasuke to be unable to return to Konoha if Oshimaru is not dead yet. But now that Oshimaru is dead, Sasuke still has not returned to Konoha. Therefore, Konoha can only temporarily give the latter a rebel. The identity. The purpose of this is to shut up some caring people, so that you can block Yo-Yo's mouth. But this is only the first. The second is to allow Sasuke to better contact the Akatsuki organization. Konoha. Rebellious ninja. With this identity, Akatsuki's organization can be less defensive against Sasuke. This is what Shiyu and Kakashi are talking about right now. Kakashi has known about Sasuke, so it doesn't hurt to tell him about this follow-up plan. But Kakashi was surprised that Shiyu let a Sai who came out of Gen. know about this. Although he was very surprised, he didn't intervene in person. He knew that Shiyu was always cautious in doing things, and since he dared to reveal it in front of Sai, he naturally had his plan. Only the reason, he can only find a time to ask in private. When Kakashi was talking with Shiyu and others, the door of the ward was suddenly opened. Squeak. Following a slight noise, 4 figures came into the eyes of Shiyu and others. It was not someone else, it was Asmaban. How is the body recovered, Kakashi? The first opening is naturally Shikamaru, Denji and Ino's mentor, Sarutobi Asma, the son of 3 generations of Naruto. Seeing that Shiyu was there, Ding Si had a simple expression. How are you guys? Advertisement. Ding Si did not forget to chew the potato chips in his mouth during the words, and he was still sending them piece by piece in his mouth. Seeing that Shiyu was also there, Ino hurriedly said. Teacher Asma, you should knock on the door first. Shiyu and Naruto are also there, Shikamaru said, and then his eyes were on Jing's body, and he asked softly. Presumably this is your new friend, right? Hello, my name is Sajing. Sai greeted him, and then gave his name. Shikamaru and others looked at Sai a little, and their first impression of the latter was not bad. Of course, if it was Sai who was completely ignorant of human relations and sophistication before, it is estimated that Kamaru and the others would be as disgusted as Naruto was when he died. Looking at Sai, who was slightly similar to Sasuke, several people also thought of Sasuke. They didn't expect that Sasuke, who had disappeared for 2 years, was not going to practice, but was robbed by Oshimaru. Now that Sasuke is judged to be rebellious, this is undoubtedly a pity. Of course, this is only a unilateral ruling because Sasuke has not returned to Konoha. After all, Sasuke has not done it so far. The matter of damaging Konoha, if he can return, Shikamaru and the others will also be happy. But Ino and Dingsi only saw this, but they didn't think deeply like Shikamaru. Shiba and Naruto were Sasuke's teammates, but they didn't seem to care too much about their appearance. Others may think that the two of them are reluctant to show it, but the smart Shikamaru has noticed something wrong. Pulling Shiyu to the corner, he asked in a low voice. Shiyu, Sasuke him, don't worry, he will be back. Shiyu didn't give much explanation, just gave a very affirmative answer, but the words were full of meaning. Whether you can understand Shiyu's profound meaning depends on Shiyu's cleverness. After hearing this, Shiyu's face showed a comprehensive smile after a little thought, and he replied 4 words. I see. Then the two looked at each other and laughed. There was a feeling of sympathy. Although Shiba didn't understand Shiyu's specific plan, he could probably guess that all of this was Shiyu's plan. If not, the latter will not give him such a sure answer. Oh, yes. If you need my help next, just say it. Anyway, the damn Chunin test is over. Don't be bothered by that time. Shiyu teased. He knew that Shikamaru was the most annoying troublemaker. Advertisement. I may not be dedicated to other people's troubles, but yours is another matter. It seems that I can't pay you, buddy. When Takiwa and Shikamaru had a very happy conversation, Asma suggested. It's rare for us, Class 10, to get together with Class 7, you guys just go eat barbecue. Hearing this, Ding Si jumped out for the first time. Barbecue. Good. Yes, Ino echoed, and then said, I want to sit next to Shiyu. Ino knew that Shi-Yu was going to be a guest at her house tonight, but what he didn't expect was that he could have dinner with the latter at noon. The most important thing is that Sakura's competitor is not there yet, which is undoubtedly great news. She has absolutely no reason to object. Teacher Asma, are you not going? Shikamaru undoubtedly heard what he meant from Asma's words, so he asked like this. Kakashi and I still have important things to talk about, even if I invite you to this barbecue. In this regard, everyone no longer asked anything. Immediately after, Shi-Yu and his group of 6 people left Kakashi's ward together and disappeared from the sight of Kakashi and Asma. Okay, everyone is gone. What are you trying to tell me? It's so mysterious. Hearing Kakashi's words, Asma coughed lightly, and then said, it's just that I recently discovered that red is getting colder and colder towards me. Kakashi was stunned when he heard that. If you ask me about this kind of thing, I don't understand either. You must know that Kakashi is also a single dog until now, and he knows women's thoughts in his heart. I know this, so isn't this to discuss it with you? Asma knew that only Kakashi had the most careful thoughts among her peers. That is completely a typical second-year young man. If nothing else, it is destined to be single for a lifetime. Asma and Kakashi want to break their heads and they will not think that the change in red attitude is not because of something, but because of one person. This is no one else, but the kid in their eyes, and this kid, eating at the yakiniku restaurant at this time is full of joy. After finishing the trip to the yakiniku restaurant, Yu went to Ino's house that night. After visiting Sakura's boudoir, Ino's nature can't be missed. To read the ununderlined version of the novel, please download and fly chapter 270. That night, Shi-Yu's meal in Ino. Dinner is also comfortable, and her father, Yanaka Keiichi, likes Shi-Yu very much. Sakura's parents are ordinary people who don't know how enchanting Shiba's talent is, but Ino's father, Yanaka Yuaichi, is a real shinobu. He has seen Shi-Yu's performance in the past 3 years, and he naturally appreciates Shi-Yu. If the latter can tie his daughter to a marriage, then he is obviously very happy to comment. But then again, Ino's mother's stewed pork knuckles is really good, and it really matches with Sakura's sauce beef. But this is not the point. The point is that when Shi-Yu returned home, he found a person standing at the door. A woman. She didn't meet Yu Rihong, nor Sakura, Tianshin, Hinata and others. It was Konoha's special shinobu, Midoriya Adzuki Beans. Obviously, she should have come specifically to find Toki. If no accident, it should be about Oshimaru. After some thoughts flashed in his mind, Shi-Yu was the first to speak out. Teacher Hongdu, you have something to do with me. Hongdu nodded, and then said, there are some things, I want to talk to you. It's cold outside, come in and talk. During the speech, he took out the key directly, punched the door, and invited the Red Bean into his house. Shi-Yu's house was not considered luxurious, it was no different from ordinary people. After Aki-Do simply visited Shiba's house, he finally got directly into the theme. Shi-Yu, that. Teacher Hongdu, do you want to ask if Dashawan is really dead? Seeing Shi-Yu express the doubt in his heart, Hongdo also nodded. Even though he knew that Dashmaru had done all the bad things, she still had a trace of mentorship in her heart, who was kind-hearted. Because at first, after she learned the secret of Oshimaru, the latter did not kill her, but only sealed her memory. I learned from Master Naruto that you killed the Oshimaru. Good. Seeing Shi-Yu's personal confession, Hongdo's expression became calm, and 3 words sounded in his heart. Is it dead? Seeing that Red Bean is like this, Shi-Yu asked. Why, don't Teacher Hongdu want him to die? It's not. Advertisement Hongdu replied softly, and then said, I just feel that there is no goal in my heart, and it's a little lost. Adzuki Bean didn't lie, but she actually wanted to kill Dashiwan. But as a disciple, although she always said this in her mouth, she didn't know if she could actually get that hand at that time. Secondly, she might not be able to kill Oshimaru with her strength, but now Shi-Yu did it for her, making her look like this when she lost her goal for a while. Call. He took a deep breath, adjusted his mood, and the voice of Red Bean slowly sounded. Shi-Yu. Thank you. The Red Bean between the words directly hugged Shi-Yu under Shi-Yu's stunned gaze, and Shi-Yu felt the softness of the mountains again. This time, Shi-Yu was bold. He directly stretched out his hand and hugged the Red Bean, and at that moment, his body suddenly trembled. But Shi-Yu said with a machismo, Teacher Hongdu, cry if you want. Hearing Shi-Yu's words, the Red Bean was so restrained, the head lying on Shi-Yu's shoulder heard a choking sound. Although he didn't howl and cry, Shi-Yu knew she wanted to vent. This hug was a long time. Time passed bit by bit, and then the Red Bean holding Shi-Yu was actually asleep and choking. This result made Shi-Yu quite a headache. He had planned everything and waited for the Red Bean to slow down, just taking advantage of this atmosphere to rectify the FA on the spot. But now it's okay, the latter fell asleep. If the Red Bean was not asleep, then Yu could be a little stronger at that time, or even the Overlord could take the bait. At that time, it can be seen whether Hongdu's attitude has completely unloaded his heart. But the problem is that the latter is asleep. If he starts at this time, it will inevitably make Hongdu feel that he is a villain at risk. It is estimated that the good sexual happiness in the future will be lost. This is not the result Shi-Yu wants to see. Therefore, Shi-Yu can only suppress the primitive restlessness in his heart. Of course, Shi-Yu was not stupid. Since it is not the usual ripe apple, but it is possible to enjoy the sweetness of this apple in advance. This is the end of my thought. Shiyu also didn't talk nonsense, and directly carried the red bean on the bed. Seeing the beauty close at hand, Shiyu swallowed, then turned off the light and fell asleep in his arms. In his sleep, Shiyu seemed to hold his arms tighter. The next day, when the morning sun cuts through the clouds and shines on the earth, the coldness of the night is gradually fading. As the warm sunlight crawled along the wall from the window into Shiyu's room, Shiyu, with a smile on his face, finally woke up from his sleep. Although he hadn't opened his eyes yet, the softness in his hands made him love it. When he opened his distressed eyes, he found that Itsuki hadn't awakened yet. So he continued to pretend to sleep and brought his head closer. In this way, when the red bean wakes up, something wonderful may happen. Advertisement. After struggling, his hands still left Hongdu's body. I have been a gangster all night, and I naturally woke up to pretend to be a gentleman. That's it took about half an hour. The red bean's eyelids moved in his sleep, and finally opened those beautiful eyes. But the scene that caught the eye was shocking. If it wasn't for the face reflected in the pupils that made her feel uncomfortable, I guess she wouldn't be as simple as screaming. Instead, he would kick the man who was sharing the bed with him and kill him without hesitation. But because this person was Shiyu, she didn't do that. On the contrary, a shy smile appeared on the corner of her mouth. Because she knew why she would spend the night at Shiyu's house, and why the latter would sleep with herself. For example, she herself is holding Shiyu now. Not surprisingly, she fell asleep when she held Shiyu to release her emotions last night. In her opinion, it should be Shiyu who was afraid of waking herself up, so she let herself hug to sleep like this. Because she didn't see Shiyu holding her arm around her, and one arm rested on her head. This move made her very touched. Looking at this face close at hand, Hongdo didn't know what she was thinking at this time. A heart that hadn't beaten violently for more than 1 or 2 decades was rushing wildly at this moment, and a bold idea came into his mind. What was even more frightening was that she wanted to act. She saw her head slowly leaning towards Shiyu, and a beautiful lip was infinitely close to Shiyu's cheek. No surprises. A dragonfly splashed water on Shiyu's face, and the feeling at that moment made Shiyu quite enjoyable. It's a pity that the 4 lips are not facing each other, but of course the act must be done to the end. Shiyu naturally can't wake up. Otherwise, I don't know how embarrassing this picture will be. After all this, Hongdo hurriedly retracted his head, and the small heart beating more and more violently. At the same time, various ideas continued to emerge in my mind. What am I doing? How can I have such thoughts about Shiyu? With all the thoughts flashing in his mind, Hongdo hurriedly got up and stood by the bed watching Shiyu while still pretending to be asleep. Hongdo watched for a while, and finally sighed. There is no more words. Hongdo finally turned and left, and no one knew what she was thinking at the moment. But no matter, one thing is certain about what she is thinking. That is, she already likes Shiyu. As for the final result, it depends on Shiyu's ability. The second after Hongdo left, Shiyu also slowly opened those slightly closed eyes. Turning the like-formed eyes, I don't know what bad idea I'm making again. Chapter 271. The next day, early morning. Shiyu and Naruto are now at the second test room of the previous Central Ninja Exam, Death Forest. Not surprisingly, they are going to practice here. In addition to the 2 of them, there is one more person, that is Kakashi. Shiyu summoned Kakashi to see if the latter had the talent to learn Shanshu. If the latter can master the Shanshu, the sequelae of using Shulinyan in the future will offset a lot. Although it can't be as perverted as fairy human body, it is enough to make Kakashi's strength to a higher level. Of course, the premise is that Kakashi has this talent. Naruto, my own fairy mode, is quite complicated, and your learning progress is relatively slow. According to your current progress, if you want to learn the fairy mode I developed, it will take at least half a month. Half a month? Naruto exclaimed. He obviously didn't seem to think that it would take such a long time to learn this trick. It's still because you have talent in this area, otherwise, most people will not be able to learn even if they are poor throughout their lives. After hearing Shiyu's words, Naruto, who was originally depressed, suddenly felt better. This is indeed the case. Open black lens bracket. Fairy mode close black lens bracket, but it is not something ordinary people can learn. Just like Jiraiya, he spent decades still in control of the perfect Miaomushan immortal mode. On the other hand, Dashimaru had also been to Longadong, but he could not learn Longadong fairy mode. It's not because of the lack of talent of Oshimaru, but he is lacking in the perception of natural energy. Just like the last time Sasuke, Shanlin and Mizuki, who felt natural energy with Naruto last time. 3. Their ninjutsu talents are all above Naruto, but they are all in the practice of perceiving natural energy. It's stepping into Naruto. This shows that everyone has their own field of expertise. Otherwise, Tsunade signed the Wet Bone Forest for so long and would not be unable to learn the fairy mode of this holy land. The fairy mode, created by Shiyu, is a bit more advanced than the 3 sacred lands, because he will not have any other characteristics. After listening to Shiba and Naruto's conversation, Kakashi fell into a puzzlement. After he recovered, he couldn't help asking, obviously a little curious about it. Shiyu, what kind of ninjutsu do you mean by fairy mode? Ms. Kakashi, advertisement. You may not have heard of this fairy mode, but you should have heard about Shanshu. Shanshu, Kakashi murmured, then fell into thought. After a while, he just said, I remember, I have heard this kind of magic from the mouth of 4 generations of Naruto. Konoha has been passed down to this day, and it can be said that there are very few people who have mastered the Shanshu, and they can count it with one hand. Moreover, there are no people who know this technique. For this reason, it is rare to know the existence of this Shanshu. If Kakashi is not a disciple of 4 generations of Naruto, it is probably impossible to have heard of the Shanshu technique. The reason why he didn't have a deep sense of Shanshu was because Bofeng Shuiman was not good at Shanshu. Therefore, even as students of 4 generations of Naruto, they rarely have the opportunity to see the latter perform. Shiyu also explained when he heard Kakashi's words. This fairy mode is the prerequisite for using Shanshu. Teacher Kaka, if you are interested, you can also try it. Maybe you have an extraordinary talent in this area. I know, teacher, because you need to maintain Jiaolunyan all the year round, so that your chakra can never be maintained at a peak state. If you learn fairy mode, you can overcome the shortcomings of chakra. Moreover, it can also greatly reduce the backlash of Jiaolunyan on the body. Because in fairy mode, the strength of the body will be significantly improved, whether it is attack power, defense power or recovery ability. Kakashi, who heard the words, was taken aback for a moment, and his heart was very moved. But he did not show any crazy behavior, but controlled his emotions and asked again. Shiyu, you just said that this fairy mode was developed by yourself. Shiyu nodded and then said, as far as I know, there is no other place in the world to possess this secret technique except for the 3 holy places that have been passed down for thousands of years. But the most important thing is that the managers of these 3 holy sites are not humans. Not human, Kakashi exclaimed. They are all creatures in nature or psychic beasts. Advertisement, Shiyu, then these 3 holy places are. Kakashi became more and more curious. These 3 holy places are the secret realms where Konohasanin's psychic beasts are located. They are signed by the Horny Fairy, Miaomushan, signed by Osakimaru, Dragon Cave, and signed by Grandma Tsunade, Wet Bone Forest. Hearing Shiyu's words, Kakashi answered the doubts in his heart, but at the same time he was shocked. Shiyu, how did you know these secrets? The last time I practiced summoning the psychic beasts of Wet Bone Forest, with Grandma Tsunade, I learned about Shanshu. Also, Slug Immortal told me. I also learned from its mouth that the reason why first generation Naruto is so powerful is because it has mastered fairy mode. So it is, Kakashi murmured, and then said, Shiyu, what do you call me this time? Isn't this to see the teacher that you have been dragged down by Jiaolunyan, so I want you to give it a try. But, seeing Kakashi hesitated to speak, Shiyu said. Kakashi. Anyway, I'm teaching Naruto, it doesn't matter if I have one more. Hearing Shiyu's words, Kakashi's heart was extremely moved. The reason why he was hesitant to speak before, that is because every kind of self-made ninjutsu is a representative of a ninja. It's not that the developer will teach you what you want to learn ninjutsu, but it depends on the developer's wishes. Unless the developer has already compiled his own ninjutsu into the scroll for future generations to learn, and this kind of thing is quite rare. After all, who would give his representative ninjutsu to others to learn? Of course, there are also a few selfless people. In addition, there is another kind of ninjutsu, in order to prevent the ninjutsu that he developed from being buried when he is old, and he will take the initiative to record the various ninjutsu he developed for future generations to learn. Without exception, every ninjutsu in Ninja Village is accumulated in this way. This is why Kakashi was a little moved. Kakashi was a little weird in his heart at this time. This identity exchange made him feel awkward. Kakashi at this moment is a little at a loss, to chapter 272. In the dead forest. Shiyu and the 3 of them stood facing each other. After a long silence, Kakashi finally spoke. Shiyu, trouble, Kakashi, what are you talking about? Didn't you say that we are a team? The most important thing about a team is to help each other. Shao, organization is rampant nowadays. It would be good news if your strength can be strengthened by Mr. Kakashi. Since this technique can help you, you should try it. It is true to say that, but Shiyu is to let Kakashi have a look. This talent is only as to whether the latter can learn fairy art. Then it can only be up to him. Hearing words, Kakashi, there was a relieved smile on his face. Today's Shiyu is not only better than Blue in terms of strength, but also not lost to any of their predecessors in the overall situation. Even the fairy mode, this kind of thing was taken out without hesitation. But this is not the point. The point is that this fairy mode turned out to be developed by Shiyu himself. From Shiyu's mouth, the 3 holy sites with the fairy mode have been passed down for tens of millions of years. But Shiyu, it has only been 3 short years since becoming a ninja. But now they have achieved such dazzling results. Such achievements are unique in the entire ninja world. If there is anything that can be compared with it, I am afraid that there is only the legendary founder of the ninja world, 6 Tao Immortals. For this reason, Kakashi has become more and more firm in this idea. So, be a student, why not? Well, then I will try. Kakashi's voice fell, and Naruto was the first to speak. Kakashi, let's compare who will practice first. Hearing this, Kakashi smiled slightly and then said, whether I can practice this fairy mode is still unknown. According to Shiyu, if you want to practice this fairy mode, you need to sense natural energy. If you can't even do this, then you have no chance with Shanshu. Immediately after, Shiyu also had no extra nonsense, so Kakashi began to perceive natural energy. Advertisement. As for Naruto, he continued to condense the Shanshu Chakra, because Naruto was already able to slowly condense the Shanshu Chakra. Shiyu asked Kakashi to practice alongside the former. In this way, it must be twice the result with half the effort, because Naruto made great progress by cultivating by Changwu. Time passed by minute. Looking at the sun that was past noon, Naruto's cultivation has gradually entered a better state. Although it would break the 5 balance from time to time, it would be corrected by Shiyu immediately. As for Kakashi, there is still no movement, but the latter did not seem to give up. Obviously, Kakashi was also quite eager for this power. As a genius, he is also very unhappy. Although Shulunyan has brought him many benefits, it also has some disadvantages. Generally speaking, the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. This disadvantage has not been eliminated for more than 10 years. If there is a chance, he will obviously not give up easily. The perception of natural energy does not matter whether you are a genius, it is an innate talent. Otherwise, it took Jiraiya decades to be able to learn it. However, Oshimaru and Tsunade, who are also the other 2 sacred land contractors, have not learned it. Is it because they are not talented enough? Obviously not. This is a physical problem. Born, Shiyu was originally a elementary immortal human body, but after more than 2 years of baptism of natural ability, he has reached the level of intermediate immortal human body. It is estimated that it will not take long to break through advanced immortal human body. Every inch of skin, every inch of flesh, every drop of blood, every cell is moisturized and nurtured by natural energy, which is obviously a long process. Shiyu was able to reach this height in 2 years, and he was already shocked. You know, it took several decades for 6 Tao immortals to cultivate into perfect immortal human body. Comparing the two, you can already see the difference. It was already afternoon, and Shiyu asked the clone to guard, and he went to eat and came back. However, the two are still immersed in cultivation. Naruto is no more than that, but so is Kakashi. This shows that Kakashi's desire for this power, but the desire is longing. Kakashi is not a person who insists. Shiyu knew this too, but the latter obviously wanted to try his best. Even if it failed in the end, it didn't withdraw. At least he has worked hard. The sun gradually slanted west, watching the 2 men with beads of sweat on their faces. Shiyu originally thought that Kakashi was hopeless, but at this moment a faint ray of energy wandered around Kakashi. Upon seeing this, Shiyu's face showed a smile. Although it is a bit worse than Naruto, there is still some potential after all, and it is estimated to be similar to 4 generations of Naruto. At the same time, Kakashi's pair was tightly closed for 5 or 6 hours, and his eyes suddenly opened, and there was excitement in their eyes. Advertisement, Shiyu, I perceive what you call natural energy. Congratulations, teacher. Shiyu responded, and then said, Naruto, this is the end of today's cultivation. Hearing Shiyu's words, Naruto also unwillingly withdrew from cultivation. Shiyu said after examining the open black lens bracket Shanshu Chakra closed black lens bracket in Naruto's body. Naruto, according to your current fairy chakra aggregation is not enough for you to perform ninjutsu, but it is almost the same. Hearing Shiyu's words, Naruto was extremely excited. Because Shiyu told him that if you want to practice the wind escape spiral shuriken, you must learn this fairy mode. Otherwise, I can only weaken the version of the spiral shuriken. To learn, of course you must learn the strongest, so Ming talents will practice such a waste of sleep and food. If I couldn't master the fairy mode, I couldn't support my body by forcibly practicing wind escape spiral shuriken. But Shiyu actually developed this ninjutsu, so naturally he must have corresponding methods, because not everyone can learn the fairy mode, so he has developed a weakened version. Since it is a weakened version, the power is naturally a lower level. As for the benefit, it greatly reduces the damage to the body. But due to the special nature of this ninjutsu, it is impossible to avoid all damage. So even if it seems to be a weakened version, it cannot be used unlimitedly. It just so happens that you two haven't eaten lunch yet. In order to celebrate the successful perception of teacher Kakashi, let's have a good meal. I agree. After hearing Shiyu's proposal and Naruto's seconding, Kakashi didn't refuse, and said with a smile. Then let me treat you. When the voice fell, the 3 of them left the death forest amidst laughter and laughter. That night, Shiyu was about to leave for Longdi Cave. In order to ensure that Naruto and Kakashi's training can proceed normally, he left a clone. The strength of the clone depends on the strength of the main body. Shiyu's main body is so strong, so his clone is naturally too strong. For this reason, it is impossible for a normal attack to make his clone disappear. After briefly explaining the matter to the clone, Shiyu took out a silver-gray scroll from the system's items. Undoubtedly, it is Longnadong Transmission Coupon, Chapter 273. In the room, Shiyu held the Longnadong teleportation ticket and then slowly opened it under the gaze of the clone. Immediately after, Shiyu injected into chakra, urging the teleportation formation inside. Next second, a mysterious rune appeared under Shiyu's feet, and then Shiyu's voice disappeared from the room. And the next moment Shiyu disappeared from the room. The space at the entrance of a secret realm at the end of this world began to twist. Huh! I saw a white light falling from the sky, like a giant blade that soars to the sky. After the white light completely dissipated, a figure was also exposed to the air. This figure was not someone else, it was Toki who disappeared in Konoha before. After teleporting here, Toki looked around carefully. He found that he was in a cloud of mist at this time, and if no accident, he had entered the first test area of Dandi Cave. Legend has it that Dandi Cave has a special responsibility for screening snake people who enter the Longdi Cave. As long as it is a person who fails the trial, with the permission of White Snake Fairy, the loser will be eaten by the snake who is responsible for screening. And Shi Yu's current fog test area is the first level. The snake person responsible for this level is named Tianxin Shenji. She is one of the 3 high levels of Longdadong and is also one of the 3 big snakes. 1. They are all powerful confidants of the elder level of White Snake Immortal. The other 2 divine snakes are Ichikashima-Heim and Tanzu-Heim. Tashin Shinki, S image as a beautiful woman, Ichikashima-Heim, S image as Lori, and Ichikashima-Heim, S image as Sister Yu. The 3 big snakes have 3 characteristics, and all 3 of them have extremely powerful Shanshu Chakra in their bodies, and their job is to screen the testers who enter the Dragon Cave. The status of these 3 snake girls in Longdadong is equivalent to the status of Shenzuo and Jima in Miaomu Mountain, both of which are immortal level existences. Only the psychic beast who has mastered the Shanshu can transform into a human form. Tianxin Shenji has the ability to float freely and invisibly in the air, and has a powerful illusion transformation. An empty land can be turned into a dragon cave castle, and there is a lot of food inside, so as to confuse those who come to practice. In this mist, the tester will lose his way. Tianxin Shenji will not turn the castle out until the experimenter is depressed and hungry. Because at that time food is undoubtedly an irresistible temptation, but if the tester eats the food she has changed, it means that the assessment has failed. At that time, the flesh and blood of the tester and chakra will become her food, which can be said to be the cruelest of the 3 holy places. Advertisement. But at the same time, there is no doubt that the 3 sacred places of the 3 immortals in the Longdi Cave are the strongest. It is said that the fairy mode of Longdadong has been cultivated to perfect shape. Walong. According to the normal situation, Shiyu now has to wait for Tianxin Shenji to create Longdadong Castle, so as to pass the trial of the first level. But now that Shiyu knew about the clearance, he had other plans. In fact, he can completely ignore the trial and go directly to the White Snake Immortal. But since it's all here, it is natural to have a good experience. The face-to-face contact with these 3 big snakes, it is considered that there is no such thing as a trip to Longdi Cave. Anyway, he is not in a hurry, even if he is going to the village to follow the customs. After all, the first task of this system is to be carried out in Longdadong. There is no need to break the rules. Task: conquer Dragon Cave of the Earth. The strongest psychic beast, Yuki-Orochi, is the strongest existence in the Dragon Cave. Except for the White Snake Immortal, no one can make him obedient except the White Snake Immortal. Its size can be compared with the Owasu Big Toad from Miaomu Mountain. Inferring from this, its size can be seen. The strength of this 8 snake is unfathomable. Wan Snake and Shin Yakai Snake are his followers, ranking in the 2nd echelon. As for Sasuke's psychic beast, Blue Snake, and Red Bean's psychic beast, Flower Snake, and the Black Snake that Oshimaru summoned for the first time in Death Forest, some big snakes belong to the 3rd echelon. Not bad. As for the Orochi under the 3rd echelon, the strength is average. Oshimaru originally wanted to sign the Yaki-Ochi, but it couldn't be surrendered to this boss, and he almost gave his life. In the end, he could only take the 2nd place and chose open black lens bracket million snake close black lens bracket. However, Oshimaru also gained a lot in the battle with open black lens bracket Yaki-Orochi close black lens bracket, and his open black lens bracket Yaki Art close black lens bracket was derived from this. However, his phantom, Yuki-Orochi, and that Longdadong, real, Yuki-Orochi, are different from the sky. But Shiyu knew that before he conquered this open black lens bracket Yaki-Orochi close black lens bracket, he would first see the legendary open black lens bracket White Snake Fairy close black lens bracket. Regardless of the latter's strength, it is enough to control the Dondadong, which is enough to show that her qualifications are recognized by all the snakes. Otherwise, how can an existence as terrifying as Yaki-Orochi obey her discipline? And as far as Shiyu knew, this White Snake Immortal lived in a temple deep in Longdi Cave. Advertisement. At this point, Shiyu opened his eyes directly. White eyes. As soon as I opened it, the misty array at this moment seemed to be non-existent in Shiyu's eyes. With the 2 abilities of Television Eye and Perspective Eye, Shiyu has already found the temple in the depths of Longdi Cave. Immediately after, Shiyu didn't hesitate and went straight to the destination. And this scene fell in the eyes of the 3 big snake girls hiding in the dark and misty place. At this moment, they finally communicated. Do you want to go forward? It doesn't seem to be a lost passerby. As soon as the elder sister-shaped Tenjinji said, Luoli fans, Ichikashima-Heim continued. It's too early to draw conclusions. In that case, just confirm it directly. The beautiful woman-shaped Tianxin Shenji said slowly. She couldn't help but spit out her tongue when the voice fell. It seems that Shiyu is going to become their food. One step wrong in the trial of Longdadong is the abyss of death, and there is no room for maneuver. For thousands of years, very few people have passed the trial. Moreover, Shiyu was just a teenager. What kind of Xinsheng can there be at this age? It is estimated that even the first level will not be able to pass. After the 3 of them had a conversation, they disappeared into the mist, as if they had disappeared out of thin air. This is the ability that the three big snakes have, invisible. Next. The person in charge of the first stage, Tian Shin Shenji, shot and waved her sleeves. A row of lanterns appeared in front of Shiyu, and this scene was undoubtedly a beacon to guide the way forward in a dark environment. No matter the tester, he would definitely step forward to find out. Just as they imagined, Shiyu did follow the light guided by the lantern. The beginning is the same as they thought, but the ending is bound to be far beyond their expectations. Chapter 274. A few minutes later, Shiyu successfully arrived at the Longdadong Castle, transformed by Tian Shin Shenji, with a gorgeous appearance. When Yu stopped, the gate of the castle slowly opened. Squeak. Immediately afterwards, a figure of a beautiful woman caught Shiyu's eyes. This woman is wearing a white robe, surrounded by silk, and wearing a crown of golden pearls on her head, looks very extraordinary. Undoubtedly, this person is Tianxin Shenji, one of the three major snakes in Longdadong. At the moment when I saw Shiyu, Tianxin Shenji said directly, "Congratulations, Your Excellency, for a long time, welcome to Longdi Cave. Please." The Tianxin Shenji, between the words, made a gesture of asking Shiyu, very polite. In this situation, ordinary people will basically not refuse. Found the legendary Dondi Cave, and, also known as the Holy Land, naturally will put down vigilance. And it is precisely because of this that most of the testers can't even pass this first level. Don't even mention the fairy art practice. Shiyu pretended to be surprised, and then did not refuse, following Tianxin Shenji into his magical castle. The lanterns are hung high and the lights are brightly lit. The dragon pillars of the palace are standing and magnificent. But this is not the most important thing. The most important thing is that the palace is filled with all kinds of fragrant food. This is undoubtedly a fatal temptation for the testers who have traveled a long distance to find the dragon cavern and hovered in the mist for a long time. Leading Shiyu into the palace, Tianxin Shenji went straight to the subject. "My name is Tianxin Shenji, one of the guardians of Longdi Cave. You came here all the way, you must be exhausted." "Well, I am indeed a little tired." Shiyu nodded, cooperating with the latter in acting. "If that's the case, then you can take a good rest here. The acting is naturally a full set, and some doubts still need to be raised. By the way, is it really Longdi Cave here? Of course. Then, White Snake Fairy is here. The people who come here are basically testers who want to gain powerful strength, and the main purpose is naturally to find White Snake Fairy, to learn Shanshu. Yes. But White Snake Immortal, adults will not easily see people in the temple deep in Longdi Cave. But I came here to look for White Snake Fairy." Shiyu continued. "I understand." Tianxin Shenji responded, and then said, "Wait here for a while, I will help you arrange. Advertisement, during this period, you can enjoy the food here." "Is it really okay?" Shiyu's performance was so lifelike that he couldn't help but lick his lips, looking extremely hungry. "Of course. This is a special meal I prepared specially to welcome travelers like Your Excellency who have traveled here for a long distance." The sweet smile on the face of the Tianxin Shenji, in the words, as if all this is true. However, Shiyu's eyes followed closely when he could not hide all this. Shiyu was sitting down in a long time, and Tianxin Shenji saw it and brought 2 plates of hot food for Shiyu. "Come, you are welcome." "Then I'm welcome," Shiyu responded, and when he was about to start, the outstretched arm was frozen in the air. At this moment, Shiyu seemed to be restrained, motionless. Seeing this, Tianxin Shenji was slightly taken aback, and hurriedly asked, "Sir, what's wrong with you?" "That. Maybe because I was on the road for a long time, muscle cramps, which made me unable to move now." Shiyu was serious nonsense, but he said that he had a nose and eyes, so that people could not see a trace of lying. "Otherwise I won't eat this thing, you then take me to see White Snake Fairy." Hearing this, Tianxin Shenji was taken aback, and the smile on his face stopped in an instant. Because if that's the case, wouldn't Shiyu directly pass her trial? This is obviously not the result she wants to see. "Your Excellency, how do you go to see Mr. White Snake Fairy like this?" That's what it said." Shiyu replied awkwardly and then said, "Then I will rest here for a while, I guess it will be better in a while." Also, following, Tianxin Shenji nodded, Shiyu said, "Can you help me lie down? I think it might be better soon." Good. In order to prevent Shiyu from passing this test of his own, Tianxin Shenji naturally had to do it. However, after Shiyu lay down, he closed his eyes and calmed down. Time passed by, and the Tianxin Shenji waited extremely anxiously. Let's not say whether she is tall or not, and besides, there are still 2 pairs of eyes staring at her in the dark. Indeed, the secret, Ichigashima-heim, and Tanzu-heim, waited for a long time. Seeing Shiyu who didn't say a word, Tianxin Shenji finally couldn't help it. "Advertisement, Your Mightiness, how do you feel able to move now?" It doesn't seem to work." Between the words, Shiyu showed a helpless look on his face, and then said, "If someone can help me revitalize my blood, it should be better soon." Invigorating blood vessel. Hearing the Tianxin Shenji chanting, Shiyu hurriedly continued. I heard that the muscle cramps in the human body are all symptoms caused by blood clogging. As long as the blood qi in the body is properly mobilized, the blood qi in the body can be quickly restored. It seems that there is such a saying. Tian Shin Shenji murmured, obviously agreeing with Shi Yu's statement. Although she has not set foot in the human world, she has lived for so long and has some understanding of humans. After struggling in the heart, Tian Shin Shenji said, "In that case, let me help you." When he heard that, Shi Yu pretended to be surprised, and then said, "This is not so good. It's okay. Your Excellency can find Longdi Cave, because of fate, it's not a trivial matter. Then trouble you." Shi Yu's tone sounded embarrassing, but his heart was full of joy. One of the three great gods in Longdadong, Tianxin Shenji, gave herself a massage, and it was incredible to think about it. Although Tianxin Shenji was unwilling in his heart, but in order to prevent Shi Yu from clearing the level, in order not to lose to the other two big snakes. She can't take care of that much, a massage will not lose a piece of meat. After a while, when Shi Yu recovers and eats her changed food, she can eat Shi Yu to vent her anger. At this point, she is also very motivated, and the Ichikishimaheim and Tangenheim, in the secret are dumbfounded, because they have never seen Tianxin Shinki look like this. As one of the guardians of Longdadong Loft, he was at this moment, helping a human imp to massage. If Shi Yu was eaten afterwards, it would be fine, but if Shi Yu passed her trial, then this matter will probably become a black spot in her life, letting the other two big snakes use it to make fun. Things seem to have become more interesting, yes. This has never happened in so many years, and I don't know if that kid can pass the first trial. Looking at the slightly fragrant scene in the castle, Ichikishimaheim and Tangenheim were quietly discussing. The two people in the words showed expectation on their faces. Obviously, they also want to test Shi Yu, the tester, chapter 275. In the magical Dondadong castle, Tian Shin Shenji, after giving Shi Yu a massage for a while, she endured her unhappiness and pretended to be calm. "Sir, how do you feel now?" Arms and upper body seemed to be able to move. Between the words, he raised his hand and squeezed his fist slightly to prove that what he said was true. Upon seeing this, Tian Shin Shenji was also overjoyed. "My hard work is finally in vain. In that case, then you can eat something quickly. After all, there is still a long way to go to the temple in the depths where Lord White Snake lives." Okay. Hearing Shi Yu's answer, Tian Shin Shenji was also determined in her heart. Looking at Shi Yu in front of her, it was as if she was looking at a delicious meal. As long as Shi Yu ate the food she had transformed, it meant that Shi Yu had failed in her trial and she could eat Shi Yu. In fact, for a fairy like her, swallowing flesh and blood is only second, the most important thing is the chakra made in the human body. That was the food she wanted. However, when Shi Yu was about to cook, an embarrassing scene appeared. I saw Shi Yu's upper body doing it, but his lower body remained motionless. Seeing this scene, Tian Shin Shenji couldn't help asking, "What happened again? My lower body seems to have not recovered yet." Shi Yu scratched his head during the words, and a simple smile appeared on his face to hide that he was not lying. Hearing that, Tian Shin Shenji was stunned on the spot, but she quickly recovered. "Otherwise, let me feed you." "Feed me," Shi Yu exclaimed, and then said, "No, how can I let Her Excellency Shenji feed me? And, even if you feed me full now, if my lower body hasn't recovered, you can't carry me to see White Snake Fairy later." There is nothing wrong with Shi Yu's words, so Tian Shin Shenji has no chance to refute it. It sounds like I don't want to bother others, but this method is actually eliminated. Obviously, Shi Yu has other bad thoughts. Hearing that Tian Shin Shenji was silent for a moment, he was obviously struggling. If it continues like this, once Shi Yu finds out the clues, it will not be worth the loss. After making a decision, Tian Shin Shenji spoke up. "Your Mightiness, if you don't mind, let me help you." Advertisement, Shi Yu pretended to be stunned, and then said, "How embarrassing is this? I have troubled Lord Shinji once just now." "It's not in the way." Having said that, there are millions of people who are unwilling in Tian Shin Shenji. But for this meal, in order not to lose her face in front of the other two big snakes, she can only wrong herself once again. Then trouble Lord Shinji. As Shi Yu's voice fell, Tian Shin started to help Shi Yu's lower body to revitalize his blood. With the first experience, the second time is naturally handy. Ichikishimaheim and Tan, who are hiding in the dark, saw this scene, and they started discussing again. "Second sister, you said that little one didn't mean it." Hearing the words of Ichikishimaheim, the mistress-shaped Tangenheim replied, "Uncertain. If that little devil is deliberately playing the big sister, it means that he has probably seen through the trial of this level. It's impossible to see through. Whether it's right or not, we will see the difference soon." As the voice of Tangenji fell, the two snake pupils also stared at everything in the hall. At the same time, Shi Yu was immersed in the massage of Tian Shin Shenji. Although he was enjoying it in his heart, his complexion was Furui Shirami. People can't see the slightest waves. It's exactly the same, the three big snake girls can't stop timing. Is Yu pretending to be garlic? Although she was in the trial, even though she realized this, she still chose to continue the massage. This is undoubtedly the last bet she made. If she becomes angry first, then Shi Yu can pass the level directly. So she must bet, she has no choice. 5 minutes later. Shi Yu's lower body on the thighs of Tian Shin Shenji finally moved, but it was obviously Shi Yu's intention. Acting also has a limit. If it is too long, it is easy to be seen through. Therefore, it must be just right. Seeing this, Tian Shin Shenji also stepped up its efforts. 2 minutes later, Shi Yu's lower body finally returned to normal, and this result made Tian Shin Shenji extremely happy. Seeing that Shi Yu was already able to stand up by himself, the pretty face of Tian Shin Shenji also showed a smile. It seems that your excellency has recovered. Shi Yu nodded, and then said, this is all the credit of Lord Shenji, otherwise, I don't know how long it will take to regain the ability to move. It's okay, just recover. Advertisement, by the way, your excellency should hurry up and eat something, so that I will have the strength to meet Master, White Snake Fairy, later. After some polite remarks, Tian Shin Shenji entered the subject again. However, Shi Yu's answer this time made her dumbfounded. Master Shenji, after your massage just now, I now feel refreshed and I don't feel hungry at all. Why don't you take me directly to see White Snake Fairy? When Shi Yu said this, Tianjin Shinki was dumbfounded, and even Ichikishimaheim and Tangenheim, who were hiding in the dark, were obsessed. This answer obviously surprised the three of them, especially as the person involved, Tian Shin Shenji, directly condescended to give Shi Yu a massage for so long. I thought that a good meal was about to arrive, but in the end, someone told you that the cooked duck flew. This is really something to steal the chicken and lose the rice, and lose the wife and lose the army. Little devil, it's not enough to eat the food obediently. At this moment, Tian Shin Shenji finally couldn't help it, and the original form was revealed. In the words, her pretty face like a beautiful woman instantly became hideous. A pair of snake pupils suddenly appeared. I spent so much time, but in the end it was nothing. Despite being a tester, there will inevitably be a little resentment in my heart. With the soft voice of Tian Shin Shenji, the whole castle slowly disappeared. And the food before Shi Yu's eyes turned into piles of rotten mud or white bones. After the castle disappeared completely, although still in the mist, the skull under his feet is visible to the naked eye. Not to mention piles up like a mountain, but it is also countless. It can be seen that the vast majority of ninjas who have come to Danadong in search of power for thousands of years have not even passed the first level. Indeed so. If this first level does not have keen perception and strong logical thinking, most people will know the way. But for the scene before him, Shi Yu's complexion was still abnormally calm. There was not a single ripple caused by this, as if Taishan collapsed in front of it without chaos. At the same time, the cold voice of Tian Shin Shenji slowly sounded. Ha ha ha. I thought I was finally able to eat fresh human chakras, but I didn't expect it to fall short in the end. Although the Tian Shin Shenji was unwilling, but he couldn't disobey the rules set by the White Snake Immortal. Shi Yu didn't eat the food she had transformed, but she herself couldn't help but expose it first. In other words, Shi Yu passed the first test. 1 second after the voice of Tian Shin Shenji fell, another voice rang. Sister, you lose. Chapter 276, Sister, you lose. His Shi Yu is not confused by you. I know. Tian Shin Shenji responded, and then said, our job is to screen those who are eligible to enter Longdi Cave. Correct. Only those who fail the trial, White Snake Immortal, will allow us to devour it. The owner of the voice in the dark is not someone else, it is the lowly who is in charge of the second stage of the trial, Ichikishimaheim. Hearing Ichikishimaheim's words, Tianjin Shinki's eyes turned back to Tobi's body. Seeing Shi Yu's calm face, she was also slightly taken aback. She has been stationed in the first test for thousands of years, and has never seen a person who can be as indifferent as Shi Yu. Even after seeing her transforming into a snake-like appearance, Shi Yu still didn't have a trace of fear on his face. Even the Oshimaru a few decades ago could not do this. You know Oshimaru, but they have seen the most talented contractor, but why the latter did not learn fairy mode? The reason is simple, he still doesn't want to die. You must know that if you practice fairy mode carelessly, you will lose your life. The ultimate goal of Oshimaru's life is longevity. Therefore, he will not take risks with his body. If Oshimaru is willing to try, he should be able to learn. Because his body is basically the same as a snake, it is undoubtedly easier to learn the fairy mode of Longdadong. Later, able to learn Longdadong fairy mode, the cells of Dashawan should have played a big role. After revealing his true body, Tianjin Shinheim was originally unwilling to talk to humans too much. But this time, it was an exception. Boy, I have a few questions for you. Sister Shenji, please. Shi Yu said, are you really not afraid of me or pretending to be calm? How can I be afraid of a beautiful and responsible guardian like Sister Shinki? Hearing that Tian Shin Shenji was taken aback, she didn't expect Shi Yu to answer like this. Although I don't know if what Shi Yu said is true or false, this answer made her very satisfied. Women love beauty, female snake people are no exception. This is the nature of female animals. The second question, did you see through my intentions in the morning? Not at all. Shi Yu responded, and then said, first of all, in the midst of this wilderness, how could such a magnificent building appear? Advertisement, even the legendary Longdi Cave, shouldn't be so luxurious. So, I was suspicious at the time. Secondly, Sister Shinki, you are too enthusiastic. As one of the 3 sacred places in the legend, it is not difficult to visit the visitor, it is not so warm and hospitable. Finally, you made me ridiculous twice, too deliberately. And, of course, after you found an excuse to shirk, you didn't hesitate to surrender your status to give me special services, which even more shows the tediousness of it. After hearing Shiyu's words, Tian Shin Shenji also suddenly realized. Humans are worthy of being the smartest animals. Then you just asked me to massage you on purpose. The Tian Shin Shenji, in the words, was a little embarrassed. One of the guardians of her dignified, Long Dedong, actually helped Shiyu massage. If this matter is spread, it will inevitably be teased. Other snake people will not talk about it for the time being. Just her two sisters are not fuel-efficient lamps. I'm just a test. If Sister Shinki agrees, then my conjecture will be completely confirmed, and vice versa. Heard, Tian Shin Shenji, she was taken aback for a moment, and then asked. It's understandable the first time, what about the second time? I don't know that I can pass the trial without eating, so I can only continue to delay time. The words between the words seem to be serious, but in fact it is, pull the Arhu in the crotch, pure bullshit. Because in fact, he did it deliberately. But Tian Shin Shenji, they obviously didn't know. They absolutely never thought that Shiyu had already known the content of the trial in advance. Little brother, what's your name? At this moment, Tian Shin Shenji's name for Shiyu has changed. She truly admires Toki's IQ, Takikawa Takiwa. Hearing Shiyu reported his life, Tian Shin Shenji reminded. Brother Shiyu, although you passed my trial, this is only the first level. If you want to see White Snake Fairy, you need to pass the next 2 levels too. These 2 levels and 2 trials are the responsibility of my 2 sisters. Good luck to you. The voice fell, and the figure of Tian Shin Shenji disappeared into the thick fog. Advertisement upon seeing it. Shiyu didn't stay here much and continued to walk towards it. Seeing that Shiyu walked slowly in the direction of the monastery in the depths of Longdi Cave, the 3 sisters hiding in the mist were extremely surprised. That the kid named Takikawa Takiwa doesn't know where the temple in the depths of Ryujidong is. Open black lens bracket Shikishimaheim close black lens bracket road. Impossible. In this misty formation, it is impossible to see the outside scene unless he has mastered Shanshu. Hearing the words of Tanshin Shinki, Tanjin-ji said, people who come here are all seeking the power of Shanshu. I guess it's a coincidence. In response, Ichikishimaheim and Tanshin Shinki also nodded. Other than that, they couldn't think of other possibilities. This misty array was integrated into the Shanshu chakra. Even if it had a special pupil technique, it could not be completely seen through. But if the tester wants to break through this misty array, he must have these 2 abilities at the same time. This is why they all agreed that Shiba was a coincidence, but they never thought that Shiba had really mastered the sage power. After some discussion, Ichikishimaheim also said, eldest sister, second sister, it's time for me to play. When the voice fell, her petite figure melted into the mist, disappeared in the field of vision of Tianshinjinji and Tanjinji, and when they reappeared, they were already around Toki. After wandering around Shiyu a few times back and forth, she stopped by Shiyu's side. The latter's costumes and attire are generally the same as the previous, Tian Shin Shenji, but the appearance is quite different. The Tian Shin Shenji is a mature beautiful woman, and the Ichikishimaheim in front of you is a cute loli type. The 2 are completely different types. Looking at Shiba up close, the loli-like voice of Ichikishimaheim also sounded. My name is Shikishimaheim, and I am the person in charge of this second trial. Oh. Shiyu let out a soft voice and then said, Sister Shimaji, I don't know what the second trial is. When Toki said this, Ichikishimaheim was stunned on the spot. Even the Tianshin Shinki and Tanjinheim, who were observing secretly, were dumbfounded. The reason for their sluggishness was not other, but Toki. I don't know that Shikishimaheim has lived for thousands of years, but Shiba is known as his younger sister. I have to say, this hand operation is absolutely perfect. F chapter 277. Sister Shimaji, I don't know what the second trial is. Hearing Shiyu's words, Shikishimaheim was stunned for a long time before returning to his senses. What do you call me, Sister Shimaji? Shiyu replied, and then said, you look so young, cute and charming, and a real childlike giant. Anyway, this type of people in our world is called loli. And we all call this type of people their sisters to show that we like them. Hearing this, Shikishimaheim was taken aback and couldn't help asking. What you said is true. That's natural. With your appearance and figure, it is difficult to find someone comparable to you in our world. Not to say that there is no one in a million, but it is definitely 1 in 100. Although Shiyu was talking nonsense in a serious manner, if it was carefully verified, it was actually such a thing. Hearing Toki's words, Ichikishimaheim was in a good mood. Even if she has lived for thousands of years, it is not that she has praised her during these long years, but there has never been such a thing like Shiyu's. Because of this, the slightest anger in her eyes also quietly dissipated. And the Tianshinjinji and Tanjinji, who were observing secretly, were also stunned. They obviously didn't expect Shiyu to so easily diffuse their sister's anger. Sister. You stay at the first level, and you have the most contact with humans. You said that the kid said is true or false? Tanjin-ji asked. How'd I know? The testers who come to break through are all lunatics seeking power. How can they tell me this? From ancient times to the present, there is only this young man in front of me. The Tian Shin Shenji stared straight at Shiyu in the mist, and the young man in front of her aroused her interest. This boy is really interesting, but I hope he can pass the second level of the little girl. Second sister, do you think this young man seems to be different from the previous trials? Tanjin Ji nodded, and then said, from beginning to end, there is no trace of fear on his face, even a little bit of confusion has never appeared. Don't say he is still a teenager. Those old guys with deep experience can't be as calm as him. That's why he made me feel unfathomable, Tian Shin Shenji replied. Advertisement. After the conversation, both of them fell into silence. At this moment, there was a premonition in the hearts of the two big snakes. In their opinion, Shiyu is very likely to pass the trial. At the same time, in the mist, Shiyu's voice also rang again. Sister Shimaji, can you tell me the content of the second level trial now? You can hear Shiba's name here. At this time, Ichikashima is not only lifeless, but also very enjoyable. I saw her smiling and showing a mouthful of snow. Come with me. As the voice of Ichikashima fell, it was followed. After a while, open black lens bracket Ichikashima close black lens bracket takes Shiyu to a cave, and then the entrance of the cave is suddenly blocked by a stone gate. Boom. If it wasn't for this gloomy cave with dense blue fire embellishments, I am afraid it would have been dark at this moment. At the moment Shimon fell, Shiyu was still abnormally calm. This result made Ichikashima very surprised, because every tester in the past would panic after facing this sudden situation. There has never been a person who can stand in place like Shiyu is now, and ask very calmly. Sister Shimaji, you seal up this hole, don't you want to do something bad to me? Or I have failed, you are going to devour me. Hearing the words, Ichikashima Wei floated to Shiyu, and her soft voice followed. The second trial is only beginning now, also, even if you fail the next trial, I won't devour you. This time it was Shiyu's turn to wonder. He didn't know what wishful thinking Ichikashima was playing in his heart. I will keep you by my side. Shiyu was stunned. He didn't expect that Ichikashima would have such an idea. Because of this, Shiyu couldn't help but think, is it because she is too good? Even Snake Ji, who has lived for thousands of years, is attracted to him. Not only them, but Tian Shin Shenji and Tanjin Ji are also dumbfounded. They obviously didn't think that their little sister would have such an idea. This kind of thing has never happened before. Eldest sister, I said this young man is not easy. Yes, the previous remarks actually made the little girl interested in him. Between the shock of the two big snakes, Shikishima brought Shiyu to a stone gate directly in front. Immediately after, advertisement she pointed to the stone gate and then said, this stone gate is the only way to the temple in the depths of Longdi Cave. As long as you can pass here within an hour, you will pass the barrier. 1 hour, Shiyu groaned. Correct. Ichikashima nodded, and then said, if you can't leave here within an hour, it means that the trial has failed. So, it will be devoured by me. However, as I said earlier, if you fail the trial, I will keep you by my side. So, compared to other testers, your advantage doesn't have to die. Hearing what Ichikashima said, Shiba couldn't help but ask. Sister Shimaji, is there a time limit for each level? Good. The reason why my eldest sister gave you a massage before is because if you haven't eaten the food she turned out after an hour, it means you have passed the test. And my level is the other way around. If you can't leave here within an hour, it's a failure. Hearing this, Shiyu looked at this stone gate. It was found that there were tiny holes above the stone gate, and the holes were very regular. As if to embed something. Moreover, Shiyu was still there. A pile of colorful stones was found on the ground. Each piece is of different size, and the status quo is different. Not surprisingly, they were used to fill the hole above this stone gate. Upon seeing this, Ichikashima said, it looks like you thought you discovered the secret of this stone gate. That's right, only by filling all the holes on the stone gate will open automatically. Sister Shimaji, there are such rocks on the ground. It is not easy to find 99 rocks that fit the grooves of the hole within an hour. If not, how can this be called a trial? Ichikashima chuckled lightly, her voice was like a silver bell. His real-time you knew that this trial was not easy, because it wasn't as simple as finding the 99 stones that are the same as the grooves of the shimon from the stones on the ground in a single hour. The reason is that the groove-shaped stones on the stone gate that need to be embedded, some of the stones on the ground do not exist. It requires you to separate some of the stones. This kind of thing, ordinary people simply can't think of it. If it is not calm enough, and time is limited, it is difficult for even smart people to think of this. This is the difficulty of the trial of Longdong. However, Shiyu obviously would not follow the rules like this. Ichikashima said, as long as you leave here within an hour, it doesn't say that you must open the stone gate. Therefore, Shiyu has already had a countermeasure in his mind. T chapter 278. After having a countermeasure in his mind, Shiyu said, Sister Shimaji, as long as I leave here within an hour, right? Good. Shichujima-ji affirmed, and then said to Shiyu, remind you, don't try to smash through this stone gate with brute force. Because that is basically impossible. Let's not say that this stone gate is several meters thick, and besides, this cave still has the blessing of Shanshu power. It is almost impossible to destroy it without mastering Shanshu. Open black lens bracket. The power of immortal techniques. Close black lens bracket. Although it is strong, as long as the tester has absolute strength, it can still be broken. This is also the reason why Ichikashima Haim left a little leeway in the words, "Sister Shikajima, don't worry, I don't want to break it by force or ninjutsu." That's good, after all, that would only waste time. Ichikashima Haim. As soon as she finished speaking, Shiyu's next first sentence made her look startled. "However, I have other ways." "Other ways?" Shikajima Haim murmured, a pretty face was full of doubts. For a second, she suddenly thought of something. "You don't want to use some opportunistic escape technique, right? If this is the case, I advise you to dispel this idea. Just like what I said before, even if you use special ninjutsu, if you don't master the power of immortality, you will still be blocked by the big formation." She tested countless testers, and naturally some people thought of various ways. For example, what is the art of mud flow, the art of hydration, etc. As the name suggests, the mud flow technique can blend the body into the soil. This kind of ninjutsu requires extremely high attainments in Tuden, so it can go through the ground. This ninjutsu, Oshamaru, has been used, and the hydration technique can turn oneself into water and then pass through some small gaps. The 5 elements escape technique is such a method. Even the bloodstain limit is similar to ninjutsu. However, these methods are firmly guarded by the big array here, no exceptions. Shiyu asked. Advertisement, without exception. Ichikashima Haim. The decisive way, the tone is full of indisputability. What about space ninjutsu? Shiyu continued to ask. You can? Space ninjutsu. During the words, Ichikashima Haim was extremely shocked because they really had a headache for this ninjutsu. Because once the trial fails, people who have mastered this ninjutsu can completely escape by this method. This kind of thing has not happened before, but throughout the ages, there have been very few people who can master the space ninjutsu. Moreover, even open black lens bracket space ninjutsu close black lens bracket may not be able to pass through this stone gate. Because to cast space ninjutsu, you have to leave space mark in advance where you want to go. Otherwise, it is impossible to succeed, and people who come to Longdi Cave for the first time cannot do this, so they don't have to worry at all. Well, a little bit. The person who got Shiba's go, Ichikashima Haim's small face was full of consternation. She didn't expect Shiba to have mastered space ninjutsu, not only she, but also the Tanshinheim and Tangenheim, who were peeping secretly. However, there was a skepticism in their hearts at this time. At a young age, Shiyu was really able to master this unpredictable ninjutsu, and it was not a surprise, and Ichikashima Haim also said. General space ninjutsu is useless unless you with advanced space ninjutsu, you can create a different space. This advanced space ninjutsu can appear anywhere at will, but if there is no space mark, there is no direction. But if it's just the surroundings, as long as your space ninjutsu attainments are strong enough, it can still be estimated. According to Ichikashima Haim, it is uncertain whether Toki has mastered space ninjutsu. Not to mention having to master advanced space ninjutsu. Moreover, you also need to have a very high level of knowledge in this type of ninjutsu. Therefore, this is undoubtedly an extremely difficult thing. However, what she absolutely could not think of was that this kind of thing would not be difficult for Shiyu. Because Shiyu does master an advanced space ninjutsu, that is, Shenwei. Coupled with Shiyu's millionfold talent blessing, any of his ninjutsu attainments have reached a height that ordinary people can't imagine. Even if there is no Shenwei, Shiyu can create a high-level space ninjutsu with his natural ability. The reason why I only master this one now is that Shiyu has to study it, not to mention the ancestor space of Dadamu Huye. After all, it needs 3 pupils to construct. Shiyu relied on his talent and ability, enough to study a different space ninjutsu. Advertisement. There is no doubt about this. 2nd generation Naruto can create flying thunder god art, and with his talent that surpasses 2nd generation Naruto by many times, it is naturally easy to come by. A different space? Shiyu murmured, and a smile appeared on his face. When Ichikashima Haim saw the smile on Shiyu's face, for some reason, he had a vague premonition in his heart. Because of this, she couldn't help but ask, Shiyu, you don't want to tell me that you just master the space ninjutsu? That builds a different space, right? Sister Shimaji. You are so smart, you guessed it. As soon as Shiyu said this, Shijijima Haim was stunned. This result is what she never thought about. She has not seen it in the hands of other humans except for the space ninjutsu that constructs a different space. Of course, it doesn't mean that she hasn't seen it. After all, there are tens of thousands of ninjas in the world, and not everyone who has mastered space ninjutsu returns to Longdadong to seek power. It's like bringing soil and he didn't come. Of course, there are some reasons that even if he wants to come, he may not be able to find it. Miaomu Mountain, Longdi Cave, and Wet Bone Forest. These 3 holy places are located in the secret realm of this world. It is a small world. If there is no guidance, it is basically difficult for ordinary people to find it. Therefore, if you are unlucky, even if you find death, you may not be able to find the entrance to the 3 holy places. If your luck is against the sky, you can find it if you look for it. Although it was confirmed by Toki, Ichikashima Haim still didn't want to believe it. Because their 3 sisters sat down in the White Snake Ferry, after studying for thousands of years, they still only learned a little bit of fur. Even ordinary open black lens bracket space ninjutsu close black lens bracket is difficult to master, let alone constructing different spaces. It is also because of this that the secrets of Tianqin Jinji and Tanjinji are also suspicious. Second sister, do you believe it? Anyway, I don't believe it. Tianqin Shenji's words just fell off, and we still don't wait for Tanjinji to answer. The scene in front of them stunned them. Seeing Shi Yu's standing strength, the space suddenly twisted. Next second, Shi Yu disappeared into their vision out of thin air under their stunned gaze, as if they had never appeared before. Chapter 279. Seeing Shi Yu disappear out of thin air from his field of vision, the three-snake fairy finally confirmed one thing. That is, Shi Yu has indeed mastered space ninjutsu. Next second, the space behind the huge stone gate was slightly distorted, and immediately after that, a figure was exposed to the air. Seeing this person, the three big snake pills were once again convinced of one thing. It turned out that Shi Yu hadn't spoken, and he had indeed mastered advanced techniques in different dimensions. His appearance behind Shimon at this moment is the best proof. At this moment, the three big snake fairies were completely stunned, standing in place for a long time and couldn't get back to their senses. This fact was obviously beyond their expectations. They never thought that Shi Yu was only a 15 or 16-year-old boy who could master such advanced ninjutsu. At this moment, the thoughtful Tanjin found a clue. Sister, look at that kid's eyes. Tianqin Shenji murmured, and then those beautiful eyes also locked Shi Yu's eyes. In the next moment, her expression was startled again. The red eyes are, it's not wrong, those red eyes should be the legendary Shilunyan. Tanjin responded, and then said, moreover, it should have been promoted to the second form. Kaleidoscope writing round eyes, Tianqin Shenji said. I have fought against the powerful Uchiha clan, and I have seen similar eyes once or twice. But, as far as I know, genius alone can't do it to awaken Kaleidoscope Bloodwheel Eye, and it requires unwavering will. The young man in front of him can awaken the second form of Shulunyan at this age, which is enough to show that his talent and mind are far beyond ordinary people. The Tanjin in the words was full of amazing colors, and the same was true of the Tianqin Shinki, who heard her words. Certainly, it would be even more shocking if they were to know that Shi Yu's Shaping Lunyan had reached the third form, Eternal Kaleidoscope Shaping Lunyan. Tanjin although he recognizes Kaleidoscope Writing Wheel Eye, but I don't know the existence of Eternal Kaleidoscope Writing Wheel Eye. After all, there are very few Uchiha people who can reach this step. Not only do the two brothers have to awaken Kaleidoscope Writing Round Eye, but they also need to have strong obsession and will. There are really only a handful of people who meet the conditions, otherwise, Kuro Zetsu would have planned for 1,000 years, and there would not be only Uchiha Madara who succeeded. After the conversation between Tanzuheim and Tashin Shinki, as the person in charge of this second stage, Ichikashima Heim finally recovered. With a wave of her sleeves, she immediately dissipated the big array, chi. With the continuous sound of the heavy sound, the huge and thick grooved stone gate was also slowly opened. Advertisement immediately after. A young figure was caught in the eyes of Ichikashima Heim, looking at it with a smile. At this moment, Ichikashima Heim is undoubtedly becoming more and more interested in Tokiyu, a human being. The Kyushui snake's eyes panned slightly, and he was thinking about something. At the same time, Shi Yu's voice slowly sounded. Sister Shimaji, I'm considered a passable trial, right? Shikishima Heim. After a moment, he said, unexpectedly, you actually mastered the advanced space ninjutsu. This time I am unlucky. However, even if you pass my level by chance, there is still a more difficult third level waiting for you. If you can't make it by then, my second sister doesn't know if she will be as kind as I am and will not be willing to eat you. Hearing what Ichikashima Heim said, Shiba smiled lightly. Since you are so reluctant to let me be eaten, then you can reveal to me the content of the third level trial. Do not want, Shichujima, a proud voice, and then said, moreover, even if I want to, it won't work. This is the rule set by Lord White Snake, I can't disobey. However, if you are willing to stay and be my male servant, I can consider begging my second sister. Forget it. In this world, I am the only one who accepts others as a maid. Hearing this, the Ichijishima Heim thought a little and then said, how about we make a bet? Otherwise, what to bet? Just bet you can pass the third level. If you can't pass the third level trial, you will stay with me as a male servant. Then what if I passed? Between the words, Shi Yu's mouth evoked a touch of sorrow. Obviously he was making a crooked idea. It's easy. If you pass, then I will be your maid. Ichikashima Heim. Everyone was stunned when he said this. Not only the secret, Tashinheim, and Tanjinheim, even Takiwa himself is no exception. He didn't expect that the lowly snake girl in front of him would really dare to gamble with himself. Although this third level is difficult, it has not been passed through all the time, and Shi Yu can easily pass the first two levels, presumably, this third level. Guan shouldn't be too difficult for Shi Yu, advertisement. But why? Ichikashima Heim dared to say such a bet so far. Shiba looked at Ichikashima Heim with a confident face in front of him and secretly figured it out. It seems that this little Nizi must have something to do. Otherwise, how could she dare to be so confident? In the midst of Shi Yu's thoughts, the voice of Ikikishima Heim slowly sounded. How do you dare to bet? In my Takagawa Tokiba's dictionary, there is no such word as don't dare. Hearing Shiba's answer, Ichikashima Heim was beaming with joy. This is undoubtedly the result she wanted, courageous enough, I didn't see you wrong as expected. Go ahead, good luck. The voice fell, and Ichikashima Haim disappeared invisible like the previous Tianqin Shinki. Shi Yu was not surprised at this. This ability of theirs was somewhat similar to the type of bloodstain limitation that they had mastered, that is, Toucan. When Shi Yu continued to move forward, the three big snake girls gathered again. Seeing open black lens bracket Ichikashima Haim close black lens bracket appearing, open black lens bracket Tianqin Jinji close black lens bracket immediately asked. Little sister, are you crazy to make this kind of bet with humans? Yes. Tanjin echoed, and then said, although the third level one I'm in charge of is more difficult, I guess it will be difficult to stop him in this final trial of will. Tangenheim, knowing that people who can awaken kaleidoscope writing round eye, their willpower will not be too low. Eldest sister, second sister, since I dared to make this bet with Shiyu, I am sure of winning, and my whole card is. The devil state of mind, after these four words were spit out from the mouth of Ichikashima Haim, Tianqin Shinki, and Tangenheim looked suddenly startled. Needless to say, they obviously didn't expect Ichikashima Haim to use this method. Fairy Magic Mind State is a type of fairy skill created by White Snake Fairy. The power of this, Shanshu, is that it is a combination of illusory skill and time-space ninjutsu. It can allow the spellcaster to be in a different space and continue to withstand the mental attacks given by the ghosts. These fantasy sprites may be your murderers, but they may also be your friends, relatives, partners, etc. They will instill negative emotions in you and even attack you. And because you are in a different space, you can't use everything in reality to crack this illusion. It is almost impossible to stay in it for an hour. There are only two ways to unravel this fairy art, at present. First, to withstand those demons. Second, being tortured and fainted in this different space, and even died. But Shiyu may have a third way. For this technique, chapter 280. After some consternation, Tian Shin Shenji, it was the first to break the silence and asked confirmingly. Sister, you are serious? The gambling appointment is set. I can still make a joke. Do you really want to see me failing to be a maid for that human boy? Open black lens bracket Shikishima Haim close black lens bracket road. But my little sister, that demon mood, needs the three of us to work together to display it. Moreover, this move has already broken the rules of the trial. Hearing the words of Tanzu Haim, Ichikashima Haim said. He agreed. As long as we leave him with a small life, even if White Snake Fairy becomes accountable by then, it will only be a lesson at best. Two sisters, you must help the younger sister. Seeing Tianshinjinji and Tanjinji, silent, Ichikashima Haim added something. Aren't you interested in that human boy? If you help me keep him, then I can share my sister with my two sisters. It was still there. Tianshinjinji and Tanjinji, who were considering them, heard the words of Ichikashima Haim, and the two pairs of snake eyes flashed with light in an instant. To be honest, the two of them did go to Shiyu and became interested. Now they can leave it to study thoroughly, and they naturally don't want to miss this opportunity. After some weighing, Tian Shin Shenji said, okay then. However, little girl, after the matter is done, you can't enjoy the results alone at that time. Two sisters, don't worry. During the words, Shikishima Haim flashed a sly in his eyes, and a look of excitement appeared on his face. Looking at Shiyu, who was heading towards the depths of Longdi Cave, it was as if she had seen Shiyu become her male servant. The scene. Okay, second sister. Hurry up and play, we will cooperate with you later. Seeing, Tanjin-ji, nodded, and Tianshin Shinki, gave a reminder. Right, second sister. That kid is glib, don't follow his way like the little girl. Hearing this, Tanjin-ji was taken aback for a moment, and then said, I see. When the voice fell, her figure disappeared in place. Advertisement. When she reappeared, she was already in front of Shiyu. Seeing the brunette woman in white clothes fluttering in front of her, Shiyu could already determine her identity. Longdadong, one of the three big snake girls, Yuji, Tanjin-ji. Seeing this, Shiyu also asked politely. I don't know how to call this sister. My name is Tanjin-ji, and I am the person in charge of the third trial. After responding to Shiyu, Tanjin-ji continued. I didn't expect you to pass the test of my elder sister and younger sister. It's not easy. The next thing I will test is your heart, of course. If you can't get through, you will still be eaten by me. Are you ready? It turned out to be Miss Jin-ji. Hearing Shiyu's words, Tanjin-ji said, boy, the slick tune is useless to me. She had already seen her elder sister and younger sister being upset by Shiyu's glib tongue, secretly stinking. Therefore, she didn't want to give Shiyu this opportunity. However, Shiyu's next sentence aroused her interest. I said Ms. Jin-ji, don't you want to know why you are called Ms. Sister, not sister? Isn't it the reason why I am younger than the older sister? In the eyes of Tanjin-ji, Shiyu called his eldest sister, Tianshin Shinki, as the sister of Shinki. And she is smaller than Tianshin Shenji. Shiyu should be distinguished, so I added a small print at the front. It's not. No, Tanjin-ji, in the words was taken aback for a moment, and subconsciously asked, what is the reason? And when she said this, she undoubtedly hit Shiyu's arms. Originally, she didn't want to give Shiyu more opportunities to speak, but Nei still followed Shiyu's way and fell into the trap that Shiyu set in advance. The reason I call you Miss Sister is because your beauty is different from your other two sisters. For example, your eldest sister, Tianqin Shenji, her beauty belongs to mature beauty, and your younger sister, Shikishima Haim, her beauty belongs to fresh beauty. And you are different from both of them. Your beauty is the beauty of temperament. This kind of beauty is also called Yu Jia in our world. Royal sister, after hearing, Tanjin Ji, murmured, Shiyu continued. Good. For this type of woman, we will call her Miss Sister. If the other person is younger than you, small, can avoid embarrassment. If the other person is older than you, small, can make her feel younger. After hearing Shiyu's explanation, Tanjin Ji finally realized. And when the Tianqin Shenji, who was observing in the dark, saw this, he couldn't help but patted his forehead. Advertisement, Fortunately, I just gave a special charge. I didn't expect the second sister to still follow that little devil's way. Hearing the sigh of Tianqin Shinki, Ichikashima Haim said. I said eldest sister, this just shows that Shiyu is not easy. In the words, her interest in Shiyu became more and more intense, and she couldn't wait to see Shiyu as her male servant. At this time, Tanjin felt very comfortable. She didn't expect that being praised would be such a happy thing. This kind of mood is something she has never experienced in thousands of years. Okay, that's it for the conversation. Next, the test of the third level begins. After hearing these words, Shiyu asked, Ms. Jinji, I don't know what the so-called test is willpower. You are really smart. I just revealed a little information before, you guessed it. The expression of Tanjin was surprise. Thank you Ms. Jinji for telling me. When did I tell you? I just asked tentatively, but you admitted it, didn't you tell me on purpose? Hearing Shiba's words, Tanjin was stunned again. A pair of beautiful eyes stared at Shiyu, not knowing what to say for a while. After a while, her slightly domineering voice also sounded. Even if you know the exam questions, so what? If you want to pass the third test, you must have the consciousness of death. Come on, I'm ready. Hearing Shiyu's still so calm answer, Tanjin Ji finally stopped talking nonsense. She glanced at some place in the dark intentionally or unintentionally, and then a certain seal pattern suddenly formed in her hand. Upon seeing this, the Tianqin Shinki and Ichikashima Haim, who were hiding in the dark, also got seals at the same time. For this scene, Shiyu can be said to have a panoramic view, mastering two kinds of pupillary techniques, and knowing well about Shanshu Chakra. The three people freeze every move is under Shiyu's control. Realizing this, Shiyu also muttered to himself. Sure enough, I didn't expect it, however, since you want to play, I will accompany you to the end, a serpent maid, hee.